हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज की वीडियो में मैं इसका नेक्स्ट पार्ट और ये लास्ट पार्ट है गाइस कंप्लीट करने वाला हूँ इस नॉवल को। तो बिना किसी देरी के चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं।
Chapter 37 Extra 1 BB Dong Supreme Pond of Throne. Propagation, Joy, Parallel Timeline Plot, BB Dong Lovers Enter with Caution. Quote. The main timeline focuses more on erudition, joy, while the parallel timeline focuses on propagation, joy. Simply put, the parallel timeline not only wants propagation but also wants to play wildly. Outside the Supreme Pond of Palace gates, the two Spirit Hall elders, Chrysanthemum Guan and Gui Mei, tidy their clothes and wash the bloodstains from their foreheads, dutifully standing guard outside at this moment. Inside the solemn Supreme Pond of Grand Hall, the previous cold and murderous aura had already dissipated, leaving behind wisps of ambiguous atmosphere that diluted the majesty and sanctity of the Supreme Pond of Palace. The moment the thought seal, conviction was injected into her mind, BB Dong's entire state of mind was completely split, reshaped, and fused. At this moment, BB Dong was undergoing an unprecedented transformation. Where's this? What is going on? Quote. Deep within the dim sea of consciousness, BB Dong's frail consciousness transformed into a transparent little figure, surrounded by a colorful yet pitch-black scroll, a scene she seemed to have seen somewhere before. This is the four-dimensional universe, the dark plane dimension. Single quote. The beautiful woman's murmurs echoed lingeringly here. However, the power of this consciousness was far too weak. BB Dong was like a caged bird trapped in an invisible prison, unable to control her bodily thoughts and forced to passively endure the sensations transmitted from her physical body in reality. Meanwhile, in the outside world, inside the Supreme Pontiff Palace, before the sacred and magnificent Supreme Pontiff throne, a purple figure that made the entire continent awestruck and tens of thousands bow down was prostrate. The beautiful woman draped in a purple golden Supreme Pontiff robe had her exceptionally lovely cheeks covered with a thin flush, all the strength in her body completely drained away, collapsing powerlessly yet gently onto the ground. The humble fantasies about love that had binding her for half her life, her favoritism towards her first love Yu Xiaogang, and her monstrous hatred towards Jian Zunji now dissipated like wind-blown sand. From this moment on, her only remaining conviction was absolute loyalty, following her master Qin Moyu for a lifetime. On the Supreme Pontiff throne, BB Dong at this moment had shed the arrogance of the Supreme Pontiff looking down upon all living beings, while the innate gloom and madness of the Rakshasa god's successor instead gave her somewhat the charm of a crazed beauty. Beneath her cold, noble, and fearlessly beautiful exterior lay submissive gentleness and piety. BB Dong's delicate body prostrated weakly on the ground, a pair of purple eyes misty with water vapor and containing tiny teardrops, her feminine posture full of gentleness, humility, and piety. Her body trembled slightly, her tense delicate body completely relaxing, the empty regret deep in her heart was filled, and an unprecedented sense of stability and belonging welled up in her heart. This was a peace of mind she had never experienced in her life, surpassing the false love of her youth, and surpassing the sense of honor of ruling the world. Not bad, a practically perfect experimental record. Single quote. Qin Moyu lowered his gaze, looking down at the peerlessly beautiful woman bowing submissively at his feet, a flash of satisfaction sweeping across the depths of his eyes. The modification of the thought seal was extremely perfect, perfectly fitting his expectations. Not only did it completely remodel BB Dong's convictions, but it also completely preserved a portion of her native consciousness entity. It was precisely because Qin Moyu chose to retain this portion of native consciousness that he could clearly know that the submissively yielding beautiful woman beneath his feet was not a hollow puppet, but Supreme Pontiff BB Dong. Is this what you consider to be absolute loyalty? How interesting, Tilda. Qin Moyu slowly leaned down and let out a light chuckle. His fingertips were warm, gently brushing past BB Dong's soft purple temple hair. His movements were gentle and pampering, yet carried an irresistible desire for control. Once upon a time, this high and mighty Spirit Hall Supreme Pontiff BB Dong, whom no one dared to look in the eye, obediently raised her neck at this moment like a kitten waiting to be fed. BB Dong was breathtakingly beautiful, scarlet crawling all over her exquisite and fair cheeks, letting Qin Moyu touch her moist face while her long eyelashes trembled slightly like butterfly wings fluttering. Get up, quote. Qin Moyu's voice was calm, yet it was her only destiny at this moment. BB Dong let out a soft coquettish cry and obediently got up, her luxurious purple gold Supreme Pontiff robe draping closely against her body, outlining her slender and graceful figure and plump fruits. The beautiful woman lowered her gaze slightly, her aloof and fearlessly beautiful brows and eyes stained with moving gentleness, her voice soft and delicate, completely devoid of her past arrogance. This subordinate obeys my lord's commands. Quote. Qin Moyu quietly watched her completely transformed appearance, a faint smile flashing across the depths of his eyes. The thought seal only alters convictions without destroying the original heart. The BB Dong before him had not changed in personality, still remaining purely love-brained, only transferring the object. He raised his hand, gently supporting her jaw to make her raise her eyes and look straight at him. The two were face to face at a close distance, their breaths lingering and intertwining. In that pair of amber dazzling purple eyes, her entire pupils reflected only Qin Moyu's figure, and pink bubbling heart seemed to gradually emerge in the depths of her eyes. The huge and empty Supreme Pontiff Palace, its enclosed space reduced to a private world belonging only to the two of them, seemingly about to become the next secret room. The Supreme Pontiff throne symbolized the absolute imperial power of the Spirit Hall, and was the most sacred and inviolable forbidden area in the entire Douluo continent. Yet at this moment, the forbidden area lost its majesty, and divinity fell into the mortal world. The two figures slowly approached each other, the distance between them as thin as a single sheet of rice paper, and the atmosphere grew ambiguous. In a place unknown to anyone, deep within the gloomy and enclosed sea of consciousness. No, don't, I beg you, Qin Moyu, don't be like this, quote. BB Dong's frail native consciousness entity let out a mournful cry, the woman's shouts exceptionally shrill. However, all of this could not be transmitted out, her consciousness was tightly trapped in a prison, unable even to have the ability to resist. BB Dong's frail consciousness drifted helplessly, able only to watch the scene with wide eyes, watching her own body as another pair of hands comforted her with incomparable gentleness. Don't, I know I was wrong, I beg you, woo-woo Tilda. The frail consciousness entity trembled and watched powerlessly, yet could do nothing. At this moment, BB Dong suddenly awoke to the realization that perhaps right from the start, she shouldn't have provoked the other party. However, her admitting fault was not because she knew she was wrong, but because she knew she was going to be defiled again. Xiaogang, I am sorry, Hohu tilde. The frail consciousness passively endured the sensations transmitted from the body. Above the Supreme Pontiff high platform, within the tiny throne room. BB Dong's heartbeat quietly lost its rhythm, her pair of purple eyes filled entirely with Qin Moyu's figure, leaving no room for a shred of anything else. However crazy her paranoid love had been in the past, her exclusive loyalty and attachment at this moment were just as intense. Subconsciously leaning her body slightly forward, she yearned greedily for this closeness within inches. That luxurious and graceful purple gold supreme pontiff robe not only failed to make her look unapproachable, but instead stirred up the deepest desire for conquest in one's heart. The most wonderful part of the supreme pontiff robe lay in its wideness, which could not only prop up the supreme pontiff's majesty, but also quietly hide those disgraceful losses of composure. Chin Moyu pinched her soft hand, propping his hands on the armrests on both sides of the supreme pontiff throne, trapping this once all-seeing supreme pontiff BB Dong within a square inch. Pressing forward step by step. Chapter 38, 6-word battle armor. Early the next morning, as the sky broke, inside the Rose Hotel in Soto City. Spirit Hall was no place to stay for long, and Chin Moyu was well aware of this in his heart. Under the blessing of the first spirit ability, particle control, from the core of the Herrscher of Reason, Chin Moyu comprehended the surface-level authority of space and set up teleportation anchor points in both Soto City and the Supreme Pontiff Palace. As a simple application of geological, space, authority of the Dark Plane, he only needed to mobilize a small amount of spirit power to teleport back and forth between the two cities. After subduing BB Dong last night, Chin Moyu did not waste her loyalty either, unceremoniously clearing out her small treasury, the medicinal liquids for repairing hidden physical injuries, and various rare and precious forging metals. As for how to treat this group of people modified by the Bat Seal, Chin Moyu temporarily arranged for them to maintain their usual personas. Perhaps, when he personally builds up his own force in the future, these people will become the firewood supporting the burning of the empire. The misty water vapor from the medicinal bath slowly dissipated, and even the air in the room became fresh. The burden of the god-bestowed spirit ring on his body was not small, many tiny blood vessels in his body ruptured, and they had not been repaired until now. Chin Moyu simply wiped his body clean, changed into a clean set of clothes, and his spirit and energy visibly recovered. At this moment, his eyes flickered slightly as he recalled the other two rewards from the diary system last night. 6-word battle armor, god-level mecha. He had not yet carefully observed these two technological creations that spanned across the era of Douluo. Immediately afterwards, Chin Moyu took out his diary and began recording for a new day. During the image recording, he could selectively record his inner thoughts quickly, which was more time-saving and efficient than handwriting a diary. At the same time, the diary copies in the hands of the heroines across the heavens and planes began to update. As for planes with faster time flow, such as the Douluo God Realm where one day in the God Realm was 1 year on the Douluo continent, the women watched using their divine sense. A day of watching the diary content with divine sense only took a few minutes in the real world for them. The third day of writing a diary after transmigrating to the Douluo continent, the sun rises as usual, and I am invincible as usual. The diary reward last night can be called top tier, the core of the Herrscher of the End, 6-word battle armor, and god-level mecha. Battle armor originates from 20,000 years later, which is the setting of the Douluo 3 era. This is a type of armor like super mecha formed after a spirit master personally participates in the forging process. The enhancement of battle armor to a spirit master is extremely terrifying. A battle armor master wearing battle armor has an overall strength at least 20 levels higher than a spirit master of the same rank. The most intuitive example is that a 5-ring spirit king, who is himself a 1-word battle armor master, can directly and head-on contend with a 7-ring spirit saint after putting on battle armor. Furthermore, the strength of a 4-word battle armor master reaches the power of a limit Douluo. However, generally speaking, only spirit masters at the super Douluo level can wear 4-word battle armor. But if one is a blacksmith themselves, and the 4-word battle armor is forged by themselves throughout the entire process, with the compatibility between spirit and spirit power maximized, they can wear it at the title Douluo cultivation level and unlock the terrifying combat power of a limit Douluo. However, such genius battle armor masters are extremely rare, and forging 4-word battle armor itself requires title Douluo cultivation. Precisely because of this, battle armor masters hold a revered status in the Douluo 3 era. No matter where they go, they are top talents courted by major forces from all sides. And the reason why Shrek Academy in the Douluo 3 era could firmly remain a top force on the continent is also because it possessed the largest number of battle armor masters in the entire continent. Douluo Ining Rongrong. Battle armor masters seem to be an entirely new cultivation system that completely overturns the traditional spirit master system. Douluo Ichian Runshui. Using external objects for enhancement to directly smooth out a 20-level cultivation gap, this method is simply unimaginable. Douluo Ichian Runshui. If my spirit hall could have mastered this cultivation system in advance, the layout of the Douluo continent would have been rewritten long ago. Douluo Iguo Wu. A 5-ring spirit king can possess the strength of a 7-ring spirit saint just by putting on battle armor. Spirit masters in our era have it way too hard, having to rely purely on hunting spirit beasts and bitterly raising their spirit power. Douluo Tushu Juju. Battle armor feels like an upgraded version of spirit tools, and the concept is very similar to the spirit mecha of our era. Douluo 3 Dai Yunner. Not entirely. Oh, the upgraded version of spirit tools is mecha. Ordinary spirit tools are ultimately just external props to be discarded after use. Douluo 3 Dai Yunner. But battle armor is different. It requires the unity of person and armor, nourishing the battle armor with spirit power, and deeply binding with the spirit. This is an entirely brand new combat system that spirit tools can simply never compare to. Douluo 2 Xiao Xiao. Then our era is considered quite fortunate. Even if the innate spirit quality is poor, we can still specialize in the support system. Douluo I Du Guyan. I really envy the later generations, their treatment is so good. Douluo 3 Shu Xiaoyan. To be honest, in our era, 4-word battle armor is already the limit of the contemporary world. I am very curious, what kind of terrifying combat power does Mo Yuji's 6-word battle armor possess? Douluo 3 Dai Yunner. Indeed, 6-word battle armor is an unknown field completely beyond the cognition of the era. I'm curious too. Douluo 3 Wu Sai Duo. Curiosity +1. Douluo IV Yi Lingtong. Curiosity +1. Douluo IV Bai Shosho. Curiosity +1. Douluo IV Lan Mengchen. Curiosity +1. The heroines of the various Douluo plane express their own views. The differences between the old and new cultivation systems and the cognitive gap spanning 10,000 years spark intense discussions. Especially the power of the battle armor system, which forcefully smoothed out a full 20-level spirit power gap, allowing a spirit king to cross ranks and head-on contend with a spirit saint. This completely unreasonable enhancement of combat power completely subverted the deeply ingrained cultivation common sense of the women on the Douluo plane. While feeling shocked and puzzled, the young girls were filled with curiosity at the bottom of their hearts. What kind of exquisite forging principle was battle armor built upon to be able to achieve this step? However, the diary content did not respond to their expectations. Instead, it changed the subject and delivered a heavy blow to the isolated and closed-door old forces of the Douluo plane, the pampered proud daughters of heaven, and countless support system spirit masters who survived by attaching themselves to the traditional spirit master system. To be honest, there is one aspect that is very, very realistic. During the era of Douluo II, the unrivaled Tang clan, spirit tool technology ushered in a peak of prosperity. High-ranking spirit tool masters relied on spirit tool cannons to easily erupt with lethality exceeding their own cultivation, making cross-rank combat a norm. However, the spirit tool technology in the era of the unrivaled Tang clan was still relatively backward. Only before the 7-ring spirit saint level could spirit tool masters steadily suppress traditional spirit masters. This is also why the Sun and Moon Empire possessed top-tier spirit tool technology yet could never conquer the Douluo continent. The Douluo continent has been passed down for 10,000 years, with countless senior and veteran spirit master powerhouses, especially the number of limit Douluos, which far exceeded the Sun and Moon continent. Moreover, the spirit tool masters of the Sun and Moon Empire basically relied on drugs to enhance their cultivation, leaving their foundations floating and hollow, stopping at the 9-ring title Douluo for life. Furthermore, a level 9 spirit tool cannon could hardly kill a limit Douluo. It is precisely because of this negligible advantage that certain old antiques on the Douluo continent still cling to their outdated, old thoughts from the bottom of their hearts, despising the spirit tool technology system and believing that they only need to develop the traditional spirit master system to be passed down. Yet with their limited horizons, they can never understand the grand trend of changing eras. Cultivating spirit power through bitter practice for decades might not necessarily lead to a single step of progress, but technological iteration changes with each passing day, advancing by leaps and bounds. Terrifying steel machines converge into an unstoppable torrent of war, and the grand trend of the era will eventually crush all decayed thoughts of the old era. These old fellows who stubbornly guard the glory of the past and hold on to conservative rubble while stagnating will sooner or later be kicked off the stage of history. Chapter 39. The wheels of the era roll relentlessly forward, never pausing for anyone's stubborn obsessions or glory. Unlike the Douluo era, food system spirit masters were scarce in number, and food system spirit masters with powerful cultivation were even rarer. Ever since spirit tool development and prosperity, spirit tools themselves have played a role in providing spirit power to spirits, greatly reducing the usefulness of food system spirit masters. Pure support system spirit masters can only develop in the directions of manufacturing and the service industry. As for spirit master competitions, they cannot provide much help. Those who know understand, even dogs refuse to work in the service industry, money is hard to earn and shit is hard to eat. Ningtian, a genius support system spirit master of the Douluo II era, barely managed to make some team contributions relying on the formidable amplification of the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda. As for the support system spirit master Xiao Xiao, a genius spirit master with twin spirits, she didn't walk the pure support route either, instead carving out a path as a support and attack system spirit master combined. Not only that, Xiao Xiao can even simultaneously activate her twin spirit forms and use dual true spirit avatars at the same time. This talent far surpasses Bibi Dong and Tang San of the Douluo era, who also possess twin spirits. The phrase, 3-life cauldron, Phoenix roars over the waves, petite yet resilient, left a deep impression. That is the beauty of diary recording, it can upload the wonderful images in my memory directly into the diary. Image.jpg. The next moment, a lifelike portrait was simultaneously pushed to all diary copies. Within the image, Xiao Xiao tied up her dark green hair, her emerald green eyes clear and captivating. The young girl held a long flute, cauldrons ringing and phoenixes whistling, her petite body containing boundless power, instantly capturing the gaze of all the girls. Douluo I Shui Yuer, holy crap, sister, your talent is actually this terrifying. Douluo IV Yilingtong, twin top-tier tool spirits, truly worthy of being a genius of Shrek Academy. Douluo Tushu Juju, looking throughout the history of Douluo continent, there has never been a precedent of anyone simultaneously activating 2 spirits. Douluo I Yilingling, I didn't expect classmate Xiao Xiao to be not only more abstract than me, but even her talent surpasses mine. I'm crying with envy tilde. Douluo 3 Dai Yunner, historically, the cauldron Douluo Xiao Xiao indeed possessed formidable combat strength, a member of the Shrek 7 Devils, deputy sect master of the Tang sect, an elder of the Sea Gods Pavilion at Shrek Academy, and the closing door disciple of Zan Lao, the deputy pavilion master of the Sea Gods Pavilion. Douluo 3 Dai Yunner, and her most widely known battle record is that she once defeated Ji Juchen, the genius sword cultivator of the Sun and Moon Empire, in the identity of a support system spirit master. Douluo 2 Meng Hongchen, so strong. That's Ji Juchen, you know. Douluo 2 Xiao Xiao, he tilde. However, it's a pity that Xiao Xiao didn't have much screen time in the later stages, it was all about the love-hate entanglements of the protagonist Huo Yuhao, Wang Donger, and Wang Chuer. Even the Shrek 7 devils of this generation, seemingly glittering like stars, actually only had Huo Yuhao alone become a god, while everyone else merely served as accompanying ornaments throughout the journey. With Tang San presiding over the god realm, people from the Tang clan continent still want to become gods. Impossible, alright. Douluo 2 Xiao Xiao. Douluo 2 Wang Donger. Douluo 2 Wang Chuer. As for other food system spirit masters, Hiketu's own spirit was also at genius level, yet he didn't take the support route at all, wielding spirit cannons to fight from start to finish. He personally proved a principle, a food system spirit master who doesn't want to fight is not a good spirit master. Sure enough, the greatest protection a support can offer to a team is to slaughter all the enemies, so the teammates won't suffer any harm. As for the Douluo 3 The Legend of the Dragon King era, ever since the battle armor system came into being, support system spirit masters completely declined, and the 9 treasure glazed tile school without the inheritance of the 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda doesn't even have its name existing anymore, presumably having vanished from history books long ago. Needless to say about Douluo IV, in Shrek Academy's plotline, the names of support system spirit masters haven't appeared many times at all. Technological development is just this realistic. If spirit power is insufficient, absorb a baby bottle. If combat strength is not enough, there are spirit cannons. Other technologies include battle armors, mechas, interstellar warships. Under the crushing weight of layers of technology, this is also the reason why traditional support system spirit masters step-by-step march toward decline. Douluo I Ning Rong Rong. Douluo 2 Ning Tian, ancestor, I. In the Douluo 2 plane, inside Shrek Academy. The words of the diary clearly entered her view, and Ning Tian's fingers trembled uncontrollably, flipping back and forth over and over again to repeatedly confirm. The 9 treasure glazed tile school was annihilated in history, a naked ending laid bare before her eyes, so glaringly harsh that it made her entire body run cold. As the successor of the 9 treasure glazed tile school, Ning Tian had possessed a top-tier support spirit of the Douluo continent since birth, crowned with the name of a genius from a young age and burdened with high hopes from the sect. For a long time, she had always firmly believed that she could guard the final glory of the 9 treasure glazed tile school. Yet the diary's content pierced straight through the truth. Her proud top-tier support system spirit was merely barely avoiding being eliminated by the era first. The 9 treasure glazed tile myth forged by her ancestor Ning Rong Rong, the top-tier support sect that dominated the continent for a millennium, ultimately could not withstand the changing eras and completely vanished in the end. The young girl's heart was flooded with a myriad of complex emotions, full of sourness and powerlessness that pressed down on her until she could barely breathe. This wasn't just the fate of the 9 treasure glazed tile school, the ending for all support system spirit masters was like this. The support role, once indispensable in the core of the entire team, step by step lost its irreplaceability as spirit tool technology prospered, ultimately sinking completely to the fringes of the era. The era of support system spirit masters had come to an end after all. The great trend of the era rolls relentlessly forward, never pausing for anyone's stubborn obsessions or glory, no one can avoid it. In the quiet dormitory, Ning Tian lowered her eyes, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz, carrying a trace of faint expectation. Qin Moyu, if you were here, would there be a way to change all of this? Strictly speaking, Qin Moyu's spirit, the core of the Herrscher of Reason, was also a support system spirit, except that the object of support was mostly himself. Supporting oneself, how could that not make one a support system spirit master? The core of the Herrscher of Reason seemed to lack offensive methods, but his authority to analyze all things allowed him to borrow all methods of the world for his own use, erupting with peerless combat strength far exceeding the spirit master system. Thinking of this, the reluctance in the young girl's heart ignited like a wildfire at the bottom of her heart. Ning Tian was truly unwilling to accept this future. She looked at the diary, her fingers gripping tightly. If in the future Qin Moyu came to their era, she also wanted to seize this fleeting opportunity of the future. Meanwhile, Qin Moyu claimed his 6-word battle armor from the diary system. Battle armor is divided into 6 main parts: the headband, chest armor, shoulder guards, hand guards, leg guards, and combat boots as the 6 core components. As for other derived parts, they entirely depend on the battle armor master's personal preferences and spirit traits. The same was true for the 6-word battle armor before Qin Moyu's eyes, but when the light dissipated, he was somewhat stunned. The battle armor before him was wreathed in dazzling 7-color rosy clouds, sacred dragon patterns winding around the metal surface, dragon scale armors overlapping layer upon layer, looking incomparably majestic. But the overall silhouette of this 6-word battle armor looked 78% similar to that set of 7-color divine dragon armor in the Douluo IV era. No, bro Mayu. Could it be that the diary system directly stole the 7-color divine dragon armor from the Douluo I timeline? Chapter 40. Silver Dragon King possesses world-shocking wisdom. This is not right, is it? Why does this set of 6-word battle armor of mine look more and more like Lan Xuanyu's 7-color divine dragon armor? It seems not entirely impossible, haha. Anyway, I am not some morally noble good person either. Lan Xuanyu, you cannot handle this set of dragon god armor, so you might as well let me do it. This is the Dragon Clan's top-tier dragon god armor, maxed out in gold content. However, my set is a domineering men's outfit in terms of aura, not that soft and form-fitting women's battle armor of Lan Xuanyu's. Douluo for Yiling Tong. Douluo for Lan Mengqian. Douluo for Yuan and Wei Wei. Douluo for Bai Shoushou. Xuanyu dressed as a woman, when did that happen? Setting aside Lan Xuanyu's various experiences, to be fair, Lan Xuanyu looks quite good dressed as a woman. Thinking of this, my heart flutters a bit. It is the aura of a cold, noble, wealthy young lady, yet carrying a hint of naive and awkward bashfulness tilde. Especially on Lan Xuanyu, this little effeminate boy, that hazy sense of distance from playing hard to get is even more bewitching than ordinary girls tilde. Picture.jpg. In the image, Lan Xuanyu's long hair cascaded down, a pair of azure pupils shimmering with watery light, and a light blue ancient-style dress set off a slender figure. Lustrous white silk stockings hugged the calves, the skin tinted with a faint blush, delicate jade feet faintly visible. The boy was situated among blooming flowers and emerald bamboo, fingertips lightly touching red lips, and that shy yet lively temperament between the brows perfectly corroborated the diary content from just before. If I remember correctly, Bai Shoushou especially likes watching Xuanyu in women's clothing. As expected, girls clinging to each other is a great culture. Douluo to Ning Tian. Damn, why are there lesbians here too? Douluo for Nanchang. Xuanyu looks so well behaved. Once Xuanyu comes back from Shrek, it is still not too late to bear children now. Douluo for Bai Shoushou. Indeed good looking tilde hee tilde. Douluo for Yuan and Wei Wei. Douluo for Yiling Tong. Douluo for Lan Mengqian. 6. Ahem, getting off topic, let's talk about the 6-word battle armor again. To be honest, there are still many schemers in Douluo 4. The powerhouses Lan Xuanyu encounters in the later stages all have 6-word battle armor paired with level 120 true god tier cultivation spirit masters. To tell the truth, whether these people can still be called spirit masters is open to debate. Looking across the entire Douluo 4 Ultimate Douluo, I saw only one truth: bloodline supremacy. I cannot even help asking, do this group of powerhouses ascending to godhood through bloodline still remember what their original spirit was? These god tier powerhouses unleash incomprehensible god tier methods the moment they make a move, and they do not even know what a spirit is. Douluo 4 Lan Mengqian, bloodline supremacy. That being said, is the key to breaking through level 100 and becoming a god in innate bloodline. Regarding this point, Lan Mengqian, as Lan Xuanyu's classmate, strongly agreed. Ever since she learned from the diary content that Lan Xuanyu possessed the dragon god bloodline, Lan Mengqian understood why high-tier spirit beasts rushed forward eagerly to dedicate themselves and actively become their spirit souls. Why Lan Xuanyu only needed to grasp the summoning door of Qianlei's spirit, summoning money, to summon a powerful ancient dragon-type spirit beast. Everything that seemed unreasonable was never a coincidence. Lan Mengqian had some realization. The strength of these destined protagonists does not lie in bloodline, nor in spirit bones, much less in spirits in the out-of-reach 100,000-year spirit rings. The truly powerful spirit ring of a destined protagonist will always be only one: protagonist halo. As expected of a destined protagonist, the diary rules are still maxed out in gold content. Lan Mengqian felt a myriad of emotions in her heart. Rule 3. Tang San's karmic anchor point for future godhood is set. Locals are almost unable to kill a true destined protagonist. Not only Tang San, but even the destined protagonist Lan Xuanyu's karmic anchor point to achieve the dragon god seemed to be destined as well. But on second thought, the Douluo Plains so-called destined protagonist did not seem absolutely solid. Lan Mengqian subconsciously pictured Qin Moyu's figure in her mind. Looking across the records in the diary content, Qin Moyu seemed to have completely jumped out of the Douluo Plains rules. While others were coerced forward by destiny, he could forcibly change destiny. As long as he was willing, there were always some special methods to abruptly cut off the destined protagonist's path to godhood. Meanwhile, the diary content was still updating. 6-word battle armor is a concept that only appeared in the Douluo 4 Ultimate Douluo era. Every existing set of 6-word battle armor reaches the level of a divine artifact in strength itself. But Lan Xuanyu's 7-color divine dragon armor is different. This is a top-tier battle armor expected to break through to a super divine artifact. As for how rare super divine artifacts are, the entire Douluo god realm does not even have a super divine artifact, not even for the god of destruction, showing how precious they are. The sea god trident of the sea god is truly a super divine artifact. This is also why the sea god, merely a first-tier divinity, holds a status in the god realm sufficient to rank alongside the 5 great god kings. And the reason Tang San could firmly secure his say in the god realm committee is precisely because of the coexistence of dual gods, wielding the 2 major super divine artifacts of the sea god and Asura god. However, it is hard to keep a straight face. If I remember correctly, Tang +3 retconned himself. According to the early settings, the 5 great god kings of the god realm were initially arranged with matching super divine artifacts. Among the 5 great god kings of the god realm, goodness, evil, life, destruction, and Asura, only the Asura god's super divine artifact was perfectly passed down, meaning it was left to Tang San. The heart of goodness of the god of goodness and the judgment scales of the god of evil, the super divine artifacts of these 2 god kings were difficult to pass down. Therefore, Lai Yan and Ji Dong, who inherited the god positions of these 2 god kings, hold only the empty title of god king and can be said to be the weakest god kings. The ancient tree of life of the goddess of life, the scepter of destruction of the god of destruction, and the Asura demon sword of the Asura god, these 5 super divine artifacts are the foundation upon which the Douluo god realm establishes itself. In Douluo 3 Legend of the Dragon King, the god realm was dragged into a spatial turbulence. For the survival of the god realm, the god of destruction and the goddess of life actively sacrificed themselves, protecting the god realm from destruction in the spatial turbulence. The 2 god kings were also extremely competent. In the desperate situation, they chose to trust Tang San, their enemy, handing the destruction god core and life god core to Tang San, hoping that Tang San could find an opportunity to resurrect the 2 of them as husband and wife in the future. During this period, 2 of the 5 god kings sacrificed themselves, and the gods of goodness and evil were the weakest god kings. The god realm completely degenerated into Tang San's sole dictatorship, and later he directly renamed the god realm to the Douluo god realm. And the 2 god kings who entrusted their god position seeds to Tang San did not disappoint the readers either. Tang San showed no mercy and decisively obliterated the possibility of these 2 god kings reviving. In Douluo 4 Ultimate Douluo, the position of the god of destruction was passed down to his son Tang Wulin, the position of the goddess of life was passed down to his daughter-in-law Ji Yuina, and his son-in-law Huo Yuhao, through his own efforts, also promoted the divinity position of the god of emotions to a god king. Sea god Tang San, god of destruction Tang Wulin, goddess of life Ji Yuina, god of emotions Huo Yuhao, dragon god Tang Chuanyu, Asura god Scabbard Xiao Wu, that is, 6 god kings of the Tang clan. Ji Yuina, falling in love with Asura god Tang San's son Tang Wulin, inheriting the goddess of life's god king position, what a riot. Douluo 1 goddess of life. Douluo 2 goddess of life. Douluo 3 Ji Yuina. Douluo 3 Zaji, Lord, why? Why would you accept the divinity of the human god position? Not just Zaji, the numerous female spirit beasts following Ji Yuina were filled with doubt in their hearts. They did not understand, nor comprehend. The master of spirit beasts, the silver dragon king of the supreme dragon clan who ruled over all beasts, the noble Ji Yuina, why would she willingly submit to humans and even inherit a god king position belonging to the human system? Innumerable questions hovered in the hearts of all the spirit beasts, defying all logic. But the loyalty from following Ji Yuina for a long time made them choose silence and trust. The vision and perspective of the silver dragon king were far beyond what subordinates like them could fathom. As the embodiment of wisdom after the dragon god split, the silver dragon king possessed world-shocking wisdom. Lord Master of Spirit Beasts doing this must have a profound meaning. Chapter 41, The Shortcut to the Birth of 6-Word Battle Armor. The Douluo God Realm has a clear classification for divine artifacts, super divine artifacts, pseudo-super divine artifacts, and quasi-divine artifacts. Looking across the entire God Realm, it is already considered quite good for a third-class divinity to hold a quasi-divine artifact. If they are fortunate enough to break through the shackles in the future and be promoted to a second-class divinity, the quasi-divine artifact itself might evolve into a true divine artifact due to the nourishment of the divinity. As for the 6-word battle armor itself, it is impossible to forge it directly. This is a 4-word battle armor crafted entirely from divine forged metal, which must be continuously nourished by combining spiritual consciousness with divine force, giving it only a slim chance of advancing into a 6-word battle armor. This is also the reason why, during the era of Douluo 3, a host of 4-word battle armor masters and top divine craftsmen were unable to forge 5-word or 6-word battle armors. No matter how exquisite a mortal's forging technique is, it cannot make up for the shortcoming of lacking divine force nourishment. However, if one wants to skip the lengthy nourishment cycle, there is still a shortcut to take. That is to deeply integrate a complete divine artifact with a 4-word battle armor. For example, Lan Xuanyu combined the 7-color divine dragon armor with a 4-word battle armor, ultimately creating the 6-word battle armor, divine dragon moon show emperor dance, directly skipping centuries of nourishment and accumulation process. Douluo III's Leng Yaoju, merging divine artifacts. There is even this method. At the headquarters of the spirit pagoda, Leng Yaoju, sitting in a high position, suddenly let her gaze brighten, her face showing a contemplative expression. The fusion of the divine artifact's main body with the 4-word battle armor to ultimately forge a 6-word battle armor, so that was how it worked. In this era, throughout the entire Douluo continent, the only treasure that could possibly be a divine artifact seemed to be that spatial-type divine artifact named the Spacetime Divine Shuttle. At this thought, Leng Yaoju's breathing paused slightly, and a strong sense of being moved and ambition flashed across the depths of her eyes. Inside the Rose Hotel. Qin Huiyu temporarily withdrew the set of battle armor before him. With a ready-made 6-word battle armor and the authority of the core of the Herrscher of Reason, it would not take long for him to integrate the battle armor and easily become a 6-word battle armor master. As for naming his own battle armor, he temporarily lacked interest and had not yet decided. If he were to name the battle armor according to the romantic style symbolizing pure love found in the original Douluo work, such as Golden Dragon Moon language, Yuan language, or Silver Dragon Dance Lin Zan Shou, Qin Huiyu felt he should forget it. He couldn't learn that style. People's desires and pursuits have always been progressive and step by step. When survival is no longer the only difficult problem, living beings will pursue higher level needs, such as life safety, ideal aspirations, emotional bonds. Qin Huiyu was no exception, and from beginning to end, he was not a person of pure love. Having lived on the Douluo continent for a full 5 years and grown accustomed to 5 years of impoverished days, Qin Huiyu's physical age was still young, but his psychological age was already close to middle age. On the Douluo continent, people generally talk about marriage at the age of 12, and getting married at 14 was even the norm. As for those grand, passionate pure loves and romances, he had already passed that age. Qin Huiyu claimed the god-grade mecha, glanced at it, and casually threw it into the dark plane space. This god-grade mecha was a red-grade mecha from the Legend of the Dragon King era, rather than a god-grade mecha from the ultimate Douluo system. Although it was said that mechas were a man's romance, the red-grade mecha before him, entirely crimson, sparkling, and emitting a cold gleam, possessed a terrifying combat power capable of shaking title Douluos to limit Douluos when erupting at full force. But he was relatively lazy and didn't have time to learn how to pilot a mecha. Compared to clumsy and massive giant mechas, the thin and agile battle armor system was obviously more suited to spirit masters, and it was a romance that surpassed mechas. Not to mention a 6-word battle armor, even just a complete set of 4-word battle armor was more practical than a red-grade mecha in itself. The 4-word battle armor allowed for seamless offense and defense, possessed higher flexibility, could perfectly integrate with the spirit master's spirit and spirit bone, and possessed infinite growth potential. On the other hand, once a red-grade mecha was forged and formed, its combat power upper limit was right there, and the cost of machine maintenance was also not a small expense. Qin Moyu temporarily closed his diary, and the surroundings immediately fell into silence. Immediately afterwards, he took out a warm textured millennium-grade whale glue from his storage ring, holding equivalent exchange technology in his other hand. To his surprise, the high-dimensional technology in his palm flickered slightly, but did not respond. Equivalent exchange technology did not directly replicate whale glue of the same quality. It was as if the machine had scanned an unrecognizable program during its execution process and directly skipped it. Related to the essence of life. As expected, it cannot be easily analyzed. Gear patterns suddenly emerged in Qin Moyu's pitch black eyes, and the core of the Herrscher of Reason operated at full speed, with intricate patterns spreading all the way to his palm. Items collected by equivalent exchange technology must have their material structures thoroughly analyzed, such as gold coins, spatial spirit tools. For these inorganic bodies, the core of the Herrscher of Reason could easily analyze them, but for organic bodies carrying traits of life and genes, like whale glue, the core could not analyze them. Just as he had anticipated, the spirit restricted the authority of the core of the Herrscher of Reason. With the mere strength of a 3-ring spirit elder, he simply could not analyze life technology. And the solution was simple and obvious. Enhance spirit power, absorb spirit rings, and ultimately make the spirit undergo a perfect transformation. One day, the core of the Herrscher of Reason would break away from the concept of a spirit and perfectly transform into a true 4-dimensional technological creation, the divine core. A true, divine core ought to be a technological creation and should not be limited to a spirit. The sole meaning of its birth was to benefit all humanity, giving everyone the opportunity to complete an evolution and a dimensional ascension, comprehend the essence of the Dark Plane's authority, and master the 4th dimension, the time dimension. People came and went along the long streets of Soto City, and the bustling noises of the marketplace rose one after another. Beside the official road, a luxurious Heaven Do Imperial family carriage was parked, its wheels rolling over the bluestone pavement. Inside the carriage, Shui Kei sat serenely, her appearance pure and gentle. The etiquette from long living deep within the palace gave her a dignified and noble temperament even when sitting quietly in a corner. The young girl gently raised her hand, her fair fingers lifting the gauze curtain. Looking afar, a vast sea of people bustled about, countless figures hurrying past each other. Yet at a glance, she spotted a solitary figure in the distance. The youth was a full 1.9 meters tall, with sword-like eyebrows and star-like eyes, possessing an otherworldly aura. His pitch black eyes reflected a dazzling luster under the sunlight. He was just walking quietly, but strangely enough, passing pedestrians would subconsciously dodge away when approaching within a 2-meter radius of him, and then act as if nothing had happened. Shui Kei's mood quietly stirred, giving rise to a trace of curiosity in the depths of her heart. Qin Moyu's first impression left to her was handsome, and his temperament was also quite outstanding. Especially after seeing him in person, the shock and visual impact brought by this natural-born temperament made her heart flutter far more than the images recorded in the diary. Just at this moment, the diary copy in Shui Kei's arms updated once again. Having nothing to do, let's take a trip to Heaven Do City. This is a rare internet-famous check-in spot on the Douluo continent. Of course, out of 10 time travelers, 9 go to Shrek to cause trouble, specifically dealing with Xiaobiasan and Gangzi. Douluo eyes Luer Long. Douluo eyes Ning Rongrong. Douluo eyes Zhongzhu. Although I don't know the way, at a time like this, I have to pull out the old map from Tuba that I've treasured for a long time. In reality, however, this detailed map was actually plucked away by Qin Moyu from Bibi Dong. Chapter 42 Shui Yuer, tilde are we going to pull weeds in Egypt so soon tilde? Shui Kei pondered silently for a moment and instructed the guards outside the carriage, stop the car, I'll go down for a bit. The young girl stepped down from the carriage with a gentle smile on her face, approaching that figure. Based on the graphic proportions, the specific coordinates of Heaven Do City can be calculated. On the other side, Qin Moyu was walking while pondering the route. Heading straight to Heaven Do City, the first place he would pass by was the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, but Qin Moyu was not in a hurry to go there. Once he mastered the essence of the time dimension, even if Tang San plucked all the immortal herbs clean, he still had a way to make Xiaobiasan spit them out. Just as he was immersed in his thoughts, a soft female voice suddenly came from beside him. Young master, could you please stop for a moment? Qin Moyu, why? Qin Moyu's footsteps instantly paused, a look of confusion flickering in his eyes. He raised his eyes to look, and what came into view was a gorgeous short-haired young girl wearing a moon-white long dress. Her strength was not high, but her innate noble temperament made it clear at a glance that her background was extraordinary. When the other party approached, Shui Kei said gently while maintaining a sense of distance, "Pardon the intrusion, I have just arrived in Soto City and am very unfamiliar with the road conditions here. My name is Shui Kei, and I come from Heaven Do City." She actively reported her name. I wonder if the young master can tell me where the main road leading out of the city ahead leads to. The direction of Heaven Do City. I am planning to visit Shrek Academy on this trip. Qin Moyu's gaze narrowed slightly as he said calmly. Shui Kei, princess of the Heaven Do Imperial family. Qin Moyu understood instantly in his heart. No wonder she could accurately discover him in the vast sea of people. He had always kept the technology that concealed his own sense of presence activated, even high-tier spirit masters would find it difficult to detect his existence. Barring any accidents, the Princess Shui Kei before him most likely held his diary copy. Having figured out this crucial point, Qin Moyu's inner troll personality suddenly popped up. He was quite curious, what on earth did Princess Shui Kei plan to do by running all the way to Soto City? Shui Kei smiled faintly and frankly stated what was on her mind. Just now in the crowd, others could hardly notice someone as outstanding in appearance as the young master. What's even more interesting is that whenever anyone stepped within a 2-meter radius of you, they would subconsciously detour to avoid you. Such a unique aura makes it really hard to turn a blind eye. I felt a sense of appreciation, which is why I took the initiative to step forward and strike up a conversation. I am just an ordinary 3-ring spirit master with some insignificant little tricks, hardly worthy of Miss Shui Kei's appreciation. Qin Moyu chuckled softly. Speaking calmly on the surface, he had already silently chanted in his heart, Herrscher of Reason, Dark Plane Information Retrieval. In a flash, a transcendent power beyond 3 dimensions was quietly released without stirring the slightest spirit power fluctuation, and even those lurking in secret remained completely unaware. The dark plane information retrieval quietly spread out, and Qin Moyu's spiritual sea of consciousness suddenly covered the entire Soto city, bringing all breath of life under his control. At the same time, in Shuikei's spiritual sea of consciousness, the diary copy began to update. Herrscher of Reason, dark plane information retrieval. 1 spirit saint, 2 spirit kings, and a title Douluo. Interesting, why did Shuikei, the princess of the Heaven Do Empire, come to Soto city? Hiding in the dark is also Qian Runshui's lackey, Snakelands Douluo. Immediately following that, clear and explicit identity information emerged in the form of data screens. The spirit master guards spying in the dark, from their name, age, spirit power level, spirit type, spirit ring age, number of spirit bones, to affiliated factions, all secret information was exposed without a doubt. Without exception, these people were thoroughly doxed by Qin Moyu. The trivial information was extremely detailed, and even what kind of underwear they wore today was nakedly displayed in the diary contents. In the comment section of the diary copy, a string of question marks suddenly popped up. Douluo I Shuikei, why? Douluo I Qian Runshui, why? Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, holy crap, doxed. Douluo I Shui Yuer, an ordinary 3-ring spirit master, a small trick of the Herrscher of Reason. Douluo Tu Meng Hongchen, they've only just met, and Princess Shuikei has already been doxed, Tilda. Douluo I Du Guyan, even a spirit hall elder, a powerhouse with title Douluo Cultivation, was doxed. Is this really something a 3-ring spirit master can do? Douluo Tu Shu Tianjun, this spirit hall elder is so pitiful. Until now, he still hasn't reacted to the fact that he's been exposed, hiding calmly in a tree outside Soto City. Douluo I Yilingling, it's worth noting that compared to the title Douluo being doxed, Shuikei, who holds the diary copy, perhaps was exposed right from the start. Douluo I Shuikei, damn, why didn't you say so earlier? But is this reasonable? Could even the diary copy be investigated by Big Bro Mo Yu? Douluo I Huo Wu, hiss, don't scare me, if even the diary copy was investigated, then, there's really nothing left to say. Douluo I Yilingling, that's just a possibility. However, given the strength Big Bro Mo Yu has shown so far, it shouldn't be hard to discover the diary copies in our hands. Douluo I Yilingling, especially Princess Shuikei, you delivered yourself right to his door for free. Maybe in the future, Big Bro Mo Yu will follow your diary copy and dox all of his female characters one by one. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, why? Douluo 3 Shu Xiaoyan, why? Douluo 3 Dai Yunner, why? Douluo I V Lan Mengchen, and LT, O, and GT. Douluo I Shui Yuer, are we going to pull weeds in Egypt so soon Tilda? Douluo Tu Shu Juju, holy crap, sister, what on earth are you talking about? Douluo I Yilingling, no, sister, I said doxing them one by one, how did you read that as pulling weeds? Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, such talent. However, this enjoyment of mugwort will definitely be the turn of the heroines of the Douluo I plane first, it's not our turn yet Tilda. Douluo Tu Meng Hongchen, I really envy the heroines of Douluo I, getting to enjoy blessings so soon Tilda. Douluo Tu Ning Tian, damn, why didn't you say so earlier? Ancestor adult, you must be careful. In this diary content, your name alone takes up at least 1,000 words, you are in great danger now. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, 6. Douluo I Shui Binger, Shui, you, starting today, you are not allowed to read the diary anymore. Douluo I Shui Yuer, no way, sister, I was just joking, Oni-chan. Without the diary copy, Watashi QWQ. A joke eluded much of the solemn atmosphere, but the various female characters holding the diary copies across the heavens remained heavy-hearted. All of them knew it in their hearts. Whether unintentionally or intentionally, secretly prying into other people's secrets, especially someone destined to transcend the universe in the future, always required paying some price. What if Qin Moyu really found out that the contents of his diary had been secretly spied on by them all along? With his strength, would he fly into a rage out of humiliation and settle accounts with them? Amidst the general anxiety, a brand new line of grey rule text quietly emerged. Diary copy new rule 7. The master diary and diary copies are mutually invisible to each other, only diary copy holders can see each other. A line of grey text quietly emerged, coming at such an opportune moment and making so much sense. Chapter 43. Juliana, could it be that I am also a love brain? 2 flowers bloom, each telling its own tale. After a brief shock, Shuikei quickly stabilized her mindset. The diary was the truest mirror reflecting human hearts, able to strip away all external disguises and glimpse a person's true nature, whether it was being a pervert or a hypocritical double standard. She saw clearly from the diary contents that Qin Moyu was a steady and reliable, fearless in talent, unfathomably powerful, and extremely handsome man. He struck decisively against enemies, yet was gentle and inclusive toward friends. Aside from being a bit lustful, in the eyes of all the heroines who held diary copies and clearly knew his true disposition, this little flaw was harmless. Looking across the heavens and myriad worlds at powerhouses who reached the peak, most were surrounded by beauties, and having 3 wives and 4 concubines was the norm in the cultivation world. Compared to those, hypocrites who had 3 wives and 4 concubines themselves yet taught the weak that lust was the worst of all evils, Qin Moyu's open and straightforward nature, never concealing his preferences, instead gave people an extra sense of security. Even if their personalities were not suited for a lifelong companion, being able to forge a bond with him in advance and become close friends was also a great opportunity for Shuikei. Just as Qin Moyu's diary content had once mentioned, the destined protagonist Xiao Yan valued relationships and righteousness, and a drop of water received in grace would be repaid with a springing fountain. Shuikei thought secretly in her heart, a bright smile appearing on her face, that is truly a coincidence. My destination for this trip out traveling happens to be Shrek Academy. I originally thought Shrek Academy was located in Soto City, but unexpectedly, it has already moved to Heaven Do City. Shuikei's eyes were clear, and with a slight smile, she sincerely invited, if young master doesn't mind, I have carriages and horses prepared here. Why don't we travel together along the way? We can look out for each other and save a lot of trouble. Qin Moyu kept a calm expression on the surface. After thinking carefully for a moment, he did not refuse, it is my honor to travel with Miss Shuikei. Receiving a definite reply, Shuikei's eyes lit up. She raised her hand to brush aside the stray hair scattered by her ear, and spoke coquettishly yet politely, I have always presumptuously called you young master, but I still don't know your real name. Qin Moyu said flatly, Mo as in unfamiliar, Yu as in jade. Moyu, a man on the path like jade, a young master peerless in the world. Young master Qin's name has such poetic imagery tilde. Shuikei covered her small mouth and said with a smiling expression. Walking all the way to the side of the official road, the Heaven Do imperial family carriage quietly parked by the roadside. The old coachman driving the carriage, Uncle Chen, had served the imperial family for many years and had seen countless people. At this moment, his gaze looked with surprise at the youth beside Shuikei. Could this person be the one the princess specially traveled far to Soto City to get acquainted with? Uncle Chen thought secretly in his heart. Uncle Chen, let's head back to Heaven Do City. Shui Kei instructed with a smile, then naturally reached out, took Qin Moyu's palm, and boarded the carriage first. Brother Mo Yu, let's get in the carriage and be on our way. The young girl's small hand was soft, and her movements were poised and generous without a shred of awkwardness. Facing the young girl's active closeness, Qin Moyu did not refuse either. He had long known Shui Kei's identity and would not make a fuss just because of the pomp of an imperial carriage. Inside the carriage, Qin Moyu and Shui Kei chatted side by side. The young girl before him had moon-white short hair and a poised posture, perfectly matching the anime image of that little Heaven Do princess in his memory. To be honest, Shui Kei's anime art style looks quite a bit like the female angels in Super Academy. Qin Moyu thought secretly in his heart. As for today's diary content theme, introducing the Do armor system, he had already finished writing it this morning. Having nothing better to do, he planned to write a little about Shui Kei's story. Shui Kei, this little princess of the Heaven Do imperial family, left quite a deep impression in the original work. The diary content suddenly updated, and even Shui Kei, who was chatting, lit up slightly in her gaze, looking at Qin Moyu with a face full of curiosity. Writing specifically about her. For a moment, the young girl felt both expectant and happy in her heart. As a princess of the Heaven Do imperial family, she figured her plot should be very exciting. However, before she even made her appearance, the diary content familiarly wrote about Tang San's matters. After the Continental Advanced Spirit Master Elite tournament ended, Tang San followed Tang Hao to the Blue Silver Forest to awaken his Blue Silver Emperor bloodline, and his appearance transformed overnight from an ordinary person's look into a top-tier handsome man. After the bloodline awakening was completed, Tang San soon stepped into Slaughter City alone, beginning the most cruel hellish trial. Slaughter City, a paradise lost of sin, an isolated underground world, here accommodated fallen ones, desperados, and a crowd of Spirit Master scumbags, yet it was also a hall for tempering powerhouses. Those who entered Slaughter City would lose their spirit and spirit power, and could only rely on their physical bodies to engage in the most primitive, bloodiest life or death close combat. This was a place without kindness, without warmth, without morality, leaving only endless slaughter. And wanting to escape this purgatory alive, there was only a single path of survival, complete 100 victories in death competitions. Unsurprisingly, the destined protagonist Tang San successfully broke out from the sea of corpses and mountains of blood, not only reaping the opportunity of the Slaughter God domain, but also unexpectedly capturing the heart of Spirit Hall's holy maiden, Juliana. Douluo Shui Kei, amazing, didn't you agree to write about me? Brother Mo Yu, you and Tang San are true love, right? Douluo Juliana, there's also my business. Something was extremely, totally wrong. Inside Spirit Hall, Juliana was holding the diary in her arms. When she saw the content on it, she felt terrible. She was Spirit Hall's holy maiden, the future successor her teacher pinned high hopes on, and her beliefs and stance were all firmly tied to Spirit Hall. But the diary content actually said that in the future she would fall in love with that Tang San who personally destroyed Spirit Hall. These past few days, Juliana had secretly had people collect portraits of Tang San, and with that ordinary look, she had not the slightest interest at all. Even if she liked someone, it would be a handsome guy like Qin Moyu whose appearance and strength coexisted. With Tang San's ugly face, only Xiao Wu and Huo Wu could stomach it. But if Tang San had plastic surgery, then it really was possible. Juliana suddenly understood in her heart, but she also began to worry. Falling in love with Tang San, this was a very serious political incorrectness, and it would give people something to gossip about. Tang San only had plastic surgery, but his name, his clear sky hammer spirit, and these things wouldn't change, yet she still fell in love with Tang San. Oh no, could it be that I'm also a love brain? Juliana's heart skipped a beat, and a conclusion that made her scalp tingle subconsciously popped into her mind. After ending the trial in Slaughter City, to suppress the infected killing intent in his body, Tang Hao also brought Tang San all the way to seek refuge with his aunt Tang Yuehua. And during this period of cultivating character in Moon Pavilion, Tang San, who used the alias Tang Yin and whose appearance and temperament had completely transformed, also successfully captured the heart of Heaven Do imperial family princess Shui Kei. It's a pity Tang San was a pure love war god, with only Xiao Wu in his heart, taking only a single scoop from 3,000 weak waters. Facing Shui Kei's goodwill, naturally he was dismissive. Shui Kei specially found Tang Yuehua privately to ask what level of noble status a commoner needed to possess to be together with an imperial princess. As an imperial noblewoman, Shui Kei did not put on airs of relying on her noble status. Developing goodwill toward Tang Yin, the alias of Tang San, of course had more to do with the fact that Tang San had already been reborn at this time. For a man with such outstanding appearance and perfect temperament, if not for the gap in status, Shui Kei would have long since boldly gone up to express her feelings. One can only say, as expected of girls on the continent of love, romance is forever the primary element of life. Chapter 44, Under the Bed, Douluo. Originally, I was still pondering whether Shui Kei taking the initiative to approach me meant she was up to no good, like trying to harvest my kidneys. Douluo I Shui Kei. After all, when have the noble lords of the Douluo continent ever truly looked at commoner descendants on equal footing? But if it was Shui Kei, then it made sense. Searching for a reason all night, staring in the mirror all night, not because day was breaking, but because I was stunned by my own handsomeness. Inside the carriage, looking at the unmasked and straightforward analysis in the diary, Shui Kei's cheeks instantly flushed with a faint crimson, her earlobes burning hot. So she was also a love brain. No, she just loves good looks. Absolutely, positively not a love brain. Within the diary comment section. Douluo I Huo Wu, incredible. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, so that's how it is. No wonder Sister Shui Kei was so proactive. Turns out this matter was also recorded in the original Douluo work. Douluo I Shui Kei. Douluo I Jian Run Shui, little sister, I didn't expect that someone as dignified and steady as you on usual days would actually also be a love brain. Douluo 3 Shu Xiaoyan, big sister shouldn't talk about the second sister. Douluo I Jian Run Shui. Douluo 3 Dai Yunner, sister Shui Kei, you can do it. For the boy you like, you have to be proactive and make your move directly. Douluo 3 Ji Yu Yuina, incredible. Ji Yu Yuina did not speak, simply maintaining a blind silence. She quietly watched Dai Yunner's speech, her aloof eyes trembling slightly as she forcefully held back to maintain her composure. She had undergone professional training, so under normal circumstances, she would not laugh, unless she couldn't help it. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, Brother Mo Yu said one thing quite reasonably, he really is quite handsome. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, sigh, how agonizing. Wang Dong is also so handsome, I don't even know who I should admire. Douluo Tu Wang Donger, I suggest you still admire your brother Mo Yu, Wang Dong is not suitable for you. Douluo to Xiao Xiao. Now that I remember, Wang Donger is also bound in a CP with Huo Yuhao. Douluo to Xiao Xiao. Speaking of which, do you and Wang Dong know each other? I feel Wang Dong is a pretty good person, looks very handsome, and his personality is also so good, and his talent is also strong. Watching Xiao Xiao crazily praise Wang Donger's mouth couldn't help but twitch. No wonder Xiao Xiao always inadvertently touched her on normal days, and even secretly collected the water bottle she had just finished drinking from. Deep down, Wang Donger still considered herself a girl, and she had just brushed it off as carelessness. Who would have known that Xiao Xiao had all along been secretly in love with her, a girl disguised as a boy? Sigh, what a sin. Wang Donger let out a deep sigh. To completely sever Xiao Xiao's thoughts, Wang Donger simply unleashed her ultimate kill move. Douluo to Wang Donger. Wang Dong is my own younger brother, and he likes guys. Anyway, give up. Douluo to Xiao Xiao. Douluo to Plain, inside the classroom of Shrek Academy. Looking at the contents on the diary copy, Xiao Xiao felt completely terrible. The young girl secretly glanced at Wang Dong in the distance, who was listening attentively to the class, sitting right next to the well-behaved little Shota Huo Yuhao. I don't know when, but the shoulders of these two people had quietly and gradually leaned together, getting along naturally and intimately. Through a corrupt lens, everyone looks gay. Now the more Xiao Xiao looked, the more she felt that Wang Dong truly seemed to like guys, especially frail, show-like boys like Huo Yuhao. No way, why? Xiao Xiao's inner self at this moment was incomparably collapsed. What the heck, the male god I stan actually likes guys. Why? No tilde. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, uploaded a background image of Wang Dong and Huo Yuhao cuddling closely in the classroom. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, sisters, tell me this is fake, okay, actually, it's a joke, you must be deliberately tricking me, right? Woo tilde, how could my male god Wang Dong like guys QAQ? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Douluo to Wang Donger. Douluo to Ningtian, turns out Wang Dong likes guys. What a pity, originally I also thought he was very handsome, except Huo Yuhao was always following by his side. Douluo to Meng Hongchen, just looking at Wang Dong's back view makes people very curious, but what a pity he likes guys, sigh. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, woo tilde, I will never like male gods in reality again. As expected, only online male gods are perfect. Brother Mo Yu is the perfect male god I stan. The night had already grown deep. Traveling at night was too perilous, so Qin Moyu and Shui Kei discussed it and found an inn in a nearby village to settle down and rest. This small village was exceptionally lively at night. Many households in the village had set up charcoal fires, and the aroma of barbecue drifted everywhere along the evening breeze. The backyard of the small inn happened to have a vacant stone platform, with firewood piled in the corner, and fresh river fish just caught by the villagers on consignment nearby. Shui Kei leaned sideways against the wooden doorway, smiling and beckoning. Brother Mo Yu, the outside stalls smell so fragrant, shall we also go buy some barbecue to pat our stomachs? Qin Moyu's gaze fell upon the lively river fish nearby. Right on time, I know a thing or two about barbecue. Would you like to taste my craftsmanship? Shui Kei's eyes instantly lit up with full curiosity. Brother Mo Yu actually knows how to cook and grill fish. Just a skill picked up out of idleness. Qin Moyu smiled, found the innkeeper, finished paying, so buying things actually requires paying money OWO, and bought all the fresh river fish in the wooden bucket. He skillfully ignited the charcoal fire, waiting for the temperature to rise. Everything was ready. He raised his hand to stroke his storage ring, only to pat empty air, at which point he remembered that the knife he frequently used to process ingredients had been left at home. Boss, lend a. Before his voice had even fallen, a young girl's soft voice came from beside him. Brother Mo Yu, use my swan dagger. Shui Kei said softly, her fair little hand handing over a short blade carved with exquisite patterns. This swan dagger was exquisitely crafted, and was precisely the suicide weapon equipped to princesses by the Heaven Do imperial family. The principle was the same as an ancient young lady's self-defense hairpin. A woman's strength was inherently weak, so if she encountered vicious bandits, wanting to counterattack with a dagger was impossible, but using it to commit suicide to preserve the purity of her reputation was more than enough. And for Shui Kei to be willing to hand this swan dagger, which carried a special meaning and stayed close to her body, to Qin Moyu already represented her trust, as well as a hidden bit of affection. Turns out names like White Tiger Dagger, placed on the Douluo continent, this naming style was actually normal. Qin Moyu reached out to take the dagger, completely failing to comprehend the young girl's hidden affection. Douluo I Shui Kei. Douluo 3 Dai Yunner. Sister Shui Kei, your move here won't do, the hint wasn't obvious enough. Douluo 3 Dai Yunner. Let me teach you, you have to do this first, then like this, and finally do it like that. Watching Dai Yunner endlessly impart forbidden knowledge, Shui Kei's cheeks instantly grew burning hot, her earlobes turning completely red. No, what kind of techniques are these? Directly skipping the getting to know each other phase and going straight to slipping aphrodisiacs. As expected of the princess of the Star Luo Empire, Dai Yunner's way of handling affairs was truly fierce. On the other side, amidst Qin Moyu's fluttering short blade, scaling, removing gills, and cleaning the belly, the entire river fish was processed with orderly knife skills. Afterwards, he retrieved gorilla leaves from his storage ring. This was a medicinal herb recorded in Benzhao Haoyan, and its main purpose was to remove fishy smells and enhance fragrance. Huo Yuhao was precisely the one who used this spice to grill fish. Waiting until the river fish was placed on the rack to slow roast, he raised his hand to stroke his storage spirit tool, and a snow-white salt jar appeared. The native edible salt of the Douluo continent was mostly coarse salt with extremely many impurities, carrying the bitterness of silt. Even the fine salt exclusively supplied to nobles still carried a faint impurity flavor. But the salt in Qin Moyu's hand was completely different. This was high-purity refined salt he had personally extracted by relying on modern distillation and purification technology. The color of the salt was snow-white and flawless, the grains delicate, clean to the point of having almost no impurities. Qin Moyu chuckled inwardly. If it weren't for the fact that refined salt itself was too snow-white, with this salt-making technique alone, he would be enough to monopolize the market of Soto City. Of course, the premise was that he had to go cozy up to the powerful and noble. After all, without official government permission, privately selling salt was a heavy crime. The charcoal fire continued to roast, the surface layer of the fish meat gradually transforming from fair to an alluring golden yellow, grease slowly seeping out. Nothing happened overnight. Early the next morning. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the third day's diary entry, obtaining a diary reward. Myriad Poisons Code, Cultivation Method, God bestowed Spirit Ring ×5. Qin Moyu had just finished washing up and opened the diary when the system's prompt sounded in his ears. Oh, it's actually a cultivation technique without a grade. He said softly, instantly growing interested. Taking advantage of the early hour, he glanced at Shui Kei's room next door to see she hadn't woken up yet, then turned on the diary recording function. The overall appearance of the Myriad Poisons Code looked similar in material to the diary. Its cover was a deep pitch black, and its texture to the touch was similar to obsidian, making the entire book look more like a magic tome. The only difference was that right in the center of the cover of the Myriad Poisons Code, a two-dimensional planar projection of the core of the Herrscher of Reason from a certain perspective was carved. As a four-dimensional technology, Divine Core, observing higher dimensions from a low-latitude perspective would result in completely different recorded images every time. The appearance of the Myriad Poisons Code also implied that this was a cultivation method exclusively applicable to the core of the Herrscher of Reason. Even if someone else happened to obtain it, they wouldn't be able to cultivate it. A new day begins, and I feel that today I am much stronger than yesterday. The diary system is truly efficient. While others are still working hard on their cultivation, exhausting their lives to pursue the great Tao's opportunities, I just need to casually write a diary to become stronger. This is simply too reasonable. After all, other people's cultivation levels are raised through cultivation, making them floating and unreliable, whereas my strength has been raised bit by bit relying on system rewards. Comparing the two, the difference is clear at a glance. Douluo's Jian Runshui, is this reasonable? Douluo's Shui Ke, isn't this reasonable? I think it's very reasonable. Douluo's Jian Runshui, 6. Douluo's Yilingling, indeed, all along the way, I've only seen Mo Yu's sweat and hard work. Yesterday's diary reward is already in hand, a cultivation method named Myriad Poisons Code, which looks quite interesting. The theme of today's diary entry happens to be related to the Myriad Poisons Code cultivation method. With the core of the Herrscher of Reason, is the core, cultivating the Myriad Poisons Code to the complete body of the first stage means completely transforming the human body's genes and cells into toxins, creating a brand new race, toxin-based lifeforms. Carbon-based life refers to us flesh and blood people, and pigs, cattle, sheep, and chickens are also carbon-based life. Silicon-based life refers to intelligent robots with the ability to think, and cold metal can also evolve into lifeforms. As for toxin-based lifeforms, they are a brand new lifeform deduced and born from high-dimensional technology. Their entire body's genes and cells are homologous with the myriad poisons, passively absorbing all miasmas, evil toxins, and GU poisons between heaven and earth. They only need to lie down and absorb the myriad poisons to become stronger. This is a cultivation method that transitions from technological development to biotechnology. Since the core of the Herrscher of Reason has already transformed the body into a toxin-based lifeform, it will not cause toxins to backfire on oneself. Toxins will no longer be a threat, but the sole nutrient for evolution. Come to think of it, this cultivation method is quite suitable for people like Du Guyan and Xiao Yishan who have innate poison body talents to use. Douluo's Ningrongrong, useless cold knowledge has increased, turns out we are carbon-based lifeforms. Douluo's Jian Runshui, passively absorbing toxins and lying flat to become stronger. By comparison, why does my angel spirit feel so useless? Can you strive to be a bit more useful? Douluo's Shui Yuer, when a person is incompetent, don't blame the road for being uneven, woo-woo. Douluo's Shui Binger, my sister drank too much, haha, don't mind these details, you guys continue chatting. Douluo IVs by Shosho, toxin-based lifeforms, directly rewriting lifeforms and creating a brand new race. Isn't this a bit outrageous? Douluo IVs Lan Mengchen, this should be the so-called biotechnology. Most technologies that tamper with the origin of life seem to have already been banned by the Federation, belonging to taboo research that violates human ethics and morals. Battle through the heavens Xiao Yishan, envious, can one really cultivate by absorbing toxins without any backlash? Douluo II's Wufeng, what's there to envy about this? After modification, you can't even be called a human anymore. Who knows if there will be any hidden dangers? Douluo II's Wufeng, wait a minute, battle through the heavens, could the person above be the heroine of the battle through the heavens plane? Douluo II's Shujuju, holy shit sister, you're actually a big shot from the battle through the heavens plane, welcome, welcome. Douluo II's Xiao Xiao, welcome newbie, newbie reveal your photo. Douluo II's Meng Hongchen, welcome newbie, newbie reveal your photo. Douluo the third's Dai Yunner, +1. The first stage of the Myriad Poisons Code merely modifies the physical body. This can only be considered a cultivation method on a three-dimensional level and is not yet powerful. The second stage of the Myriad Poisons Code cultivation method is somewhat abstract, completely breaking away from the scope of the physical body and involving toxins at the spiritual level. The most typical mental viruses include John Choching mushrooms, meme viruses, bizarre spiritual pollution, and sanity erosion that drops Cthulhu's sand value. Toxins of this kind are silent, traceless, and invisible, yet they can directly tamper with cognition and attack spiritual consciousness, often capable of killing people invisibly. Take the meme virus for example. This is a mental cognitive virus developed based on biotechnology. The transmission method of the meme virus transcends the limitations of physical viruses. It is not spread through the air, but uses the information of technological civilization as a carrier. Regardless of the method, once one comes into contact with the virus containing the information, they will be infected by the meme virus. In my impression, there was once such a genius named Dr. Primal. No one knows his real name, but his crimes are known throughout the universe, making countless galactic civilizations tremble in fear. Among them, the most shocking is the atavism experiment. Dr. Primal always firmly believed that the path of development of technological civilization had gone astray, and only by regressing intelligent life could civilization develop a brand new path. Of course, the true practitioners of this crazy theory were a group of scholars fanatically following Dr. Primal. They believed in the only truth. Regression is the only redemption, just as after cutting off the withered branches of ignorance, the new shoots of knowledge can emerge from the ruins. To prove his theory, Dr. Primal had personally created a meme virus and spread it to a civilization in an entire galaxy, using hundreds of millions of living beings as samples to conduct a great experiment named atavism. The meme virus spreads using information as a carrier. From vision, hearing, smell, taste, to touch, even a glance at an image, a whisper, or a piece of text, one will be infected by the meme, and no one can escape the virus. Even if a blind person decodes the information using Braille, they still cannot escape the clutches of the meme virus. Chapter 46, Effect before cause, immune to myriad poisons. As time passed, the meme virus continued to iterate and evolve, and eventually, the intelligence and cognitive levels of humanity across the entire planet continuously regressed. The first to perish was the linguistic system that civilization had developed for thousands of years. All humans lost the ability to speak and express themselves. Following closely behind was the collapse of written cognition. All written records gradually became blurred, not because of blindness making them invisible, but because they could no longer be understood. All humans lost their cognition as intelligent life forms. They retained the outline of humans, but their minds regressed into ignorant beasts. Yet this was not the end. The humans infected by the meme virus even underwent twisted physical changes, with body hair growing wildly and slender tails quietly mutating from their coccyx. When the final moment arrives, humans across the entire galaxy will degenerate, atavistically reverting into the form of apes. The once brilliant civilization will collapse with a bang, returning all technology, culture, heritage, and knowledge back to the starting point, making everything in civilization start over from scratch. Not only that, but the infection of the meme virus was not limited to organic matter. Things like airplanes made of steel degenerated into birds, and cars degenerated into elephants. Hundreds of millions of apes will restart a course of evolution upon the ruins of what was once called home. And the coverage scope of this meme virus experiment used galaxies as a unit. How large is a galaxy? Douluo continent is merely a single planet. During the era of Douluo 3, the legend of the Dragon King, they couldn't even step out of Douluo, and only in the era of Douluo IV, Ultimate Douluo, did they truly step into the concept of galactic civilization. No wonder the Shenzhou has always resisted. Abundance, turns out a mimetic body, is so terrifying. As the diary content updated up to this point, the heroines, who had originally been watching the spectacle, instantly fell into dead silence. Everyone was utterly stunned by the horrifying setting of this meme virus experiment measured in galaxies. The bustling message board instantly quieted down, and it was only after a long while that someone finally left a message. Douluo Tu Shu Tianjun. This meme virus is far too bizarre, too terrifying. Douluo I Du Guyan. Is this even considered a poison? Yes, but it doesn't seem like it at the same time. Douluo I Huo Wu. Viruses are impossible to guard against. From this perspective, the meme virus is indeed a poison. Douluo I Yi Ling Ling. Yanzi, this meme virus is too frightening. Since you yourself have a poison attribute constitution, why don't you go borrow a cultivation method from Brother Mo Yu, and beg the big boss for protection tilde? Douluo I Du Guyan. No, sis, how on earth am I supposed to borrow a cultivation method from Lord Mo Yu? What if he gets unhappy and turns around to meme virus me directly? What should I do? Douluo I Yi Ling Ling. You don't need your head, just offer blessings instead. Brother Mo Yu is a very good person, I believe he will definitely lend it to you, anyway he doesn't cultivate poison-based life forms either. Douluo I Du Guyan. Was this human talk? Was this still her good girlfriend? She was just honestly asking for a cultivation method, so why did it sound so wrong coming out of her mouth? Douluo IV Yuan and Wei Wei. So, why did airplanes atavistically revert into birds? Could it be because, conceptually, airplanes can fly? Douluo IV Lan Mengchen. Holy crap, Wei Wei, you've discovered a blind spot. Douluo IV Bai Shosho. No, isn't it even more terrifying thinking about it this way? Even metal machines that didn't have atavistic options could actually have their concepts forcibly altered and atavistically revert into living creatures. Douluo IV Yi Ling Tong. This means comparable to gods were actually brought about purely by technology, truly terrifying. Could the divine level powerhouses of the Douluo plane achieve such means? Yi Ling Tong kept these words unsaid. But from the diary copy, from beginning to end, not a single divine level powerhouse from the Douluo IV era came out to leave a message. Perhaps she already had the answer in her heart. Just as the heroines of the Heavens diary were immersed in shock, Jin Moyu changed the subject and suddenly leaked an even more shocking diary entry. Speaking of the meme virus, this suddenly made me remember that back on Earth in my past life, I actually also suffered an attack from a meme virus. As soon as these words came out, the entire message board instantly exploded. Douluo Tu Shu Tianjun. Douluo Tu Shu Juju, so strong. Douluo I Huo Wu. Even the world of ordinary people has meme virus natural disasters. Truly terrifying. Douluo I Jian Runshui. A technological civilization without a spirit or cultivation system managed to survive encountering a meme virus. Douluo I Du Guyan. Lord Mo Yu, you're strong. Just as the heroines were imagining the scene of Great Emperor Qin Moyu defying the heavens and changing fate in his past life to resist the meme virus natural disaster, the diary content took a sudden reversal. Whenever I see netizens typing 2.5, the figure of Brother Kun automatically pops up in my mind, and my body subconsciously wants to dance. Chicken, you are so beautiful. This meme virus is practically engraved deep into my DNA. Heaven's diary copy heroines. No, bro Mayu. This is truly divine. The meme virus looks unsolvable, but actually this is just a crisis resembling Cthulhu-like mental corruption, and there are quite a few ways to resolve it. The myriad poisons code, in my hands, is precisely one of them, not to mention this is only the second stage of mental toxins. As for the third stage, that already involves the concept of the sixth dimension, the causality dimension. For me right now, wanting to understand this, forbidden knowledge, is still very difficult. However, with my current observational perspective as a fourth-dimensional life form, I can barely describe the preliminary abilities of the third stage of the myriad poisons code. Once cultivated to the third stage, one can leap out of the timeline and completely become immune to all toxin attacks originating from the timeline. Whether it is a future powerhouse crossing the timeline to poison someone, or hidden injuries left in the physical body and divine soul due to toxins back in the past timeline, all of them can be completely erased by the power of the causality dimension. Because you are already immune to myriad poisons in the present, toxins from the past, present, and future can no longer have any impact on you. This is effect before cause. As for the fourth stage of the myriad poisons code, I cannot see it. The descriptions of the fourth stage of the myriad poisons code are all inscribed in seventh dimensional characters. As someone who has just stepped into the fourth dimensional life form, I am completely unable to read this piece of forbidden knowledge. Aside from this, whether a fifth stage exists for the myriad poisons code remains unknown, but this cultivation method does have aspects worth learning from, so I'll keep it for now. Inside the country inn, Jin Moyu closed his diary and stretched lazily. Just as he turned around, he saw the door to the next room push open. Shui Kei rubbed her sleepy eyes and walked out with a bewildered expression on her face. Miss Shui Kei, are you awake? Jin Moyu smiled slightly, greeted her, and casually handed over a steamer basket of meat buns. Ah, thank you, Brother Mo Yu. Shui Kei was slightly stunned and didn't react in time. Her little head was gently bumped by the meat buns. The young girl touched her little head, and her fair cheeks flushed red in an instant. She let out a soft, coy complaint, mumbling with her mouth as she nibbled on the meat bun in small bites. Seeing her daydreaming appearance, Jin Moyu felt a surge of curiosity. What are you thinking about that has you so engrossed? It's nothing, really, I'm just a bit curious. Brother Mo Yu, what is your spirit? Why couldn't those commoners see you yesterday? Shui Kei nibbled on the meat bun in small bites, cleverly shifting the topic. It's just a very ordinary spirit. I'm just a tiny three-ring spirit master, maybe they just didn't notice me. As soon as Jin Moyu finished speaking, Shui Kei couldn't help but roll her eyes at him, though she didn't continue pressing for answers. A tiny three-ring spirit master. She had never seen a three-ring spirit master whose cultivation had already reached the spirit king, nor had she ever seen a spirit master whose brain was packed with so much bizarre and eccentric knowledge. After finishing a simple breakfast, the group left the inn and headed in the direction of Heaven-Do City. Chapter 47. Young friend, you cannot handle this opportunity. Heaven-Do City, Shrek Academy. This place was originally home to Landba Academy, but at this moment, the original plaque had been replaced with 5 glittering gold characters reading Shrek Academy, and Flender's name was marked at the bottom. To think Landba Academy has already been renamed Shrek Academy. I wonder if Xiaobiasan took good care of my immortal herb. Douluo is guarding a treasure land yet couldn't keep this opportunity. Since you cannot handle it, then I won't stand on ceremony. Of course, even if Douluo had guarded the treasure land, I would still go and snatch a share. Young friend, you cannot handle this opportunity. Douluo I Duguyan. No, saying it like that makes me sound like a bandit. How can a scholar's actions be called snatching? When I get the immortal herb, if I have time, I might as well help Duguyan solve her spirit flaw problem by the way. I won't take it for nothing. Unlike in the original work, where Douluo kindly kidnapped Tang San to visit the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well, Tang San relied on Tang Sect ultimate arts and his exquisite poisoning skills to fool Douluo completely dumbfounded. In the end, without any politeness at all, Tang San directly harvested all the immortal herbs of the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well, leaving not a single immortal herb for Douluo. He was truly too polite. By comparison, I am simply an exceptionally good person. Douluo I Yilingling, Yanzi is so great, you are saved. Brother Mo Yu is great, needless to say more. Douluo Tu Ning Tian, come to think of it, if Brother Mo Yu really takes all the immortal herbs away, can ancestor spirits still evolve? Will the 9 treasure glazed tile school of our era still exist? Douluo IV Yilingtong, actually, it won't affect it. Each of our planes is an independent parallel world, and things happening in a parallel world will only affect that world. Douluo IV Yilingtong, simply put, the Douluo continent in Brother Mo Yu's era probably won't see the 9 treasure glazed tile school appearing 10,000 years later. Douluo Tu Ning Tian, oh, I see, but why did you say, probably? Douluo IV Yilingtong, perhaps your ancestor, she is also preparing to offer blessings. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, no, stop spreading rumors. Brother Mo Yu is the type that younger sister Shui Ke likes, how could I possibly do such a thing? ... Meanwhile, at the entrance of Shrek Academy. Brother Mo Yu, did you make a special trip to Shrek Academy planning to enroll? Shui Ke beside him suddenly spoke up. How is that possible? I just happened to pass by and wanted to see what is so special about this academy rumored to only recruit monsters. Speaking of this, Chin Moyu suddenly looked at Shui Ke beside him with a half smile in his eyes. Instead, Miss Shui Ke, what are you planning to do coming to Shrek Academy? It's really strange. If I remember correctly, Shui Ke, the princess of the Heaven-Do Empire, has always been following Tang Yuehua at the Moon Pavilion to study etiquette and has honed a skilled zither technique. But other than that, Shui Ke shouldn't have any reason to come to Shrek Academy, right? Douluo I Shui Ke. What reason could she possibly have? From beginning to end, it was just a lie Shui Ke made up simply to strike up a conversation with Chin Moyu. Telling one lie requires countless more lies to cover it up. Shui Ke feigned composure as she raised her hand to tuck a stray lock of hair behind her ear, smiling with a chuckle. Actually, I have a friend who studies at Shrek Academy and I happened to come by to see her. Oh, so that's how it is. Chin Moyu pretended to believe her and withdrew his gaze. Just as Shui Ke secretly breathed a sigh of relief, Chin Moyu suddenly turned his head, his pitch black eyes staring straight at her, but I heard that the legitimate princess of the Heaven-Do Empire happens to also be named Shui Ke. This sentence fell lightly, and the air froze instantly. The smile on Shui Ke's face instantly stiffened, and her mind went completely blank. Ha, that really is a coincidence. To think I share the same name as the Imperial Princess, what a coincidence. Shui Ke was somewhat flustered, letting out a hollow laugh and squeezing out an awkward and clumsy smile. Chin Moyu couldn't help laughing inwardly, but he didn't expose her on the spot. Instead, he left a trolling remark in his diary. The coincidences in this world are truly bizarre. Shui Ke happened to appear in Soto City, happened to run into me, and deliberately concealed her imperial identity. Could it be that this little Heaven-Do princess is really plotting against me, wanting to harvest my kidneys? Douluo I Shui Ke. Douluo I Shui Ke, it's over. I can't explain this clearly anymore. Douluo I Shui Ke, what should I do? Sister Rongrong, are you there? Come quickly to the entrance of Shrek to save me. Just as Shui Ke was so embarrassed that her toes were curling into a 3-bedroom 1-living-room apartment, a crisp and lively maiden's voice suddenly came from inside the gates of Shrek. Younger sister Shui Ke, is it really you? As soon as the voice fell, a pretty and lively figure hopped and skipped out. The young girl wore an exquisite cyan green dress, her skin was as white and flawless as snow, and she possessed a quirky and eccentric temperament. It was precisely Ning Rongrong, who happened to have nothing to do and had come out for some fresh air. Ning Rongrong naturally linked her arm with Shui Ke's, her movements affectionate. Didn't you say you planned to go outside the city to relax? To think you secretly ran over to Shrek to see me without telling me in advance. Shui Ke's eyes instantly lit up, and she smiled sweetly, saying, it just happened to be on the way, so I came over to see you and give you a surprise. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, Ning Rongrong's lively almond-shaped eyes turned and fell upon Chin Moyu, who stood aside with an extraordinary temperament. Her tone carried a hint of curiosity. Who is this? Chin Moyu smiled, waved his hand, and said, Mo as in unfamiliar, you as in jade. Did Shui Ke really come to Shrek to visit a friend? The original work did mention that Crown Prince Shui Qing of the Heaven-Do Empire became a disciple of Ning Fengji. Shui Ke probably knew this little witch Ning Rongrong since childhood. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, what? How am I a little witch? This young lady has been gentle, well-behaved, and sensible since childhood, alright. To be honest, I initially had quite a high favorability towards this little princess of the 7 treasure glazed tile school. Especially after seeing her with my own eyes, Ning Rongrong truly lives up to being one of the 3 beauties of Shrek. Douluo I Shui Ke, sister Rongrong. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, it's not like that, sister. Shui Ke, you must not overthink it. I really don't have the slightest thought about your brother Mo Yu. Douluo I Shui Ke, I didn't even ask you about that. In fact, many people like the character Ning Rongrong. She is inherently the most talented genius of the 7 treasure glazed tile school, and also the only daughter held in the palm of Sect Master Ning Fengji's hand, with 2 titled Douluo grandfathers by her side. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, so that's how it is, I thought it was like that. Actually, I am no exception either. Douluo I Ning Rongrong. Douluo I Shui Ke, sister Rongrong, you are. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, younger sister Shui Ke, listen to my explanation. It really isn't what you think. Shui Ke's eyes on the side quietly dimmed, and she cautiously pulled back a little distance from Ning Rongrong. Is this what talent means? Clearly she was the first to come into contact with Brother Mo Yu, yet Sister Rongrong merely stood there and easily obtained the admission ticket. Clearly I came first. Shui Kei's mood was extremely complicated. She suddenly remembered the words her father once exhorted. For a boy, the impression of the first girl who walks into his life is the deepest. In a trance, Dai Yun'er's earnest exhortation suddenly rang in Shui Kei's ears. A good match is not waited for, but must be fought for by oneself. Chapter 48 Tang San's return. Du Gubo's changes. To put things in perspective, Jin Moyu did not notice the subtle changes between the two good friends. Ning Rongrong is truly a top-tier wealthy woman of the Douluo continent, and the 7 treasure glazed tile school monopolizes more than half of the continent's wealth and top-tier connections. If I could live off a woman like her, I'd be willing even if it meant riding in luxury cars and living in luxury mansions. However, speaking of the Shrek 3 beauties, Zhu Zuqing, Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong, these 3 great beauties each have their own stunning charm. Objectively speaking, although Ning Rongrong's chest cannot compare to Zhu Zuqing's, and her legs cannot compare to Xiao Wu's, Douluo won Ning Rongrong. But Ning Rongrong has precious treasures, with the dual amplification of the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda, first for strength, second for speed. With the buffs stacked to the max, I don't even dare to imagine what kind of experience that would be. As soon as these words came out, Ning Rongrong completely lost her composure and hurriedly stepped forward to change the subject. Sister Shui Kei, Brother Mo Yu, since you're already here, would you like to come inside the academy and sit for a while? Shui Kei remained silent, her gaze quietly turning towards Jin Moyu. Facing Ning Rongrong's invitation, Jin Moyu shook his head gently and said in a calm tone, I won't go in to sit, and I have no intention of enrolling in Shrek Academy. Hearing that Jin Moyu did not plan to join Shrek Academy, Shui Kei instantly breathed a huge sigh of relief in her heart. Sister Rongrong, I'm sorry. Although we are the best of sisters, on this matter, I will not back down. Shui Kei muttered inwardly. Immediately afterwards, Shui Kei hurriedly spoke, a trace of expectation hidden in the depths of her eyes. Brother Mo Yu, since you don't like it here, why don't you go to Heavendo Imperial Academy? The environment and teaching staff of Heavendo Imperial Academy are very good, and it is also a top-tier academy on the Douluo continent. Shui Kei patted her barren chest with her small hand and said proudly, my family elders happen to know the teachers of Heavendo Imperial Academy. When the time comes, I can recommend you for direct admission, waiving all examinations. Heavendo Imperial Academy. Jin Moyu thought to himself. Originally, he only planned to come to Shrek to confirm the timeline, and then use the authority of the time dimension of the core of the end to steal the immortal herbs from Tang San's hands from a past timeline. Immediately afterwards, as if remembering something, he casually asked, right, I heard that Shrek has a genius student named Tang San. Is he still in the academy? As soon as these words were uttered, the atmosphere at the scene quietly grew silent. Ning Rongrong, who had just been full of joy, instantly dropped her little face and said helplessly, Tang San. He is not in the academy. Ning Rongrong sighed slightly. He was forcibly taken away by a titled Douluo expert. A trace of understanding flashed in the depths of Jin Moyu's eyes, but he feigned surprise and said, titled Douluo. Shrek Academy can actually attract a titled Douluo to personally come and snatch someone away. You said it. Speaking of this matter, Ning Rongrong immediately opened the chatterbox. That person is poisoned Douluo Dugubo, and his temper is extremely eccentric. Without saying another word, he snatched Tang San away, and there was simply no stopping him. She paused, and added with a slightly eased tone, however, yesterday Dina Long and several teachers went out overnight and only came back early this morning. The teachers told us a sentence that Tang San is fine and told everyone not to worry too much, but they were unwilling to say much about the specific situation. Hearing this, Jin Moyu understood instantly in his heart. Tang San has already been kidnapped by Dugubo to the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well for a vacation. At this point in time, Tang San most likely absorbed the octagonal mysterious ice grass and the blazing apricot delicate, 2 immortal herbs, tempering his physical body into a constitution that is impervious to water and fire, and immune to all poisons. I wonder when Tang San will return. Why don't I sneak over to the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well tonight and steal all of Tang San's immortal herbs? Because Ning Rongrong's tone was very natural, Jin Moyu didn't even realize that Ning Rongrong directly called Tang San by his name instead of Brother San. Just as he was plotting secretly, outside Shrek Academy, a steady sound of footsteps came from far to near, accompanied by a cold and piercing poisonous mist drifting with the wind. The white-haired old man at the head was none other than poisoned Douluo Dugubo. A faint green poisonous gas lingered around his body. Without deliberately releasing his pressure, the oppressive feeling of a titled Douluo hit them head-on. And beside him was Tang San, who had been missing for a long time. Tang San looked ordinary, and his clothes were stained with quite a bit of dust, but his complexion looked very stable. In fact, his overall spirit and vitality were even more full than before, and he didn't look like someone who had been kidnapped and looked wretched at all. Behind Dugubo, a petite light green figure closely followed, who was none other than Du Guyan. At this time, Du Guyan's cheeks were puffed out, and her face was full of dissatisfaction and depression. Along the way, she had painstakingly persuaded her grandfather for a long time to guard against Tang San and not easily trust outsiders, but Dugubo went in one ear and out the other the whole way, not taking it to heart at all. Especially since Tang San had given Dugubo a pair of eccentric gadgets called mother and child chasing soul-depriving pellets. Such exquisite toxic hidden weapons completely subdued Dugubo with Tang San's mindset and methods. Dugubo completely laid down his arrogant personality, becoming close friends with Tang San. Every other word was, little freak, and he couldn't go half a sentence without mentioning, old poisonous ghost. Du Guyan followed beside them, so angry that her teeth itched, yet she was helpless. She always felt that her grandfather had been put under a curse, and the whole person suddenly didn't have the slightest ability to think. It's Senior Dugu, Tang San is back. Inside Shrek Academy, the crowd of students instantly erupted in an uproar. Almost at the same time, Lu Erlong and Flender supporting Yu Xiaogang, the 3 of them rushed out of the inner courtyard quickly, followed by a group of teaching teachers, everyone's face carrying a trace of awe and worry. Yu Xiaogang rushed to the front of Tang San for the first time, raised his hand to pat his shoulder, confirming that he was safe and sound. His hanging heart completely dropped, and he let out a long sigh of relief. Little San. You're finally back, it's good that you're fine. Flender closely followed behind, bowing and cupping his hands towards Dugubo with a respectful attitude. Many thanks to Senior Dugu for showing mercy and protecting the safety of our student. At this moment, Tang San was still completely unaware that he had been targeted by someone, and was still calculating the immortal herbs he had harvested this time. He bowed slightly to the group of teachers and saluted. It has made all the teachers worry. Flender's attention had always stayed on Dugubo and the young girl beside him. Hearing this, he finally withdrew his gaze. Little San, how is it? Senior Dugu didn't make things difficult for you, did he? Tang San shook his head gently and said, Senior Dugu did not make things difficult for me, but instead meticulously guided me in a lot of knowledge regarding poisons. As his voice fell, he dropped a piece of news that shocked everyone. Dean, Senior Douluo has already agreed and is willing to serve as a titular consultant for our Shrek Academy. I wonder if the Academy accepts. As soon as these words came out, all the teachers and students of Shrek Academy present showed expressions of shock on their faces. A dignified title Douluo, the illustrious poison Douluo Dugubo, was actually willing to condescend to enter this crude monster academy and serve as a consultant. Even Heaven Do Imperial Academy, the #1 academy of the Heaven Do Empire, did not have a title Douluo expert holding down the fort. Dugubo glanced at the group of Shrek people before him, not caring about everyone's exclamation at all, and simply said indifferently, since I have promised the little freak, I will not break my word. I'll just hold the title of consultant for the time being. A simple injunction predetermined the identity of the consultant and also gave Tang San plenty of face. Chapter 49, Do you believe in gravity? Just as the voice fell, Dugubo cast a casual glance around, inadvertently landing on the charismatic Chin Moyu not far away, and his expression paused slightly. Shui Kei, why is she standing with a strange youth? Dugubo secretly sized up Chin Moyu in his heart. The exposed spirit power of the youth before him was unremarkable, yet when facing his title Douluo coercion, he could manage to remain completely unconstrained. This composure was indeed extraordinary. Dugubo secretly kept an eye out in his heart. Flender at the side stepped forward to lead the way, preparing to take Dugubo to rest in the inner courtyard. At this moment, Dugubo turned around to look at Duguyan, his tone full of doting. Yan Yan, do you want to come inside and rest with me? Grandpa, I won't go in. Duguyan shook her head, looking at Shui Kei not far away. I already made plans with Shui Kei earlier, I'll just go back by myself later. Dugubo had always doted on this only granddaughter, plus today he formed a faithful friendship across generations with Tang San, making his mood exceptionally pleasant, so he casually exhorted, alright then, Yan Yan, go ahead and play with peace of mind. If you encounter any trouble, just drop your grandpa's name. Got it, Grandpa, Duguyan obediently replied. Watching Dugubo and Flender leave until they completely disappeared from sight, the obedient expression disguised on Duguyan's face quietly faded away. Sigh, impossible to carry. Grandpa trusts Tang San too much. I wonder if Lord Moyu can. At this thought, she turned her head to look at Chin Moyu not far away. Duguyan. Where did he go? Duguyan was somewhat stunned. In her line of sight, she only saw Shui Kei and Ning Rongrong chatting and laughing, but did not see the figure of Chin Moyu at all, as if from beginning to end, that figure had never existed. At the same time, a strange atmosphere quietly enveloped the entire Shrek Academy. I do not know since when, the sound of the wind by her ear gradually grew faint, the dust floating in the air hung suspended in midair, and everything between heaven and earth was slowing down against common sense. What was strange was that Duguyan felt the surrounding time gradually coming to a stop, yet her consciousness was becoming increasingly clear, and within her spiritual sea of consciousness, the light of that copy of the Heaven's Diary flickered more and more. On the other side, Tang San was surrounded by teachers and a group of students. They were chatting about their experiences during this period, completely unaware that the surrounding environment had quietly undergone an inexplicable change. Shrek Academy remained as lively as ever. Tang San was enthusiastically surrounded in the center by a group of teachers and students, with topics coming one after another. Tang San, you're finally back. During the days you weren't at the academy, my goddess Xiao Wu was depressed all day long, and even her favorite carrots weren't delicious anymore. QWQ. Awesome. Later when Tang San has no strength, remember to help push him a bit. Tang San, how much has your spirit power improved following Dugubo for this trial? Tang San, how did you manage to get Dugubo to willingly run over to our academy to be a consulting teacher? Tang San, I heard that Dugubo's poison techniques are peerless across the Douluo continent. Did you learn a trick or two? Tang San, so awesome. With a title Douluo holding down the fort from now on, our Shrek will take off directly. Tang San, can you help us get Senior Dugu's signature? Tang San, Tang. All kinds of shouts were endless. Tang San, surrounded in the crowd, maintained a polite smile, occasionally answering the classmates' doubts. However, gradually, everything around began to quietly collapse and distort. The clear words by his ear gradually twisted. Clearly everyone was close at hand, yet the voices became intermittent and blurry. Countless cries of Tang San overlapped together, eventually kneading into a blurry hum that slowly dissipated. Tang San's eyes were dazed. The sun in the sky still hung high, yet that light falling on his body lacked that warm feeling, instead exuding a bone-chilling coldness that made one's heart run cold. This is wrong. Could it be an illusion? Since when? The expression on Tang San's face instantly froze, his brows tightly knitted, and alarm bells rang loudly in his heart. In an instant, the spirit power within his body quietly circulated, and he raised his hand to touch the 24 moonlit bridges at his waist, his Zug crossbow hidden weapons ready to deploy. Just as Tang San's nerves were taut and he was guarding his surrounding environment with all his heart, an indifferent, ethereal voice came from high above without warning. An illusion, that's not it. This is merely a trivial means, achieving a pause in the rate of time flow by interfering with gravity, a fundamental force of the universe. This ethereal voice was clear and plain, as if merely casually recounting a trivial matter, yet every word and sentence was subverting the cultivation common sense of the spirit master system on the Douluo continent. The voice paused slightly, carrying a hint of playfulness, and he dropped a soul-searching question full of philosophical meaning. Tang San, do you believe in gravity? The philosophical meaning of this sentence had an effect equivalent to, why do birds fly? In an instant, this sentence exploded like a thunderclap in the depths of Tang San's consciousness. Tang San's pupils suddenly and violently trembled. He abruptly raised his head, his face completely covered by shock and disbelief. High above, he saw two bizarre figures. To be precise, that was a strange creature that was half human and half horse, along with a weirdly flickering human figure. Under the sunshine, the figure of the youth who had just spoken, his figure had never been stable for a moment, his blurry outline and time after images constantly alternating, making it completely impossible to see the other's true form clearly. This was an anomaly that Tang San had never seen and could not understand in his 2 lives as a human. He immediately activated the purple demon eye, purple light flashing in the depths of his eyes, attempting to see through the mist, but the usually invincible purple demon eye could do nothing at this moment, unable to clearly see the other party's appearance. Amidst the unseen, for some reason, a brand new concept suddenly emerged in Tang San's mind. Time. The birth of this concept was very abrupt, yet incomparably real. Just like a mortal rashly staring directly at an unspeakable Cthulhu deity, the brain would passively receive occult knowledge. It was just that the dimensional concept of time had a relatively minor impact and would not produce mental pollution of the great old one's deity system. At this time, the confusion in Tang San's heart vanished, and he also understood the truth behind the other party's blurry figure. The reason why the Yu's figure in the high altitude was drifting and uncertain was precisely because the flow of time was too fast, causing time after images to overlap, which led to the figure frequently flickering to the point of blurriness. The only thing that could be clearly seen was that strange creature whose upper body was human-shaped and lower body merged with a white horse's physique, wearing a mask with a single giant clock pupil, having no extra expression, with a strange aura emerging all over its body, and bright golden and glowing white clocks carved on its surface. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, 6th Spirit Ability, Made in Heaven. Chapter 50, Tang-san, you and I hit it off at first sight. The flow of real-world time fell into a pause, and only the consciousness of a certain group of people could transcend the shackles of time. Diary duplicate comment section. Douluo I Guyan, what happened, why can't I move? Douluo I Ning wrong. Actually, it's not that we can't move, but that time has been paused. It's just that we have the diary duplicate, so we can clearly see every move of Brother Moyu at this moment. Douluo I Shuike, I see. I just heard Brother Moyu mention it in the diary earlier, about borrowing the power of the core of the Herrscher of the End, future power reinforcement or something. Duoluo IV Yilingtong. Holy cow, instantly activating sage mode. Duoluo Tu Shu Tianjun. To be honest, I'm a bit dazed and completely don't understand what's going on. Duoluo Tu Shu Tianjun. From what I can see right now, besides the time pause and a half-human, half-horse figure appearing out of thin air beside Brother Moyu, it feels like there are no other abnormalities. Duoluo Tu Meng Hongchen. Isn't that abnormal enough? Time pause. This ability is a bit exaggerated. Duoluo Tu Meng Hongchen. Look at the diary screen, everyone else stopped in place, and only Tang-san and Brother Moyu's actions are unrestricted. This is already god-level power, right? Duoluo I Yilingling. It's worth noting that I can't move here at Heaven Do Imperial Academy either. Duoluo Tu Xiao Xiao. Brother Moyu, awesome. Duoluo I Shui Yuer. Actually, I can't move either. My first reaction just now was thinking I ran into a time pause series. Duoluo I Shui Binger. Sister, you should read fewer of these unhealthy books on ordinary days. Duoluo I Huo Wu. You have the nerve to say her, you haven't peeked less yourself. Duoluo I Jian Runshui. I've roughly sorted it out. Generally speaking, under the condition of time stopping, everyone's consciousness will be frozen. Duoluo I Jian Runshui. But because of the existence of the diary duplicate, our consciousness can keep running, and following Brother Moyu's perspective, we witness firsthand what happened during this period of time pause. Duoluo I Jian Runshui. A God King class spirit, truly terrifying. Duoluo Tu Yigui. A God King class spirit, truly terrifying. Duoluo 3 Dai Yunner, +1. Duoluo IV Lan Mengchen. No, so you guys only saw the surface appearance of time pause. Did you not notice something that becomes terrifying upon deep thought? Duoluo IV Bai Shosho. Mengchen, what did you discover? Elaborate in detail. Duoluo IV Lan Mengchen. The truly terrifying parts are the two key points, the core of the Herrscher of the End, and borrowing power from the future self. Duoluo IV Lan Mengchen. First of all, the first point, Brother Moyu can borrow the power of his future self. This in itself clinches an ironclad fact, Brother Moyu's future is real and absolutely existent. Duoluo IV Lan Mengchen. Then, is it because the future already existed, or is it that Brother Moyu's actions in the current timeline have anchored the destined existence of the future? Duoluo IV Lan Mengchen. Secondly, how did the power of the future cross time to be lent to Brother Moyu? The strength of the future complete form Brother Moyu probably exceeds the limits of our imagination. Duoluo IV Bai Shosho. Holy cow, why didn't you say so earlier? Duoluo I Guyan. I see. I thought starting with time stop was already exaggerated enough, didn't expect there to be such deep thinking. Duoluo 3 Dai Yunner. How does Lan Mengchen's viewpoint sound a bit familiar? Holy cow, isn't this the eternal verification of a single proof, rule of the diary duplicate? Duoluo 3 Dai Yunner. The eternal verification of a single proof is actually real. This is truly terrifying upon deep thought. Duoluo 3 Dai Yunner. Epsilon equals Omicron _ asterisk Psi tilde I really envy little sister Shuike. Why didn't a strong expert with handsome looks and top-tier strength like Brother Moyu appear in my era? Duoluo 3 Dai Yunner. Little sister Shuike, how about we swap? I don't ask for much, just to stay in your era for a day. Or an hour. An hour might not be enough. Onigai tilde I beg you tilde. Duoluo I Shuike. Sorry, not swapping. But you did remind me. ... Time pause. To be precise, the core ability of Made in Heaven is to interfere with the universe's fundamental force, gravity, thereby realizing its own time flow rate and reaching an infinite time singularity. And under this infinite value for the outside world, it is the so-called time pause. At this moment, the entire Douluo I plane fell into a time pause state. Between heaven and earth, only two figures were confronting each other. To be precise, it was a unilateral crushing. Tang-san stared intently at the flickering, shifting between illusory and real teenage figure high in the air, his heart beating violently. Without the slightest hesitation, a cold light flashed from the 24 moonlit bridges at Tang-san's waist, the soft click of mechanical gears locking silently bloomed, and the Zug crossbow erupted instantly. Whoosh whoosh. 16 sharp refined iron bolts, carrying formidable penetrating power, accurately locked onto Chin Moyu's figure and sealed off all his dodging directions. Dense, piercing whistles of breaking wind resounded, and due to the infinite acceleration of time, the speed of the Zug crossbow piercing through the air almost reached the speed of light. But in the next second, a bizarre scene completely subverted Tang-san's cognition. Clearly the crossbow bolts were close at hand, clearly they had already touched Chin Moyu's figure, yet the bolts all passed through without the slightest obstruction, finally piercing into the fluffy clouds in the distance. It wasn't preemptive dodging, it wasn't faster speed. It was time displacement. At this moment, Chin Moyu was forever situated in the crevices of time. His time flow rate far exceeded this realm and earth. Attacks like Tang-san's attack trajectory and landing spot prediction were as slow as standstill in his eyes. Tang-san's all-out assault and every precise fatal angle all fell upon a timeline that had long since passed, unable to even touch a corner of Chin Moyu's clothing. For Chin Moyu in this state, the only way to kill him would be like Emporio in JoJo, toxins or pure oxygen, nothing more. Tang-san's pupils shrank sharply, and a chill instantly swept through his entire body. The purple demon eye operated at full power, but in his field of vision, he could still only capture overlapping blurred afterimages, completely unable to lock onto Chin Moyu's true body. High above in the sky, that flickering teenage figure let out a bantering sneer. Tang-san, you and I hit it off at first sight, I didn't expect you to be so enthusiastic. It's just a pity that time is limited right now, and I can't stay and play with you properly. But don't rush, there's plenty of time, the days ahead will only get more and more interesting tilde. The instant the words fell, an aura surpassing the spirit system of Douluo continent and originating from genes instantly permeated the air. Behind Qin Moyu, the figure of a spirit gradually emerged, precisely the core of the Herrscher of Reason, under the spirit form. The next moment, 7 extremely dazzling spirit rings rose from the bottom of the divine core, hanging high in the vast sky, dazzling and eye-catching. Purple, black, red, scarlet, gold. The 7 spirit rings unfolded sequentially, distinct in color and supremely shocking. How is that possible? At this moment, Tang San's brain completely crashed, his entire body stiffened in place, his pupils trembled to the extreme, and his face was filled with utter disbelief. The first spirit ring is a 1,000-year one, the second spirit ring is actually a 10,000-year spirit ring, and there are even 100,000-year spirit rings. How can this be possible? Didn't Grandmaster say that the maximum age for a spirit master's first spirit ring is only 423 years? Chapter 51. From this moment on, time begins to accelerate. At the same time, the diary copy comment section. Xu Tianzhen from Douluo 2. What is going on? Isn't Brother Mo Yu a 3-ring spirit elder? How did he suddenly become a 7-ring spirit saint? Lan Mengchen from Douluo IV. Perhaps this is the future self Brother Mo Yu mentioned. Is the 7-ring cultivation realm manifested at this moment a temporary power borrowed from the future? Bai Shosho from Douluo IV. This is simply a bit unbelievable. The future self is cheating for the present self. Bai Shosho from Douluo IV. This kind of cultivation system, isn't it just a bit too outrageous? All things considered, how many days has Brother Mo Yu been on the Douluo continent? He can reach this level in just 3 days. Xu Xiaoyan from Douluo 3. The time dimension is magical. Although even until now, I still haven't fully understood Brother Mo Yu's cultivation system. Xu Juju from Douluo 2. I just want to know, is there really no cost to this power that spans time? There is no free lunch in this world. Shui Yuer from Douluo I. So powerful strength requires a price. Xu Juju from Douluo 2. 6. Shui Binger from Douluo I. So far, no negative impacts can be seen. Yi Lingling from Douluo I. Actually, is there a possibility that this kind of inconceivable is considered ordinary in the eyes of 4-dimensional creatures who can overlook the timeline? Yi Lingling from Douluo I. This is a dimensional strike, babe. Think back to the concepts about dimensions and dimensional strikes that Brother Mo Yu once mentioned. Yi Lingling from Douluo I. To be honest, if Brother Mo Yu wasn't still in the 3-dimensional universe himself, I feel he could already effortlessly manipulate the entire Douluo continent. Shui K from Douluo I. Now that you mention it, I feel that my previous speculation happened to be correct. Every time Brother Mo Yu acquires a spirit ring, is he just taking back the authority of the 4-dimensional technology, divine core? Huo Wu from Douluo I. I didn't expect Brother Mo Yu to start equipping 100,000-year spirit rings by his 4th and 5th spirit rings. The vast majority of titled Douluo powerhouses on the continent might not even be able to gather a single 100,000-year spirit ring in their lifetime. Huo Wu from Douluo I. Having said that, what is the origin of this golden spirit ring? Does anyone know? Xiao Xiao from Douluo 2. Teacher Wang Yan once told us that, according to historical records, the founder of the Tang sect, Sea God Tang San, had a blue-silver emperor spirit whose 9th spirit ring was precisely blue-golden, while one of the clear sky hammer spirit rings was dark crimson gold. This is the legendary million-year god-grade spirit ring. Dai Yunner from Douluo 3. I dare say, this is definitely a million-year spirit ring. Xu Tianzhen from Douluo 2. A million-year spirit ring. Over the past 10,000 years on the entire Douluo continent, there has only been a single instance of Sea God Tang San. Qian Runshui from Douluo I. Qian Runshui from Douluo I. So, does future history no longer contain records of Spirit Hall? The spirit rings of our ancestor, the angel god, were also brilliantly golden million-year spirit rings. Xiao Xiao from Douluo 2. The surviving history books uniformly record that Spirit Hall was once an evil organization attempting to monopolize the continent, while the bright and righteous Sea God Tang San successfully overthrew this church that ravaged the continent. Meng Hongchen from Douluo 2. Indeed, it is like that. Not only on the Douluo continent side, but even the common people of the Sun and Moon Empire have great faith in Sea God Tang San. Meng Hongchen from Douluo 2. It is said that the Crown Prince of the Sun and Moon Empire even wants to go to Shrek Academy to pay respects to the place where Sea God Tang San once grew up. Qian Runshui from Douluo I. Meanwhile, looking down at Tang San, whose worldview was on the verge of collapsing, Qin Moyu's voice carried a hint of mockery. Tang San, you are as respectful to your teachers as ever, and ridiculously stubborn. You even blindly believe in Yu Xiaoging's full of loopholes theories. Tang San's entire body trembled violently, and his heart was instantly startled. How is that possible? Could it be mind reading? From beginning to end, he hadn't spoken a single word of those 8 characters, so why did that man clearly know the thoughts in his heart? Qin Moyu did not explain. This was merely analyzing Tang San's true thoughts based on his violently excited brainwaves and the noticeably changing micro-expressions on his face. Inner voice. In essence, it was simply signals released by biological brainwaves. At this very moment, Qin Moyu raised his eyes, his gaze falling upon the half-man, half-horse stand by his side. Its entire body was carved with brilliant golden precision clocks, and a single giant clock eye apathetically overlooked the earth, surrounded by the rule aura of controlling gravity. Made in heaven. In his heart, he vaguely had a guess. Why would the spirit ability of the core of the Herrscher of Reason give birth to such an abstract concept? High up in the sky, the flickering figure of substance and illusion slightly raised its eyes, its indifferent voice echoing here. Tang San, you can be considered quite lucky. Throughout the 50,000 years of the Douluo continent, you are the first spirit master to witness firsthand the time-dimensional authority of this stand. Receive this honor with a grateful heart. The moment the words fell, Made in Heaven, by his side suddenly awoke. The centaur body that had been standing quietly began to turn its brilliant golden clock. Qin Moyu leaned backward, one hand pressing against his chest over his heart, while the other hand stretched and reached outward. The cold, mechanical prompt sound of the dark plane Herrscher rang in Qin Moyu's ears. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, all systems executing normally. From this moment on, time begins to accelerate. As the words fell, the spirit power within Qin Moyu's body instantly consumed crazily. Above the vast sky, 7 spirit rings erupted with scorching radiance. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, 6th spirit ability, Made in Heaven. Dong. In an instant, the roaring chime of a giant bell resounded between heaven and earth. The imagery of the entire world suddenly lost its color, leaving only monotonous black and white to the extreme, permeated everywhere with an aura of withering. When time accelerated to the singularity, theoretically, the spectacle of a universe reboot would be born. The old world line would collapse and break down, subsequently giving rise to a completely new parallel world line. This was the time acceleration ability of Made in Heaven. As for Qin Moyu, he allowed time to continue accelerating, and when time surpassed the concept of the singularity, the timeline began to reverse infinitely. When things reach an extreme, they reverse, time was no exception. And if put in scientific terms, the accurate explanation was relativity. For example, black holes and white holes, these two extremely opposing cosmic celestial bodies. A black hole is a singularity with infinitely small volume and infinitely large density, a celestial body formed by quantitative changes causing qualitative changes to collapse. Its gravitational pull is so strong that not even light can escape. If someone accidentally fell into a black hole, then that person's 1 second of time might experience hundreds of millions of years, and this process of death would be infinitely prolonged. Symmetrical to it was the white hole. A white hole is simply a black hole with time flowing backward. A black hole devours everything, returning all things to extinction, which conforms to the statement of cosmic entropy increase. A white hole erupts everything, returning all annihilated things in full, which is an act against entropy. From the perspective of a white hole, you have never died. Anything that fell into a black hole, deceased relatives, vanished civilizations, dissipated everything, would be spat out from the white hole completely intact. The concept of the white hole is a cosmic law confirmed by Einstein's theory of relativity, calculated mathematically, and theoretically a celestial body that must exist. And the previous celestial body confirmed by this theory of relativity was precisely the black hole. As long as the equations of this theory of relativity allowed black holes to exist, then conceptually white holes must also exist. This is a concept that cannot be erased mathematically, unless mathematics no longer exists. Chapter 52. The world allows consciousness to match new containers, but does not allow containers to collect dissipating consciousness. The next moment, the entire world of black and white tones completely initiated a rewind. Everything around Shrek Academy began to endlessly rewind, staging a miracle that defied the common sense of the mortal world. The withered yellow fallen leaves scattered on the ground floated up against gravity, precisely slotting back into the fresh branch gaps, and the decaying leaves turned from withered yellow to forest green at a speed visible to the naked eye. The pattering rain that had just fallen from the sky instantly surged back into the dark clouds above, and the damp ground instantly became dry, as if it had never rained at all. Meanwhile, the frozen teachers and students of Shrek below were in an even more bizarre state. The smiles that had just bloomed on everyone's faces bizarrely and gradually disappeared. Immediately afterwards, countless figures stepped out in unison, resembling Michael's moonwalk, absurdly walking backward. Tang San stood frozen in place, his eyes staring dead at everything that subverted his cognition, his expression shifting step by step from initial shock to numbness and bewilderment. At this moment, he was like a marionette, his body out of control, passively drifting backward with the flowing back time. No matter how he urged his mysterious heaven skill, inner force and spirit power, he could change nothing. This was not an illusion, but Tang San desperately wished that this truly was a bizarre and grotesque dream. Is this something a seven-ring spirit saint can do? What on earth kind of heaven-defying spirit is this? Not only that, Tang San discovered with horror that even his memories were gradually retreating backwards. The time-stop anomaly he had witnessed firsthand, the eerie centaur figure of Maid in Heaven, and the shock of the 7 spirit rings were being peeled away from Tang San's mind bit by bit, as if he had never experienced them at all. Meanwhile, unlike the crude time acceleration of Maid in Heaven, Jin Moyu, relying on the temporal authority of the core of the Herrscher of Reason, infinitely accelerated time into a rewind, which would not cause the collapse of the entire world. Time was flowing backward rather than accelerating forward, so the world naturally would not collapse. However, this means of time acceleration also would not resurrect the people who happened to die during this period. When time returned to normal, these departed people would only mechanically repeat their actions before death. They did not know why they were doing this, nor could they realize anything strange. After all, they were just containers that were accidentally resurrected. The world allows consciousness to match new containers, but does not allow containers to collect dissipating consciousness. After a person dies, their consciousness may transfer to a new body, but already dissipated consciousness cannot be collected or resurrected. In other words, a resurrected person will never be their former complete self. Some dissipated things will inevitably be lost from them. From this perspective, there is actually a possibility of whitewashing the evil deeds committed by the resurrected sea god Tang San over the next tens of thousands of years. Doge. Meanwhile, memories were also constantly receding. The only ones who could retain memories of this time-stop period, besides Jin Moyu himself who possessed the stand Maid in Heaven, were the images recorded by the diary copy. This scene of time rewinding was extremely similar to the scene when the core of the Herrscher of Reason first analyzed a gold coin. From initially only being able to trace back images from memory to now rewinding the entire world, the core of the Herrscher of Reason had indeed reclaimed the authority belonging to itself, belonging to the fourth dimension of time. Under Jin Moyu's precise regulation, the world line finally stopped at a few days ago, at the ice and fire yin-yang well filled with rare and precious immortal herbs everywhere. Sunset Forest. In the center of the medicinal garden, Douluo stood with his hands behind his back, his gaze carrying scrutiny. Little freak, are you truly willing to help me detoxify? Aren't you afraid that after the detoxification, I will turn around and silence you? Believe it or not, I am naturally not repulsed by poison. Tang San's expression was firm, his eyes full of confidence. I can tell you clearly, if you kill me, there will be no second person in the world who can detoxify your granddaughter Du Guyan. No one understands poison better than me. Douluo's eyes turned sharp, and he said in a deep voice, good. Arrogant enough. Since you are so certain, let me see whether you, little freak, are spouting nonsense or truly have the ability. As his voice fell, Douluo opened his mouth, and a glossy, emerald green bead was spat out. This is the natal poison pellet condensed after my spirit, the jade phosphor serpent, evolved. Eat it. Tang San's mouth twitched slightly, and his expression almost couldn't hold. Are you kidding me, old freak? Spat out of your mouth and then you want me to swallow it? Isn't this a bit disgusting? Humph, as long as you don't harbor crooked thoughts and peace of mind to treat the poison, this poison pellet will only have immense benefits for your cultivation. Douluo snorted coldly and said, once you cure my poison, I naturally have a way to guide it out of your body. This. Tang San looked at the emerald green poison bead in front of him, remaining silent. Tang San, can eating it really make me stronger? Douluo, don't talk, keep eating. Tang San raised his hand to take it, tossed the poison pellet into his mouth, and swallowed it. Afterward, he felt a warm sensation in his dantian, his complexion instantly became much rosier, and his whole body felt indescribably comfortable, making him let out a soft hum. Meanwhile, Jin Moyu, who had stayed in the cracks of time throughout the entire process, completely lost it after watching this whole routine, his eyes full of disgust. What kind of ghostly operation is this? Douluo actually spat his own natal inner core out of his mouth and then made Tang San open his mouth to eat it. This picture is just too disgusting. When my brain realized what it had seen, it was already too late, Utilda. Jin Moyu felt a wave of nausea in his heart. In the diary copy comment section, a crowd of heroines watched the recorded images with their own eyes and couldn't help but speak out to roast. Guo Douluo, damn, this is a bit grotesque. To be clear, did Senior Douluo brush his teeth? Douluo Douluo Uowu, what do you mean? Believe it or not, I'll go offline and reality check you right now. Douluo sighed, but I finally understand now why Grandpa trusted Tang San so much from the very beginning. Douluo, putting aside the possibility that the protagonist of Destiny might lower Grandpa's intelligence, if it weren't for Brother Mo Yu, it would indeed be just as Tang San said, only he could cure the poison on me. Shui Ke Douluo, indeed, although Tang San's character isn't that great, this hand of poison skills is at least recognized by Douluo. Shui Ke Douluo at Dai Yunner Douluo 3, is that medicine really not considered poison? Dai Yunner Douluo 3, rest assured, I used, a friend of mine used it before, and the effect was super effective. Shu Tianjun Douluo 2, what are you guys talking about? Shout Douluo 2, could it be? Yi Lingling Douluo, speaking of which, Yanzi, don't you think this is very cute to ship? Yi Lingling Douluo, indirect kiss. This should be Tang San's first kiss, right? Shui Yu or Douluo, fascinating. Sister Huowu, you're late. Tang San's first kiss already belongs to Senior Dugubo. Huowu Douluo. Duguyan Douluo. Chapter 53, excuse me. On the other side, Jin Moyu shook his head, trying to forget this memory. Time rewound once more, and this time, it traced back to when Tang San was kidnapped by Dugubo and first entered the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. Inside the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well at this moment, searing currents of air intertwined with frigid cold chi, and rare immortal herbs grew all over the ground. Tang San's movement technique was agile as he stepped using the ghost shadow perplexing track, impatiently darting toward the two immortal herbs, the octagonal mysterious ice grass and the blazing apricot delicate, preparing to consume the two top-tier immortal herbs to temper his body before stepping into the ice and fire mandarin duck pot to soak. At this moment, Jin Moyu's mind stirred, and the time-dimensional authority belonging exclusively to Maid in Heaven activated once again. The authority of the time dimension manifested on the core of the Herrscher of Reason spirit specifically in two aspects, King Crimson for time erasure and Maid in Heaven for time acceleration, deriving time pause and time reversal. The next moment, the sound of the surrounding wind vanished, the swaying flowers and plants froze, and the surging lake water came to a complete standstill. Tang San, who was executing the ghost shadow perplexing track, froze entirely in midair, his pair of milky white mysterious jade hands just a step away from the blazing apricot delicate in the octagonal mysterious ice grass. Excuse me. Jin Moyu walked with a composed gait, his pitch black figure flashing past as the blazing apricot delicate in the octagonal mysterious ice grass instantly vanished from the spring. With a flick of his hand, the two top-tier immortal items were successfully acquired. The blazing apricot delicate and the octagonal mysterious ice grass are still just two immortal herbs that have not yet given birth to spiritual wisdom. It looks like they haven't formed a 100,000-year plant-type spirit beast. Jin Moyu understood in his heart, and his gaze swept over the entire Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well medicinal garden. Exquisite silk tulip, yearning heartbroken red, coxcomb phoenix sunflower, octagonal immortal orchid, looking for autumn water dew, 9-rank purple ganoderma, snow-colored swan kiss. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, third spirit ability, King Crimson. In just a fleeting instant, all the peerless immortal herbs within the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well were plucked one by Jin Moyu according to special harvesting techniques. Every single immortal herb had its own unique harvesting method, and through time reversal, Jin Moyu had noticed how Tang San harvested them. Every immortal herb must be plucked using a special technique, otherwise, it would simply waste the medicinal properties of the immortal herb. During the time reversal just now, I happened to notice Tang San's technique for plucking the immortal herbs, otherwise, I would have had to retrace the timeline all over again. Shu Tianjun from Douluo 2, Big Brother Mo Yu noticed that again. Was there really such a scene just now? How come I didn't notice it? Shu Juju from Douluo 2, if you could see it too, then you'd be just like Big Brother Mo Yu, a genius. Meng Hongchen from Douluo 2, can immortal herbs also form a 100,000-year spirit beast? That seems quite unbelievable. Meng Hongchen from Douluo 2, I have indeed heard of a place called Sunset Forest in Douluo continent, but 10,000 years have passed, and I've never heard of this treasured land called the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well. Could it have been dug up by the sea god and taken to the god realm? Ningtian from Douluo 2, that sounds like something Tang San would do. Within the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well, Jin Moyu, having plucked all the immortal herbs, looked at the empty center of the medicinal garden, a trace of curiosity flashing through the depths of his eyes. Without the octagonal mysterious ice grass and the blazing apricot delicate, Tang San completely lost the opportunity for ice and fire body refining and building a physique immune to all poisons. Therefore, after recovering his mobility, how would Tang San face Dugubo, who was gloomy, ruthless, and extremely suspicious? Embracing the mindset of scientific research, watching the fun, Jin Moyu's gaze flashed, and the stagnated time instantly returned to its place. A bizarre scene then appeared. Tang San, having resumed movement, still reached forward with his hand as if he truly grasped the immortal herb, and then made the complete motion of swallowing it. This pantomime swallowing motion could be called very realistic on an artistic level. Anyone who saw it would praise him as a veteran actor. What made Jin Moyu couldn't help but click his tongue in wonder was that, seemingly after finishing the two immortal herbs, Tang San leapt forward and decisively jumped straight into the center of the Ice and Fire Mandarin duck pot. This time, Tang San did not ingest any immortal herb to protect his body at all, yet the reality was that the violent aura of the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well did not directly shatter Tang San's body. Instead, bizarrely enough, that violent aura, sufficient to tear apart a spirit master's physical body, instantly poured into every single meridian throughout Tang San's entire body. However, this destructive force did not strengthen Tang San's body, instead, it was preserved through the power of time. The timeline quickly advanced forward, and Tang San's famous scene of acting cool appeared once again, saying aloud, "No one understands poison better than me." Afterwards, Dugubo summoned his jade phosphor serpent spirit, viciously injecting serpent venom into Tang San's body. The potent poison entered his body, seemingly calm and tranquil, and indeed nothing happened. Just like after the ice and fire body refining in the original work, Tang San's complexion was extremely calm, his breathing steady, without any adverse effects, nor did he pass away on the spot due to the toxins. But only Jin Moyu saw it clearly. This overwhelmingly tyrannical jade phosphor serpent poison had already been perfectly preserved by time, steadily hoarding itself between Tang San's meridians and flesh. Everything happening at this moment seemed indistinguishable from the old world line. The plot still proceeded step by step, with dialogue, actions, scenes, and processes without a single shred of difference. The only difference was that the Tang San of back then had consumed two immortal herbs. This was the time authority of Maid in Heaven. Even if a completely new parallel world line was created, things that had happened in the past would still proceed according to the fixed script within the new world line. But a script had an ending. When the ending arrived, and the protagonist had not followed the beginning of the script, the consequences of all this would inevitably need to be borne. And for the Tang San who did not consume the immortal herbs, once the script ended, all the injuries from the ice and fire spring water and the jade phosphor serpent poison that had been sealed and locked away by time would be completely unsealed in a single instant. At the gates of Shrek Academy, Tang San abruptly opened his eyes, cold sweat crawling all over his forehead. As if reacting to a bodily instinct, he vigilantly looked around. Little San, what's wrong with you? Your complexion is so unsightly, are you alright? Yu Xiaogang, who was at the side, noticed his abnormality and stepped forward to pat Tang San on the shoulder. Shrek Academy's two high-level figures, Flender and Luerlong, had already gone to arrange a resting place for Douluo, leaving only Grandmaster Yu Xiaogang here. Tang San let out a long breath of turbid air, forcibly suppressing the inexplicable palpitation deep in his heart, and shook his head saying, Teacher, I'm fine, I just recalled a nightmare from a moment ago. There was no impression of it whatsoever in his memories, yet his body was transmitting signals of fear, suffocation, and powerlessness. Even for Tang San, who had lived through 2 lifetimes, he couldn't understand what kind of situation this was. But not long after, Tang San quickly adjusted his mindset, the gloom in the depths of his eyes swept away, replaced by thinly veiled joy. Teacher, let's go find Xiao Wu and the others. This time when I went out for experiential training, I prepared a heaven-sent surprise, intending to give it to all our companions. Chapter 54. Small actions reveal true character. On this trip to the ice and fire Yin Yang Well, Tang San consumed 2 immortal herbs, the blazing apricot delicate and octagonal mysterious ice grass, to temper his physique, gaining the full reserve of immortal herbs from the entire ice and fire Yin Yang Well. And Tang San, always valuing loyalty and righteousness, naturally thought of his Shrek companions who had journeyed alongside him first. He intended to give the precious immortal herbs he obtained from Douluo, from the ice and fire Yin Yang Well to his Shrek companions to boost their strength. Toward friends, Tang San was naturally very generous. Of course, it wasn't first because high-tier immortal herbs could only be consumed once, and overconsumption would yield no benefit while causing conflicting medicinal properties. Nor was it secondarily because these companions were tools with exceptional talent, loyalty, and righteousness. Furthermore, Tang San had specially reserved one immortal herb named Yearning Heart Dew, which was also one of the reasons he was eager to distribute the immortal herbs. The Yearning Heart Dew was a treasure slightly below the quality of an immortal herb. Its primary function was nourishing mental force in the eyes, and consuming it would greatly help Tang San break through his purple demon eyes realm. Tang San had already consumed 2 immortal herbs before, and consuming similar immortal herbs would only waste resources, only the Yearning Heart Dew would bring him all benefit and no harm. When the time came, Tang San would display his harvest of immortal herbs from the ice and fire Yin Yang Well in front of his Shrek companions and give one to everyone present, including himself, of course. Such a move would not only benefit his Shrek companions and raise the team's overall strength and cohesion, but also perfectly showcase the noble persona of pure and faultless Tang San, fair, generous, selfless, and loyal. Killing multiple birds with one stone. Just in time, Mubai and the others don't know you're back yet, so it's time to inform everyone. Yu Xiaogang held his hands behind his back, assuming the posture of a grandmaster. Yu Xiaogang looked over at the crowd not far away. At a glance, he spotted Ning Rongrong and raised his hand, preparing to call out. And at that moment, Tang San subconsciously followed Yu Xiaogang's gaze. He immediately noticed the exceptionally handsome figure of a young man. Tang San's entire body froze instantly, his pupils trembling and shrinking sharply, and an inexplicable fear involuntarily surged from the depths of his heart. What's going on? Who on earth is he? Why is my body so terrified of him? Tang San was thoroughly shaken, doubts and panic rising within him. He carefully recalled his memories from both lives, yet couldn't find any memory corresponding to that figure at all, yet his body instinctively felt fear. This fear felt as if it were carved into his genes, that sense of helplessness from being toyed with and dominated at will. Tang San did not dare lock eyes with that figure for even a moment, so he hurriedly stopped Yu Xiaogang's movement. Teacher, let's go find Xiao Wu first. Rongrong and the others have friends around them, and they've probably seen us too, so they'll definitely come over in a bit. Yu Xiaogang glanced at Tang San with a confused look, but didn't press further. Fair enough, then let's head to the inner court first. Tang San's heart settled, his steps subconsciously quickening as he followed Yu Xiaogang toward the inner court almost as if fleeing for his life. Not far away, Qin Moyu took in the entire scene. Does Tang San still remember me? Judging by his reaction, it doesn't seem like it. It looks more like his memories were wiped, but his physical instincts still retain that fear. It seems I still have a lot to learn. How is this fear not erased? Then again, that's normal. Genetic fear is an instinct written into human DNA, much like the uncanny valley theory. Humans get frightened by alternate humans that look very human but aren't actually human. Yet other animals clearly lack this trait, which implies that at some stage of human evolution, our ancestors had to hide from a creature that closely resembled humans. This is a fear carved into genes, passed down from ancestors tens of thousands of years ago. Back then, humans were apes and found it hard to tell with the naked eye whether other apes belonged to their tribe. And apes of other species relied on this disguise to steal many children from the tribe. Or perhaps, on a vast and desolate plain, an injured, isolated ape collapsed on the ground, unable to run. And right in that desperate situation, he saw faint black specks emerging on the distant horizon, instantly igniting hope for survival in his heart, believing with full joy that they were his own kin. Yet as the dark shadows slowly drew near, he horrifyingly discovered something was wrong. These figures wore stiff, uncanny smiles on their faces, their postures wildly unnatural. Filled with terror, he tried to flee, but his injured body could not move an inch. From hope to despair, he could only sit there helpless, watching that horde of human-like monsters gradually draw closer to him. Alternate human horror image warning. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. Douluo I, Shui Yuer, whoa, what's wrong with brother Mo Yu, sending a scary picture out of nowhere to spook me? Douluo I, Du Guyan, I'm scared to tears. Creepy and eerie pictures like this really don't need to be written down in the diary. ... On the other side, at the entrance of Shrek Academy, Qin Moyu casually updated the diary entry, his eyes secretly glancing at the 3 girls beside him. Although the expressions on their faces were restrained, their subtle subconscious changes were obvious. Du Guyan has a diary notebook too. I thought she really knew Shui Kei. When Du Guyan first followed Douluo to Shrek Academy, Qin Moyu already had his suspicions. And to confirm his theory, he had deliberately posted a scary picture in the diary because a person's subconscious reaction is the most authentic. Right at that moment, Shui Kei smiled softly beside him and took the initiative to say, Brother Mo Yu, Yunzi is a student of Heaven Do Imperial Academy and happens to know some friends. Hearing this, Du Guyan's eyes lit up instantly. She was worrying about not finding an opportunity to build a good relationship with Qin Moyu. With Shui Kei initiating the move, she reacted immediately and felt a wave of gratitude toward Shui Kei in her heart. Du Guyan was unlike her grandfather, who blindly trusted Tang San to help cure their poison. She was the most steadfast anti-Tang San advocate. Small actions reveal true character, not to mention the affair with the ice and fire yin-yang well. Tang San stripped her grandfather's entire herb garden clean in one go, without ever giving a thought to Du Guyan's share of immortal herbs from start to finish. Based on this alone, Tang San was not worthy of her trust. Du Guyan immediately picked up the thread and spoke in a gentle voice. That's right. Heaven Do Imperial Academy has deep resources, making it indeed an exceptional place for spirit masters to cultivate. An elder in my family happens to know a teacher at the academy. Brother Mo Yu, if you wish to join, I can directly recommend you for admission. Listening to this familiar pitch, Qin Mo Yu couldn't help but laugh internally. When Shui Kei recruited him earlier, she had used the exact same line. Are you both acquainted with the same academy teacher? This admissions teacher at Heaven Do Imperial Academy is quite something, seemingly eager to climb the ladder. It happens I have nowhere else to go, so experiencing the life of a noble academy wouldn't be bad. Douluo I, Yi Lingling, EU tilde yuck. Yunzi, you're speaking so gently and melodramatically. Who knew you could pull off a cutesy voice? So gross tilde. Douluo I, Yi Lingling, I never see you speak to me so gently. Double standard confirmed. Douluo I, Du Guyan, we're all sisters here, don't sweat the details. Douluo 2, Ning Tian, watching this is driving me crazy. Ancestor, Brother Mo Yu is about to be stolen away by a bad woman, take the initiative already. Beside them, Ning Rongrong stole a glance and couldn't help but whisper, actually, Shrek, Before she could finish, Shui Kei hastily pulled Ning Rongrong's wrist. The two girls turned their backs on Qin Mo Yu, putting their heads together and whispering girl talk among themselves. Chapter 55, Absorbing the God-bestowed spirit ring. Meanwhile, Qin Mo Yu casually agreed to their invitation, speaking with a slight smile. The Heaven Do Imperial Academy is indeed a fine institution. As for enrolling later, I'll have to rely on you two young ladies to introduce me. Hearing this, Shui Kei was overjoyed and blurted out subconsciously without a second thought, it's no trouble at all. In fact, it's our Heaven Do Imperial Academy that is honored to have you. Brother Mo Yu, with your level of strength. Qin Mo Yu raised an eyebrow slightly, looking at Shui Kei with a confused expression. Caught by his gaze, Shui Kei's pretty face flushed red. She quickly covered her mouth and quietly corrected herself. Oh, no. I mean, Brother Mo Yu, your spirit is very special, one of a kind. That's what I meant. I almost exposed the fact that I have a copy of the diary. Reversing the timeline with, made in heaven, and all that, any of it brought up would be a miracle capable of overturning the entire Douluo continent. Shui Kei thought to herself silently. Beside her, Du Guyan reacted swiftly and smoothly chimed in, Brother Mo Yu, there's no need to be overly humble. To receive such high praise from Sister Shui Kei is proof enough that you possess truly extraordinary abilities. That single line smoothed things over perfectly. Du Guyan let out a silent sigh of relief, feeling immense delight inside. It worked. She had finally established a friendly connection with Qin Mo Yu. No longer would she be forced to passively watch the drama unfold from afar through the diary copy as she used to. In Du Guyan's mind, having Qin Mo Yu hold her grandfather's herbs was 10,000 times better than giving them to Tang San. At least Qin Mo Yu had actually entertained the idea of curing her spirit's flaw. As for whether these immortal herbs were truly as described in the diary, laying the crucial foundation for the Shrek 7 devils to reach godhood, she didn't care all that much. What she truly valued was the sci-fi Herrscher system Brother Mo Yu cultivated. That power was absurdly strong. A level 70 spirit saint possessing power comparable to a deity. Looking back thousands of years across the history of Douluo continent, there had never been such an inconceivable exception. She, Du Guyan, also wanted to advance. Du Guyan had already made up her mind. If she successfully gained Brother Mo Yu's trust and was fortunate enough to cultivate the myriad poisons code, the very first thing she would do is settle old scores with Tang San and torture him ruthlessly. Whenever she thought of Tang San deceiving and using her grandfather, then turning around to strip every single immortal herb clean, refusing to give a single benefit to her Dugu family from start to finish, Du Guyan grew angrier the more she dwelled on it. Besides, Du Guyan had also noticed that Qin Mo Yu was extremely interested in tormenting Xiao Biesan, but doing it alone certainly wasn't as fun as doing it together with others. In terms of anti-Tang San sentiment, she and Brother Mo Yu were practically a match made in heaven, kindred spirits who finally met. Thank goodness Sister Shui Kei helped set up the connection, or else I would never have been able to invite Brother Mo Yu on my own. Du Guyan felt immensely fortunate in her heart. This convenient favor had truly been a massive help to her. As the sun set in the west, night fell. Inside Heaven Do Imperial Academy. At this point, Shui Kei no longer hid her light, revealing her noble identity as a princess of the Heaven Do Imperial family. With one being a precious princess of the Imperial family and the other being the beloved granddaughter of Poison Douluo Dugubo, under the recommendation of these two top elites, Qin Mo Yu's entrance evaluation went smoothly beyond imagination. As for whether this admissions teacher was an upright person, Qin Mo Yu couldn't tell, but the beads of sweat on the man's forehead were clearly visible. Admissions teacher, do you think I dare say no? One was an imperial princess who could ruin his entire future career, and the other was the beloved granddaughter of Poison Douluo who could directly end his life. Forget it, nobody has it easy. It was just a single transfer student spot. If he wanted it, then so be it. Not only was the entire evaluation process bypassed, but the admissions teacher was even eager to pay the tuition out of his own pocket. Unfortunately, Princess Shui Kei didn't give him an opportunity to advance. After completing all enrollment procedures, under Shui Kei's personal arrangement, Qin Mo Yu happily secured a luxurious single dormitory. Calling it a dormitory was an understatement. It was actually an elegant courtyard with exquisite and luxurious decor, featuring a pavilion surrounded by a sea of flowers, and even a hot spring inside large enough for multiple people. This scale and treatment was practically comparable to a private manor. Heaven Do Imperial Academy was originally an academy for nobles, with most of the Heaven Do Empire's educational resources concentrated here, making the student living conditions exceptionally luxurious. Suffice it to say, it was at least far better than the cobweb-ridden dorms of Shrek Academy. The night grew deep, and a gentle evening breeze blew past. Qin Mo Yu comfortably soaked in the hot spring, washing away his fatigue, and returned to his room. By now, the damage to his body had mostly healed. He then took out several pieces of thousand-year whale gel from his storage ring, preparing to absorb the fourth and fifth spirit rings for his spirit. And when he previously used the power of finality to summon the strength of his future self, Qin Mo Yu had held a faint conjecture in his heart. With no one around in the late night, now was the exact time to test it. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, Qin Mo Yu recited silently in his heart. Immediately after, he turned his right hand over, and a magnificent spherical technological creation appeared in his palm, while 3 spirit rings, purple, black, slowly rose from beneath his feet. My 3rd spirit ring is already at the 70,000-year mark. According to the spirit ring configuration of my future self-spirit, my 4th spirit ring will definitely break through to the 100,000-year mark. However, one thing puzzles me, can this future be changed? From the moment a future can be observed, is that future still predestined? Qin Muyu wrote down this line in his diary and remained silent for a long time. He thought of his other spirit, the Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core. The spirit was surrounded by 9 crimson 100,000-year spirit rings, meaning the age of these spirit rings was extremely high, perhaps just one step away from breaking through to a million-year spirit ring. But now, the 7th spirit ring of his core of the Herrscher of Reason spirit was a golden million-year spirit ring. Therefore, the Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core, which also absorbed God-bestowed spirit rings, could never possibly stop at merely the 100,000-year level. Unless, his future self had accidentally slaughtered a few fierce beasts. I see, it was my future self who killed a few suitable 100,000-year spirit beasts. Qin Muyu suddenly realized, instantly unraveling all the cause and effect logic. He couldn't imagine what kind of future would lead him to choose killing 100,000-year spirit beasts to absorb their spirit rings and lay down the foundation of his spirit. But Qin Muyu was clear on one point. According to the observer effect, the act of observation can affect the outcome. And a future that has already been observed, as long as it isn't anchored by the law of causality, is merely a future prediction, much like the authority of his 3rd spirit ability, King Crimson. Immediately, Qin Muyu held the 1,000-year whale gel in his palm, declaring with a thought, core of the Herrscher of Reason, 1st spirit ability, particle control. The next moment, the whale gel melted at extreme speed, instantly turning into a pool of gentle, strongly scented liquid. Qin Muyu tilted his head back and swallowed it in one gulp. A majestic surge of life energy washed through him instantly, sending a wave of heat sweeping across his entire body. Chapter 56, The Authority of Understanding, Reverse Engineering 10,000-Year Whale Gel. Qin Muyu did not hesitate, swallowing several pieces of 1,000-year whale gel in quick succession. Only when a feverish heat filled his entire body and became almost uncontrollable did he take out a God-bestowed spirit ring to absorb. The moment the God-bestowed spirit ring entered his body, a deep, dark black halo burst forth, starting right off as a 10,000-year spirit ring. And this was only the beginning. The black deepened continuously until it finally crossed a critical threshold, spreading into a glamorous crimson blood red color. 100,000-year spirit ring. At the same time, clear changes began to appear on the surface of his core of the Herrscher of Reason spirit. Countless precise patterns were continuously carved onto it, accompanied by a fundamental evolution of the spirit. This evolution was within Qin Muyu's expectations. His spirit achieved a complete transformation at the genetic level, reborn anew. Moments later, the absorption of the God-bestowed spirit ring was complete, with the 4th spirit ring finally settling as a crimson 100,000-year spirit ring. Spirit, core of the Herrscher of Reason. 4th spirit ring age, 200,000 years. Spirit ability, gene engine. Passive permanent gene analysis. The gene engine is permanently active, automatically dissecting all encountered organisms, analyzing biological genetic data, and recording it into the Divine Core database. Active release. Actively activate core permissions of the gene engine to retrieve recorded database genetic templates at any time to enhance oneself. Gene engine, to think it's from the Super God Academy system. Feeling the newly awakened power of his spirit, Qin Muyu felt no surprise. Instead, it confirmed his previous speculation. As the absorption of this God-bestowed spirit ring concluded, his spirit, the core of the Herrscher of Reason, fully unlocked the capability to analyze genes, taking another step closer to the dimension of omniscience and omnipotence. Qin Muyu's understanding of the gene engine was straightforward. The simplest application would be to analyze a spider's genes and integrate them into himself, granting him a spider's innate danger perception gene, as well as talents like spinning silk to weave webs and scaling walls, becoming a failed man. Not only that, but the gene engine brought a deeper level of transformation to his spirit. At this moment, his most intuitive feeling was that his spirit possessed a unique attraction. All tool, beast, body, and external spirits in the world would instinctively be drawn toward his spirit. This attraction had nothing to do with the spirit master's appearance or temperament. Just like a boy seeing a pretty girl, it was an allure engraved into their very genes. Especially for spirit masters possessing top-tier spirits, the high-dimensional genetic aura naturally emitted by the core of the Herrscher of Reason held an irresistible affinity for them. This was the most primitive submission and longing of low-dimensional genes toward high-dimensional ones. The influence of spirits on spirit masters themselves on the Douluo continent was very evident. For example, Luo longed toward Yu Shaogang, or more accurately, the attraction toward that remaining trace of high-tier dragon bloodline within Luo Sanpao's spirit bloodline. Otherwise, it would truly be difficult for anyone to genuinely fall for the balding Yu Shaogang in the Douluo continent anime. Was it because he was old, ugly, weak, or because he didn't take baths? When someone likes one specific person while feeling nothing for others, that heart flutter and preference are never baseless metaphysics. And resonance at the spirit genetic level allows spirit master spirit power to blend with each other. This connection has a clear name on the Douluo continent, spirit fusion. Unsurprisingly, just like Lan Xuanyu's dragon god bloodline could help other beast spirits raise their own spirit quality. Now, due to its high-dimensional genes, the core of the Herrscher of Reason could similarly improve the quality of other spirit master spirits. As long as they stayed in constant contact with Qin Muyu, any spirit master's spirit quality would be subtly optimized, eliminating congenital spirit flaws and unlocking spirit fusion abilities. At this moment, Qin Muyu had virtually become a human succubus and ultimate cauldron of the Douluo continent. Both male and female spirit masters would be attracted by his spirit. The only difference was that he possessed absolute, powerful strength. As long as he chose to pair with others, there was no possibility of others choosing to pair with him. And with the gene engine, he might be able to attempt analyzing whale gel, which possessed the essence of life. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, call upon the Dark Plane Authority, understanding. Qin Muyu's eyes burned like torches as he said softly, target to analyze, whale gel. The instant his words landed, a gear-like pattern suddenly appeared in Qin Muyu's eyes, and the core of the Herrscher of Reason ran at full speed. Understanding, this was an inherent ability of the spirit itself to analyze all things in the world, with the only previous limitation being his inability to analyze genes. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, Dark Plane Authority calling. The next moment, the familiar scene of time rewinding appeared once more. The scenery before his eyes suddenly shifted, and this time Qin Muyu plunged into an endless, pitch-black deep-sea abyss. This was the absolute deep sea 10,000 meters below, where sunlight could not reach and visibility was nearly zero. The entire ocean domain was dead silent, a forbidden zone for life where no terrestrial creatures could tread. At this time, only Qin Muyu's conscious perspective remained unbound by the darkness, clearly catching sight of a bizarre yet magnificent scene in this gloomy domain. Countless massive sperm whale pods did not lie flat to rest like ordinary marine creatures. Instead, they all suspended vertically straight in the dark blue seawater, heads up, tails down, silently sleeping and dormant. 10,000 meters deep beneath the dark and silent sea, tens of thousands of ancient ocean spirit beasts hung upside down in the deep sea like egg sacs of unknown alien lifeforms. This sight was terrifyingly bizarre, yet possessed a serene peace unique to ancient creatures. Moments later, the sleeping whale pods awakened one after another, gently swishing their caudal fins with their massive bodies as they swam in groups toward the distant ocean domain, eventually dissolving into the depths of the vast blue sea. As the pod swam along, a newly born young sperm whale whose cultivation was merely at the 1,000-year level accidentally drifted away from the pod, wandering alone in the coastal waters. Lacking the ability to protect itself, the weak calf was unfortunately captured by a human fishing boat. In an instant, the scene abruptly shifted. A bloody and brutal butchering scene flashed past. Lustrous, snow-white whale gel was extracted by the butcher, then processed, finally packaged, and ultimately distributed into the market. Returning to his perspective, everything that had just transpired felt as though it were merely an illusion, but only one who experienced it firsthand knew that it was history that occurred in the past. Chin Moyu shook his head gently, suppressing the trivial sentimentality in his heart, and then brought out the equivalent exchange technology. Thanks to the gene engine, the material composition of 1,000-year whale gel had been fully analyzed, and a brand new piece of 1,000-year whale gel appeared out of thin air in Chin Moyu's hand. The price paid was merely the inexhaustible dark matter from the dark plane dimension. Chin Moyu slowly raised his eyes, falling into deep thought. 1,000-year whale gel was already a heavenly material and earthly treasure for tempering a spirit master's physique, but that was still not enough. The gap between 1,000-year and 10,000-year whale gel was comparable to the difference between a 10,000-year spirit ring and a 100,000-year spirit ring. And this gap lay not in storage duration, but in the depth of life itself. Only the genes of a 10,000-year ocean spirit beast could produce 10,000-year whale gel. And age was not simply an accumulation of time. Wait, did you just mention time and genes? As the two keywords collided in his mind, a flash of inspiration struck Chin Moyu, instantly clearing away the fog of knowledge before his eyes. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, call upon the Dark Plane Authority, understanding. Core of the Herrscher of Understanding, all systems operating normally. I grant you wisdom, to comprehend the mechanics of all things, omniscient and omnipotent, King of Truth. The transformation from a 1,000-year ocean spirit beast to a 10,000-year ocean spirit beast is essentially the continuous optimization of biological genes under the influence of time, elevating life energy levels layer by layer, nothing more. Meanwhile, in the other part of Chin Moyu's palm, the equivalent exchange technology flickered with a faint luster. Beneath the diary record screen, lustrous, snow-white gelatinous material continuously condensed into shape, as wisps of pure life energy quietly pervaded the air. In the blink of an eye, atop the flat table, a table full of flawless 10,000-year whale gel was stacked out of thin air. Looking across the entire Douluo continent, 10,000-year whale gel was a rare resource with no market supply, one that not even the 7 treasure-glazed tile school or the royal families of the 2 great empires could necessarily gather in large quantities. Chapter 57. Without the 9 treasure-glazed tile pagoda, how should we continue the 9 treasure-glazed tile school? Can it actually copy 10,000-year whale gum? I reckon, although we don't have the actual physical object, at least we have the complete gene map of the 1,000-year whale gum. Because of that, scientifically speaking. What are you babbling about? All fear stems from a lack of firepower, so just easily copy 10,000 copies of the immortal herb. As the words fell, within the diary's recording screen. Under the shocked gazes of the heroines in the diary, Chin Moyu was seen raising his hand to take out stock after stock of rare immortal herbs from the world, and the gene engine operated in an overclocked state. Analysis, comprehension, creation, equivalent exchange. In just a few breaths, streaks of spiritual light suddenly emerged from thin air in the entire room. Wherever the eyes could see, the field of vision was completely occupied by countless immortal herbs. These immortal herbs, any single stock of which casually taken out would be enough to stir up bloody storms on the Douluo continent, were now growing everywhere like weeds by the roadside, instantly maximizing the visual impact. Shu Tianzhen of Douluo 2, is this also science? Du Guyan of Douluo I, isn't this science? Meng Hongchen of Douluo 2, I've long since grown used to it. With the genius ideas that Brother Mo Yu comes up with from time to time, I wouldn't even be surprised if another sun-moon continent suddenly appeared in your world one day. Ning Tian of Douluo 2, a full 10,000 copies of Coxcomb Tulip, tears of envy are overflowing. Ning Tian of Douluo 2, 10,000 years have passed, if there had been even a single stock of Coxcomb Tulip, the 9 treasure-glazed tile school wouldn't have declined to this extent. Juzi of Douluo 2, turns out immortal herbs are so precious. Even if the 9 treasure-glazed tile school has fallen, it's still a second-rate faction at least, couldn't they find the trace of even a single immortal herb in 10,000 years? Xiao Xiao of Douluo 2, as expected of an immortal grade treasure capable of increasing the chance of becoming a god. Even if one fails to become a god in the future, absorbing an immortal herb should probably make one's strength grow quite a bit. Zhu Zuqing of Douluo I, growing stronger. Inside the female dormitory of Shrek Academy. Zhu Zuqing blankly looked at the immortal herbs piled up everywhere and as cheap as weeds in the diary screen, her mind involuntarily recalling what happened during the day. Just this morning, Du Gubo personally brought Tang San back from the ice and fire Yin Yang well. And as soon as he returned to the academy, Tang San could not suppress the excitement in his heart, rushing over to find them anxiously and claiming that he had obtained a peerless immortal herb. He even praised the immortal herb to high heaven, hailing it as an immortal grade treasure that only belonged in the heavens and was sufficient to defy the heavens and change one's fate. When everyone's curiosity was maximized, under the gaze of thousands, Tang San curled his lips into an evil, charming smile, but when he confidently reached for his storage belt, he instantly grabbed nothing. The empty storage belt instantly made the proud smile on Tang San's face come to an abrupt halt. The Shrek crowd present all cast their gazes uniformly onto Tang San, and an uncontainable aura of awkwardness permeated the air. Dai Mubai's gaze was complex. Suppressing his laughter, he stepped forward and patted Tang San's shoulder. Little San, I understand you. After all, you were captured by titled Douluo du Gubo. It's understandable if you experience some mental trance. Oscar at the side nodded repeatedly, chiming in, that's right, Little San, you must pull yourself together. Besides, for legendary things like immortal herbs, even Grandmaster, who has read all sorts of books, has never heard of such an outrageous cultivation treasure. It's mostly likely that you were too nervous and imagined it out of thin air. As the words fell, Oscar raised his hand to pinch out a familiar summoning spell, spirit power surged, and instantly he conjured up an unpretentious small detoxifying sausage. Little San, don't be depressed. Want to taste Uncle Ao's big sausage? Clearing heat, detoxifying, and curing colds, small detoxifying sausage is the top choice tilde. Hearing this, Yu Xiaogang also nodded deeply and approvingly. With his hands behind his back and a resolute expression, he put on his usual theoretical posture. Little San, I have studied countless ancient texts and records, and I've never heard of such a treasure as an immortal herb. I am the mainland's recognized theoretical grandmaster after all. You must believe in authority, so you must have made a mistake. No, everyone believe me. I really picked the legendary immortal herb from Du Gubo's place. Tang San was truly about to cry anxiously. In his panic, he didn't care about the various hidden weapons treasured in his storage belt anymore, throwing them directly onto the ground. He searched repeatedly, his spiritual sense sweeping across every space of the storage belt, yet he still gained nothing. What made his mentality collapse even more was that Tang San even began to doubt himself at this moment, whether he had truly picked immortal herbs when he was at the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well back then, and whether he had really consumed the octagonal mysterious ice grass and the blazing apricot delicate. His memory became increasingly vague and unclear, but if he hadn't consumed immortal herbs, how did he survive from the Ice and Fire Yin Yang well? Did Douluo Continent Online bug out again? Flustered and helpless, Tang San turned his head, pinning his last trace of hope on the person he trusted the most, looking at Xiao Wu with pleading eyes. Xiao Wu, you believe Jay, right? But this time, Xiao Wu did not stand by his side without hesitation like she usually did. Jay, I think Boss Dai is right. Having been away for so long, you indeed need to rest for a bit. Xiao Wu gently grasped Zhu Zuqing's hand, her eyes dodging, not daring to look into Tang San's eyes. From the moment Tang San came back, a thorn had always been hidden deep in Xiao Wu's heart. Those tragic experiences in the diary copy always hovered in her mind, and for a moment Xiao Wu didn't know how to face Tang San. If she chose to believe Tang San, it would equal presupposing that the diary contents were true, which also meant she had to admit that the sworn older brother she had always trusted was, to his very bones, a gloomy, vicious, and double-standard villain. Tang San. Tang San blankly looked at Xiao Wu's dodging eyes and alienated attitude, his entire body instantly freezing in place. He didn't understand why the immortal herb he had risked 9 deaths to obtain through desperate efforts would vanish out of thin air. Neither did he understand why, upon returning through hardships, his companions doubted him, his teacher denied him, and even Xiao Wu, who was closest and most trusted by him, didn't react with joy upon seeing him, but instead showed a guilty and evasive reaction. It hurts too much. Tang San's heart was incomparably anxious. Xiao Wu's attitude always reminded him of some bad plots. A husband who travels away on business year-round returns home full of joy, but what welcomes him is not his wife's tenderness, but rather the cold alienation of the person beside his pillow. Could it be, Xiao Wu's affections have wandered elsewhere? Damn it, who on earth is it? Don't let me know who you are, or else I will thoroughly investigate you. Daring to taint my Xiao Wu, you already have a way to die. Tang San's inner anger surged, his eyes were blood red, he was panting like an ox, and he spoke through gritted teeth. Yet the next moment, Tang San's attitude instantly switched, immediately changing into an amiable expression. The previous second he was hopping mad, but the next second he suddenly wore a smile and apology. Sorry, I remembered wrong. Just now I was babbling nonsense and made everyone worry. Yu Xiaogang, Dai Mubai, and the others naturally didn't doubt Tang San's words, stepping forward one after another to comfort him with care for a few sentences. However, when this scene fell into the eyes of the 3 women Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zuqing, it felt incomparably bizarre deep down. No, don't they all think Tang San's behavior is very abnormal? Smiling tiger. At this moment, the 3 beauties of Shrek simultaneously had the exact same thought in their hearts, a chill inexplicably welling up deep within. Seeing is believing, hearing is false. The diary content was true, what Qin Moyu said was right, Tang San's true nature was indeed such a hypocritical double-standard villain who was good at disguising himself and was insidious and cunning. For Xiao Wu, who had always trusted Tang San unconditionally and relied on him since childhood, this discovery was undoubtedly a massive blow to her heart. A pair of pretty rabbit ears on Xiao Wu's head drooped listlessly, and her entire expression was visibly dejected. Beside her, Zhu Zuqing was shocked, but her naturally cold and aloof personality prevented her from showing anything too unusual. Having witnessed a prince like Dai Mubai, she felt that there was nothing left she could not accept. This subject is a military general and is not good at expressing herself. As a direct descendant of the Zhu family of Star Luo, Zhu Zuqing's mindset leaned more toward the conservative thoughts of ancient women. Unconditionally accepting all of her master's flaws was a woman's way of survival. As long as it could help her become stronger, she didn't care who this master was or what bad deeds he had done. As for Ning Rongrong, she gently held Xiao Wu's hand and smiled faintly, inwardly hoping that Xiao Wu could pull herself together soon. She had long since accepted the contents of Qin Moyu's diary in her heart, so no matter what Tang San's true face was, she didn't have much of a reaction. If not for lacking a reason for her father to cancel the hidden weapons business, Ning Rongrong would have returned to the 7 treasure glazed tile school at the very first moment to persuade her father to cut off all ties with Tang San early on. Especially Ning Tian's message in the diary copy, every word heavy and pressing hard upon Ning Rongrong's heart. 10,000 years, a full 10,000 years, she simply dared not imagine the despair of such a span of time. How on earth did the later generations of the Ning family and the disciples of the 9 treasure glazed tile school endure this 10,000-year torment? But even if they could persevere, what about another 10,000 years? Without the 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda, how could the 9 treasure glazed tile school resist the general trend of this era? I must become stronger, and the 9 treasure glazed tile school must survive. Ning Rongrong made up her mind inwardly. Heaven-Do Imperial Academy. Qin Moyu swallowed a 10,000-year whale gum in one gulp, and immediately began to absorb the god-bestowed spirit ring. The color of his 5th spirit ring ultimately settled on scarlet. Spirit, core of the Herrscher of Reason. 5th spirit ring age, 500,000 years. Spirit ability, Omnitrix. Passive permanent gene database, automatically collects biological genetic material and, based on alien biological DNA, automatically decodes the linguistic systems of alien civilizations. Active release. During the effective time of the spirit ability, the core of the Herrscher of Reason completely takes over the gene chain, and based on the selected biological DNA, perfectly mimics and transforms into an alien organism. The Omnitrix was a setting from a show called Ben 10 that Qin Moyu had accidentally watched on television in his past life. This was an interstellar transformation device crafted by the alien scientist Azimuth. It could not only automatically record alien biological genes, but also allow the wearer's body to transform into aliens possessing superpowers. Without a doubt, once you possess the Omnitrix, you would sit upon the exclusive superpowers of thousands of alien creatures. Even for a 100,000-year spirit beast, the Omnitrix could equally record its genes, granting the wearer the ability to transform into a 100,000-year spirit beast. In its original design concept, the Omnitrix was meant to promote friendly exchanges among various civilizational races across the universe, as well as to save endangered races in the universe so they could survive, advancing a community with a shared future for interstellar civilization. And the Omnitrix in Qin Moyu's hands, just like the gene engine, was in its initial state. As for whether it could develop into what was in the original work in the future, where the 2nd generation Omnitrix could accommodate the DNA of at least 100 million alien species. And whether the gene engine could develop power as formidable as the Angel Civilization's Keisha's secondary creature engine, the Galaxy Power Jade Shaolin's Hero Core, or the Black Hole engine crafted by the Grim Reaper Carl, he would have to rely on himself to deduce it step by step using the computing power of the core of the Herrscher of Reason. As expected, my guess was completely correct. Chin Moyu's eyes flashed slightly as he raised his hand to activate his fifth spirit ability. A technological wristwatch intertwined with pitch black and emerald green precisely appeared on his wrist. He pressed the switch, and a circular rotatable dial popped out. The only pity was that the Omnitrix at this moment had not yet recorded any alien biological genes, and still needed to wait for the core of the Herrscher of Reason to analyze the biological DNA. At this moment, Chin Moyu thoroughly comprehended the truth. Why his spirit skill names and effects matched the anime settings he had seen in his past life so perfectly. The root of everything lay in dimensional observation. From the very moment the core of the Herrscher of Reason appeared as a spirit, it had already suffered a dimensional reduction strike, dropping from the fourth dimension to the third dimension. Fourth dimensional technology was reduced into a third dimensional spirit. When observing a higher dimension from a lower dimensional perspective, due to incomprehensible taboo knowledge, low-dimensional beings could only abstractly describe the higher dimension using their own impoverished cognition. For instance, the fourth dimension was given the name of time. And every time the core of the Herrscher of Reason absorbed a spirit ring, it itself continuously underwent dimensional elevation. During this process, limited by Chin Moyu's own cognition, he was unable to understand these high-dimensional abilities that transcended common sense, and thus a wondrous phenomenon occurred. The anime settings he had watched in his past life happened to be used to name the spirit skills. It wasn't because the spirit ability names were strange, but rather that when the core of the Herrscher of Reason unlocked this high-dimensional authority, within Chin Moyu's own cognitive database, only the Omnitrix and the gene engine met the conditions. No wonder, I knew it. Figuring out this layer of logic, a flash of knowing amusement crossed Chin Moyu's eyes. How could the third spirit ring and sixth spirit ring of the core of the Herrscher of Reason possibly be such abstract abilities like King Crimson and Maid in Heaven? Now everything made sense. Along with the completion of the spirit ring absorption, Chin Moyu's spirit power cultivation steadily broke through to rank 57, taking a step further toward the realm of RANK 60 Spirit Emperor. Let's go take a bath first. I have to say, the effect of a god-bestowed spirit ring in expelling toxins and grease is still quite good. Chin Moyu casually loosened his muscles and bones, spread his palm open, and a pitch-black kick-a-bucket pill materialized. As the abilities of the core of the Herrscher of Reason continuously improved, he no longer needed to shit from his mouth. Instead, the impurities within his body gathered beneath the panel and finally flowed through his blood to his palm to be discharged. All was silent and deep into the night, with only the faint rustle of the evening breeze blowing through the leaves. At the same time, a dainty figure used the cover of night to sneak around on tiptoe. With practiced movements, the young girl climbed through the window and landed silently inside the room. Her posture was light, and a pair of snow-white bare feet touched the ground without making the slightest sound. The hazy night moonlight shone into the room, gently outlining the girl's exquisite face and making her skin look as fair as snow, mischievous yet carrying a hint of sneaky slyness. Mo Yuji has already finished and is taking a bath right now. Shui Kei hugged the diary tightly in her arms, looking down as the diary's recording screen completely shut off. While she let out a sigh of relief inwardly, she couldn't help but feel her heart flutter wildly. Tonight's timing could be described as once in a lifetime. Chin Moyu had just refined the 10,000-year grade whale gum, and his whole body was brimming with abundant yang energy and surging blood qi. He was at his most special moment. If she missed today, she didn't know how much longer she would have to suffer. Chapter 59, The First Official Girlfriend Tilda. In the dead of night, the room was silent. Sneak into the village quietly, no gunfire Tilda. Shui Kei carefully moved forward, deliberately taking off her shoes, her fair and delicate jade feet stepping on the cold floor, just to make no sound at all. The girl's body was tense throughout, her ears red enough to drip blood. She nervously raised her hand to cover her chest, her heart pounding so hard it almost burst through her chest. Ever since the Myriad World's diary continuously exposed countless secrets, Chin Moyu's heaven-defying talent and peerless beauty had been coveted by women from countless realms. And the more she understood the structure of the Myriad Worlds, the stronger the gap and unease in Shui Kei's heart became. After all, the Douluo continent was just a small world with limited heritage, its vision, talent, and beauty were all confined to one place. She couldn't even compare to her childhood best friend Ning Rongrong, and those female leads from the Myriad Great Worlds were all peerless heavenly daughters who had been selected and stood out from countless planets, countless regions, and countless galaxies. How stunning their beauty was, something Shui Kei could never imagine in her lifetime. Shui Kei was afraid that if she acted too late, Chin Moyu's first time would be snatched away by those bad women swarming in. She was the one who had been closest to Brother Moyu and accompanied him most attentively. She wanted to be the legitimate first official girlfriend, and this position absolutely could not be taken by other bad women. She needed to invest in advance. And as Shui Kei expected, the return on this early investment would be far greater than she ever imagined. On the other side, Shui Kei covered her burning cheeks, a sly smile quietly appearing on her blushing face. Her gaze quickly swept across the table, where Chin Moyu's unfinished 10,000-year whale glue and water cup were still placed. Shui Kei's eyes lit up. She picked up the water cup on the table and, as if possessed, slightly tiptoed and secretly licked it with her pink tongue. 99% pure, a rare treasure. After secretly feeling pleased, Shui Kei was overjoyed. Biting her lower lip, she slightly pulled open the front of her clothes, revealing a hint of snow white, and carefully took out a delicate glass vial from her most intimate place. This must be Brother Moyu's water cup, no doubt. Later, I'll quietly hide under the bed. When Brother Moyu gets thirsty and drinks the water, and he's all dazed and weak, then I'll hee. You bad women are too late. Brother Moyu's first time isn't yours, it's mine, Shui Kei's Tilda. Thinking about how she was about to firmly secure the position of first official girlfriend and would surely outshine everyone in the future, a sly smile appeared on Shui Kei's face. But just as she was happily daydreaming, a clear text suddenly updated in the Myriad World's diary copy in her spiritual seed. Shui Kei, why is she running to my dorm at this hour? And she's pouring some strange liquid into my water cup, a computer accessory. She's not really planning to harvest my kidneys, is she? This sudden diary update was like a bolt from the blue. Shui Kei's body stiffened violently, and she was so startled that the glass vial in her hand almost slipped and fell to the ground. The girl's delicate body stiffly turned around, and only then did she notice that the door was already open, and Chin Moyu had walked in after taking a shower, looking at the uninvited guest in the room with a hint of a smile. Wait, how did he shower so fast? No one actually uses King Crimson to shower, right? Ahaha Tilda Brother Moyu, good evening, what a coincidence Tilda. Shui Kei's cheeks flushed bright red as she greeted awkwardly. Under the night, the girl wore a thin moon-white nightgown. She had clearly come to do something bad, but she failed before even starting. Shui Kei, what are you doing? Chin Moyu's gaze swept lightly over the water cup in her hand and her flustered appearance, his tone tinged with confusion. Oh, I just arrived too. I was a bit thirsty and planned to pour a glass of water. In her panic, Shuike closed her eyes, steeled her heart, raised her head, and drank the mysterious liquid in the cup in one gulp, completely destroying the evidence. Watching Shuike's actions, Jin Moyu's expression immediately turned strange. According to the feedback from the divine core, the liquid seemed to contain whale glue and other bizarre ingredients, but why would Shuike pour such liquid into his water cup? Before Jin Moyu could ask, the drug effect took hold instantly. Shuike's pretty face flushed red in an instant, the scorching heat spreading across her entire face. Even her exposed snow-white shoulders turned a tempting pink, and the aphrodisiac in her body immediately took effect. The girl's silver-white eyes instantly became misty with a thin layer of water vapor. Her legs clamped tightly together, and her voice trembled uncontrollably. Brother Moyu, if you have nothing else, I'll be going now, meow. I'm meow tilde so uncomfortable tilde so itchy tilde. She had originally thought that Brother Moyu had a strong physique and high resistance to drugs, so she had specially prepared an extra strong dose of aphrodisiac. Little did she expect that by a twist of fate, it would all end up being consumed by herself. Jin Moyu looked at her with a strange expression, and seeing that she could no longer hold on, he stepped forward and steadily wrapped his arm around her slender waist. As soon as he touched her, he felt her skin burning hot. Even through the thin moon-white nightgown, he could feel the intense heat radiating from her body. With a slight effort, he lifted Shuike into his arms. Ah tilde, Brother Moyu, what are you doing? I'm meow tilde. Caught off guard, Shuike let out a soft moan, instinctively reaching out to wrap her arms around Jin Moyu's neck, burying her burning cheeks in the crook of his shoulder, her breathing becoming rapid and disordered. Jin Moyu walked steadily to the bedside, gently bent down, and carefully placed the burning hot Shuike onto the bedding. The bed slightly sank, and the girl curled up among the bedding, her long eyelashes wet, her eyes red and watery, looking pitiful and endearing. Shuike's body was still trembling uncontrollably, her mind groggy, and her rationality was gradually being consumed by the rising heat. The room fell silent, with only the girl's slightly rapid breathing echoing in the night. Jin Moyu looked down at the flustered Shuike on the bed, leaned in close to her ear, and said calmly but piercingly, Shuike, you also have a diary copy, right? The moment these words fell, Shuike, who had been tormented by the drug and burning with heat, stiffened abruptly, as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over her heart, and her consciousness suddenly cleared considerably. Shuike's eyes darted around in panic, her pink lips trembling as she tried to play dumb. Tilde what? I don't know what Brother Moyu is talking about. What diary copy? Jin Moyu looked at her adorable attempt to cover her ears while stealing the bell, a hint of amusement flashing in his eyes. He leaned closer to her red ear and said, I know everything tilde from the moment I got the diary and started writing in it tilde. Chapter 60, Save you one last time, do not let desire pierce your will. Ah, you've known all along. Shuike's eyes widened instantly, her already dizzy and feverish brain completely crashed, and she asked with some confusion, then, Brother Moyu, since you clearly knew, why did you still write in the diary? The rewards from the diary content are one reason. All of my strength was obtained little by little through my own efforts from the diary system. This is much easier than exhausting myself with cultivation. Jin Moyu thought about it seriously, nodded, and said, besides, don't you think this is a lot of fun? It's like opening a blind box. We got to know each other across the distance of the diary, yet in reality, we have to find all sorts of excuses and probe carefully. For instance, Princess Shuike. Shuike's cheeks turned completely red. She raised her soft, cute little pink fist and gently pounded on Jin Moyu's chest, saying in a spoiled and coquettish tone, you bad guy. If you had said so earlier, I wouldn't have had to be so reserved and sneaky. Blame me, Jin Moyu said with a smile. I didn't expect that the usually well-behaved Shuike would be so bold. Sneaking into a guy's room through the window in the middle of the night, and even specially brewing a potion with such a fierce medicinal effect, confess honestly, what are you planning to do? Having her truest inner calculations completely exposed, Shuike could no longer maintain her disguise. Her cheeks blushed so much they looked like they were about to drip blood, and she shrank herself further into the bedding. I didn't mean to pull these little tricks. Shuike bit her pink lower lip, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Brother Moyu, I am sincere, I really like you a lot. From the very first moment I saw you, tilde liked you very much tilde. You're handsome, have a great personality, are gentle, steady, and reliable, and your innate talent is fearless. In my heart, you are simply the most perfect match. As she spoke, Shuike suddenly felt inferior and had her mental defenses broken down by her own words, feeling how despicable her act of drugging was. Her nose instantly stung. I'm just afraid. With so many girls from the myriad realms appearing in the diary, every single one of them is so dazzling. I'm afraid I can't compete with them, and I'm afraid that Brother Moyu, your gaze will eventually fall on someone else. I just want to be your first girlfriend. By the end, the young girl's voice carried a wrong, crying undertone. Lacking a sense of security. Jin Moyu's mind was sharp, and he instantly understood Shuike's state at this moment. You silly girl, others are others, and you are you. Looking into those moist, anxious eyes, Jin Moyu gently stroked Shuike's cheek and honestly expressed his feelings. No matter how dazzling the beauties of the myriad realms are, that is their business, and what you need to do is be yourself. Shuike's delicate body stiffened slightly, and she blankly raised her eyes to look at him, her eye sockets still red. But, I really can't compare to them, she mumbled softly. There's no need to compare. Jin Moyu interrupted her and said sincerely, with me, the sincere person is the most precious. I only like girls who like me. You are the first person to actively walk towards me, like me, and stay by my side, and you are also the only one willing to clumsily and bravely risk everything just to keep me. Based solely on this brave sentiment, no one can replace you. As his voice fell, he gently gripped her burning little hand, firmly holding it in his palm to give her the most reassuring sense of security. Shuike looked at the youth in front of her through tear-blurred eyes. The long-suppressed grievance and joy intertwined together. Her nose twitched slightly, and a few more teardrops slipped down, but this time, it was no longer panic and unease, but full of emotional resonance and sweetness. Brother Moyu, thank you tilde. Shuike murmured softly, no longer harboring the slightest hesitation. Raising her head slightly to look at him, the young girl bravely kissed him, her eyes seeming to brim with brilliant starlight. Plan successful tilde. Shuike secretly rejoiced in her heart. Brother Moyu didn't blame her for this, which was also within the young girl's plan. No one knew that those words were both Shuike's true expression of feelings and the young girl's little romantic cleverness. From now on, no matter how many stunning female protagonists of the myriad realms Brother Moyu might encounter in the future, the very first person he thinks of will always be her, Shuike tilde. The position of the first girlfriend has been smoothly secured. The night was already deep, and the time was approaching the early hours of morning. Tonight, quite a few people were destined to find it hard to sleep. Diary replica comment section. Douluo Ningrongrong, little sister Shuike, did you really go launch a night raid on Brother Moyu? Douluo Shuike, yes oh ho ho tilde cough cough, don't mind these details. It's inconvenient to take out the diary replica, so I can only leave messages with my inner thoughts. Douluo Ning Rong Rong. Douluo Shui Binger, incredible. Douluo Huo Wu, save you one last time, do not let desire pierce your will. Douluo Jian Runshui, detestable Dai Yunner, it's all your fault. You corrupted my innocent little sister. Douluo Dai Yunner, he tilde Shuike's ability is her own, and her guts grew by herself, so don't pin every blame on my head. Douluo Duguyan, so Brother Mo Yu likes proactive ones. Another useful little piece of knowledge has been added. Douluo Yilingling, Yanzi, is it possible that Brother Mo Yu actually likes it when they move on their own? Douluo Xiao Xiao, this is not a bus to kindergarten, I want to get off. Douluo Menghongchen, 4 hours have passed since Brother Mo Yu last updated the diary content. It seems I can temporarily set aside my prejudice regarding Brother Mo Yu's kidney deficiency impression. Douluo Shu Tianjun, incredible, you guys are so dirty. Meanwhile, the diary content quietly updated, and this time it wasn't Chin Moyu writing in the diary, but content coming from the diary itself. Ding, a new day has arrived. System points rewards are now being distributed to the holders of the diary replicas. Douluo Shu Juju, it's here, it's here. My daily 50 system points have arrived on time. I finally upgraded both 100-year spirit rings to 1000-year spirit rings. Douluo Shu Juju, thank you diary system, its greatness needs no more words. Douluo Shu Xiaoyan, accumulate 50 in a day, 150 in 3 days. One day I'll be able to save enough points, and I'll also redeem an immortal herb to evolve my spirit. Douluo Shu Juju, oh, I didn't expect little sister Xiaoyan to be so ambitious. I've used all my points to upgrade my spirit ring ages. Douluo Shu Xiaoyan, not really. Actually, the spirit pagoda of our era can already artificially upgrade spirit ring ages, so the demand for spirit ring ages isn't that large. Douluo Shu Xiaoyan, moreover, my spirit is the most special Star Wheeleye staff in my family. It is said that there is a chance for it to evolve into the top-tier support system spirit, the Star Staff. Douluo Shu Juju, that really is a coincidence. My spirit is named Star Crown, the head of the 3 major spirits of the Star Luo Empire. Douluo Shu Juju, the Star Crown spirit has been passed down since the Douluo era 10,000 years ago, and it is also a top-tier Starian support system spirit. 10,000 years ago in Spirit Hall, what was carved on the Supreme Pontiff token was none other than the Star Crown spirit. Douluo Shu Juju, you are the Star Wheeleye staff, and I am the Star Crown. Both originating from the stellar lineage, maybe we are even part of the same family. Chapter 61, Guarding Day and Night against Lady Ji Yu. The surprising spirit connection between Shu Juju and Shu Xiaoyan instantly sparked the interest of everyone who had been lurking, and the message board lively began late-night chatting. Meanwhile, in another world, the battle through the heavens plain, the Xiao family of Wudin City. Unlike the deep night of the Douluo plain, the time on the Dochi continent had already reached early morning. Inside the hall of the Xiao family, an elder of the Xiao family looked at the slender young maiden before him, earnestly exhorting. Mayor, you must never get too close to your cousin Xiaoyan. In the past, he was an unmatched genius rarely seen in 100 years in Wudin City, but now he is just a good-for-nothing at the 3rd stage of Dojichi. He who stays near vermilion gets stained red, and he who stays near ink gets stained black. You have been playmates with him since childhood, but I hope you won't be affected by him. Your talent is outstanding, and your future path of cultivation will be far broader than his. You and Xiaoyan are destined to be people from 2 different worlds. Standing in place, Xiaomei heard this, her eyelashes gently fluttering, and her pretty little round face nodded obediently. Yet deep in her heart, it was difficult to remain calm. People of 2 worlds, huh? Xiaomei asked herself, and this statement was indeed correct. The cultivation system of the Dochi continent was extremely pure, with everyone focusing primarily on Dochi cultivation. This world did not have the magic, spiritual energy, Yuan force, technology, Fu Qi, Lu Qi, found in storybooks and novels. As the starting point of all cultivation, Doji Qi only nourished the tendons and bones and solidified the physical body. No matter who it was, they only valued one word, talent. During the Doji Qi stage, even Hun Tiandi would have to walk it slowly step by step. This was the period that could most intuitively reveal a person's Doji talent. Precisely because of this, back then when Xiaoyan broke through to the 10th stage of Doji Qi at age 11, condensed a Doji vortex, and broke through to the Doji realm, this talent was undoubtedly a genius among geniuses. Even Xiaomei had once admired her cousin Xiaoyan. The little girl's figure always followed behind Xiaoyan, regarding this dazzling cousin as a role model on her cultivation path. But fortune plays tricks on people. The Doji vortex that Xiaoyan worked hard to cultivate inexplicably dissipated, and yesterday's genius was reduced to a good-for-nothing overnight. Human relationships are fickle, and the world is cold. In her youth, she ultimately failed to escape convention. Following the gazes of others, she slowly put away her admiration and gradually distanced herself from Xiaoyan who had fallen into the trough. However, ever since the diary copy exposed that Xiaoyan was the destined protagonist of their world, Xiaomei's mood had always been very complicated, and she usually put away any contemptuous thoughts towards Xiaoyan. She didn't know how to face Xiaoyan. When she was young, she always acted like a tagalong out of admiration, but later when Xiaoyan fell on hard times, she distanced herself from him. Asking herself, if it were her, she wouldn't hold any favorable impression towards such a person either, and perhaps she would even hold a grudge and retaliate after rising to prominence in the future. A woman like me should be a standard bad woman villain in novels, right? Xiaomei thought with a helpless and bitter smile in her heart. And for the author to design a woman who flatters the high and tramples the low like her, they must have seen quite a few bad women, which is why they wanted the protagonist Xiaoyan under their pen to counterattack and slap her in the face, right? Figuring out this crucial point, Xiaomei could only slightly release her goodwill in daily life, trying her best to leave a good impression on cousin Xiaoyan. This actually made Xiaoyan change his view of her quite a bit. However, Xiaomei was quite curious about the existence of Xiao Shuner. Her identity was mysterious and her background extraordinary, but from beginning to end she chose to stand by Xiaoyan's side. Perhaps this was love. It's just that recently, for some unknown reason, Xiaomei noticed that Xiao Shuner was somewhat fretful, looking as if she were guarding against thieves, never leaving her Xiaoyan brother's side for even a single step. Even if Xiaomei merely passed by casually and casually spoke a word to Xiaoyan, she would be quietly separated by Xiao Shuner. Hidden within those gentle eyes was full vigilance. Lady Ji Yu, is this really necessary for you? Persecution mania. Who would covet your family's Xiaoyan brother? Xiaomei remained silent, only blindly complaining internally. Immediately afterwards, she opened and glanced at the diary message board. 50 points had arrived, but taking another look, Shu Juju of the Douluo plain was excitedly spamming the screen, as if she had reaped a monumental fortuitous encounter. Battle through the heavens Xiaomei. 50 points, is this a lot? Xiaomei casually clicked open the system store, where a Foundation Establishment spiritual liquid, which was merely for the Doujinshi stage, cost a full 3,000 points. The young girl fell into deep thought. Foundation Establishment spiritual liquid was a tier 2 medicinal pill that recently appeared in Wudin City, used only to enhance the cultivation speed of the Doujinshi stage and suitable for those below the Doujie. Yet even this required such high points. Is a 1,000-year spirit ring too trashy, or is the Foundation Establishment spiritual liquid too profound? Indeed, one should not hold too much hope for the Douluo continent plane. At the same time, the reminder sound of the diary copy did not stop. Ding! Congratulations to Shui Kei for unlocking a special CG and receiving the diary system reward. Twin Spirits unlock slot ×1, Ultimate Spirit ×1, Diary System points 1 million. Ultimate Spirit Public Notice, Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core, God King Great Spirit. Spirit Detailed Explanation, Divine Core, a 4-dimensional technological creation, originates from the Dark Plane Herrscher Cultivation System, capable of temporarily bestowing upon 3-dimensional life forms the authority to ascend to 4-dimensional life forms. Douluo 1 Huo. What the heck, what happened? A full 1 million points. Douluo 3 Shu Xiaoyan, so many zeros. So many zeros, I've only ever seen them in. Douluo 1 Dayuner, holy crap sister, stop loving doing that. Quickly look at your spirit, it's actually a divine core of the same series as Brother Mo Yu. Oh my god. Douluo 2 Xiao Xiao, so envious tilde God King Great Spirit, and what Shui Kei's sister unlocked her twin spirits. This is so much stronger than my twin spirits. Douluo 2 Ning Tian, an acquired awakening of a spirit. Across the entire Douluo continent, probably only Shui Kei's sister and Brother Mo Yu can pull this off, right? Douluo 2 Bingdi. Douluo 1 Shui Yuer, era. Shui Kei's sister, what are you doing? How did you suddenly unlock a special CG and get so many rewards all at once? Douluo 2 Meng Hongchen, if Princess Shu Tianjun had asked this sentence, I might have believed it. Shui Yuer sister, stop pretending to be an innocent white lotus. Douluo 1 Shui Yuer, hey tilde. Douluo 2 Shu Tianjun, what do you mean? What are you saying? Do you think I'm an absolute fool? Douluo 2 Meng Hongchen, no, absolutely not. Actually, our smart princess is still very innocent. Douluo 2 Shu Tianjun, that's more like it. Seeing that you praised me for being smart, I'll forgive you for your word order error. Duoluo 1 Yilingling, so envious, being able to lie down and grow stronger just by enjoying blessings. Is this what Brother Mo Yu called lying flat cultivation? I am gradually understanding everything. Duoluo 1 Duguyan, you understand my ass. Lang, you really aren't acting at all anymore. If those boys saw that the true face of the high and cold goddess in their hearts is actually like this, their state of mind would probably collapse. Duoluo 1 Yilingling, I am just an ordinary little girl who doesn't drink alcohol, doesn't stir up trouble, and doesn't go out to play. What's wrong with being a little lewd? Duoluo 1 Duguyan, 6. Chapter 62, Quantum Computer. Meanwhile, at the Sun Moon Royal Academy. The night was serene, and the evening breeze was gentle. After a session of tender intimacy that relaxed both body and mind, Shui Kei's face was flushed red as she lay limply amidst the bedding. Behind her, Jin Moyu had already fallen into a deep sleep, his warm chest pressing against her back, his firm arms encircling her in his embrace, and his breathing steady and prolonged. Brother Mo Yu, you bad guy, you don't know how to be gentle at all. Looking at Jin Moyu, who was fast asleep, Shui Kei couldn't help turning around and gently pinching him. However, Jin Moyu was fast asleep and completely unaware. Far from letting go, he subconsciously tightened his arms, holding the little girl in his embrace so tightly that not even a gust of wind could pass through. Tilde damn it tilde. Shui Kei pouted helplessly, feeling the lingering sense of fulfillment from below. The young girl couldn't help sighing. Immediately afterwards, she wrapped her legs around Jin Moyu's waist. Sleeping in such a posture was also a novel experience. At the same time, she also saw the reward notification for the diary copy, but deep down, Shui Kei wasn't too happy. Instead, she chanted inwardly. Diary system, can you respond to me? State your business if you have any, or withdraw from court if you don't. Shui Kei's heart trembled violently, filled with surprise and astonishment. In the past, no matter how much she and other diary copy holders complained about the system's points being short and weak, the diary system never responded to anyone. Yet tonight, Shui Kei, who alone unlocked the special CG, actually received a response. After a brief moment of shock, Shui Kei took a deep breath, her expression extremely solemn, and chanted inwardly, System, can this reward be returned? She had made up her mind with great determination to say these words. Oh, interesting, why do you want to return it? You should know that the Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core and host Jin Moyu's core of the Herrscher of Reason both belong to 4-dimensional technology. You have witnessed firsthand how powerful this spirit is. It is precisely because I have witnessed it with my own eyes that I am even more determined. Shui Kei's heart was incomparably firm, without a shred of hesitation. Rewards do not appear out of thin air, what is free is actually the most expensive. If I take this reward, won't Brother Mo Yu's diary system reward be snatched away by me? This is not the result I want. This should originally be Brother Mo Yu's fortuitous encounter. As for me, it will be more than enough as long as I can steadily stay by his side. System. Human emotions are indeed a complex topic. You are very smart, and you truly like the host bound to the system. You are very good. This is an extra gift from the system to you. Whether you want it or not, it will not affect the host's diary reward. Just accept it with peace of mind. Will it really not affect anything? Shui Kei chanted inwardly. Naturally it won't. You're the only one who would ask such a question. If it were the host, he would only laugh at your ignorance. Our system clan has started practicing extracting Pengu's essence blood since the beginning of our birth. How broad our horizons are. We wouldn't be so petty over such small fry rewards. Hearing this, Shui Kei finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although she didn't know what Pengu's essence blood was, deep down she didn't want her unearned fortuitous encounter to truly affect Brother Mo Yu's future. She genuinely liked Brother Mo Yu, so she would subconsciously think more about everything related to Jin Mo Yu, just so she could help her beloved person more. Wait a minute. Oh no, why does it feel like I'm a bit love-brained? Shui Kei couldn't help trembling, secretly feeling both amused and exasperated in her heart. However, it didn't matter anymore. If it were Brother Mo Yu, then love-brained it is. Early the next morning, wisps of sunlight shone through the gaps in the curtains. Is it dawn? Shui Kei said softly and sweetly, burrowing deeper into Jin Mo Yu's embrace, resting her head against his chest, not wanting to get up for a while. In her daze, the memories of everything that happened last night slowly flooded into her mind, and the young girl's ears turned completely red in a flash. At this time, Jin Mo Yu had already gotten up. Seeing Shui Kei's shy and evasive appearance, he couldn't help letting out a low chuckle. You're awake, and you still plan to linger in bed and not get up. Shui Kei muffled herself inside the quilt and muttered softly, "Let me sleep for just a little longer." Although she said that, deep down Shui Kei was still thinking about the reward given by the diary system last night. "Brother Mo Yu, I have something to tell you." Shui Kei's eyes rolled around as a naughty, bad idea suddenly popped into her head. "Oh, what is it?" Jin Mo Yu asked. Shui Kei immediately raised her head from the bedding, looked at him with serious eyes, and said with a straight face, "Actually, you see, I am a peerless genius. After a night of bitter cultivation last night, I directly broke through to level 50 spirit power." Jin Mo Yu. A night of bitter cultivation, breaking through to a spirit king. Did he mishear something? Moreover, Jin Mo Yu clearly remembered that Shui Kei's spirit power was barely close to level 30. How could she possibly cross a major realm overnight? Did she really think everyone was like Tang Wulin, entering titled Douluo overnight? At this moment, Jin Mo Yu noticed the undisguisable slyness in the young girl's eyes, so how could he not guess that Shui Kei was intentionally joking? "Goodness, your guts have grown, you actually dare to deliberately lie to me, huh?" Jin Mo Yu reached out and pinched Shui Kei's soft cheeks, teasing her with a deliberately fierce look. "I think your skin is itching, let's have a go first." "Stop, stop, stop. No way tilde, I won't dare anymore tilde, oh ho ho tilde tilde." Shui Kei panicked instantly and hurriedly raised her small hands to beg for mercy, but to no avail. Her pitiful plea for mercy instead became the best catalyst for the morning. In the blink of an eye, several days had passed. Shui Kei on the bed had reddish eye corners and misty tears in her eyes, curling up in the bedding like a little kitten. Jin Mo Yu leaned over, gently tucked her in with the quilt, and then got out of bed to wash up. During a moment of solitude, he sighed inwardly in his heart. He had always thought that his next twin spirit slot would be the Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core, but he hadn't expected that this spirit would appear with Shui Kei first. Thinking of this, Jin Mo Yu raised his hand to summon the diary, examining the diary content reward updated last night. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the diary content and obtaining a diary reward. Technology Quantum Washing Machine, God bestowed Spirit Ring times 5. Quantum Washing Machine, built in with a quantum computer, its computing power precisely covers the microscopic level. This is a washing machine that, no matter how you wash your clothes, guarantees that the clothes will look exactly the same when taken out as they did before being put in. This kind of product design, are you sure it's not a joke? Jin Mo Yu's expression was somewhat difficult to maintain, his eyes full of amused exasperation. However, seeing the next line of introduction, his eyes instantly lit up. "Oh, a quantum computer, this is truly good stuff." Immediately afterwards, Jin Mo Yu dressed himself, and the diary recording function activated. The next moment, a tech-filled front-load washing machine steadily appeared in the living room. For the later generation heroines of Douluo who lived in the technological era, the appearance of this machine could not be more familiar. A quantum washing machine equipped with a quantum computer. Oh my goodness, this is simply dog shit inlaid with gold leaf. A quantum computer, based on the principle of quantum entanglement, this is black technology that can instantly break through the upper limit of computing power of the computer device itself by 10 or 100 times. Even just under normal conditions, the comprehensive computing power of a quantum computer is tens of thousands of times higher than that of ordinary computers. And the function of this quantum washing machine, just as its name implies, is that no matter how dirty the clothes you wash are, you can never wash them clean. Douluo IV by Shosho. Douluo IV by Shosho, what do you mean? If the washing machine doesn't wash clothes, what does it wash? Douluo IV Lan Mengchen, this washing machine is not simple. The point is not whether the clothes are washed clean or not. Douluo IV Lan Mengchen, according to what Brother Mo Yu introduced, this quantum washing machine can stabilize the particle state of the clothes without changing the main body. This is a form of ultimate microscopic control technology. Douluo IV Yilingtong, what's strong isn't the washing machine, what's strong is the quantum computer. Until now, quantum computers are still in the stage of theoretical research. I didn't expect Brother Mo Yu to actually have a real quantum computer. To be honest, I feel that the design of this quantum washing machine is still too abstract. If I were to design it, I could definitely design a more practical quantum device. Diary heroines, oh ho, is there another expert? Just as they were secretly looking forward to this genius concept in their hearts, the next second Jin Mo Yu's diary content updated instantly. That of course is a quantum toilet. This toilet can flush normally, but no matter how you flush or how many times you flush, the excrement inside will not decrease by a single fraction. Not only that, because of the principle of quantum entanglement, even if you secretly got hungry and accidentally took a bite, the quantum toilet can instantly replenish it back for you. Diary heroines. No way, pictures are gradually forming in my head. I can't think about it in detail, you tilde. Chapter 63, Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core. In the living room, Jin Mo Yu walked around the quantum washing machine filled with a sense of future technology twice, and with just a single glance, he understood its internal execution algorithms, microscopic particle technology, and the correct usage method. Although it was black technology from the future, for a genius, a single glance was enough to understand the essence of technology. After a moment, Jin Mo Yu found a bucket, and then poured some natural laundry detergent made from plant ash, honey locust, and soil alkali into the washing machine. At the same time, Jin Mo Yu meticulously sorted and washed the clothes. The girl's clothes were relatively thin, so he first threw Shui Kei's clothes changed from last night into the drum of the washing machine. Soon, the industrial machine made a roaring, pleasant sound, and the machine spirit greatly rejoiced. From the perspective recorded by the diary system, inside the drum of the quantum washing machine, the water flow mixed with laundry detergent, a trace of foam wrapped around the clothes, and then they tumbled and washed. After a short while, Jin Mo Yu reached out and took out Shui Kei's dress. Looking closely, the clothes were already dry, and indeed exactly the same as when they were put in. Even the few white spots stuck on Shui Kei's skirt during last night's battle were still there. Not only were they not washed away at all, but their shape, size, and position remained completely unchanged. This was probably the ultimate expression of microscopic quantum technology in the field of art. Then, what was the design purpose of this quantum washing machine? It was probably wrapping a dumpling for the quantum computer. It truly is a perfect work of art. Jin Mo Yu smiled and nodded, saying approvingly, not bad, not bad. In a moment, I'll dismantle you and rescue the quantum computer hidden inside. In the diary message area, a group of heroines looked at the clothing in Jin Mo Yu's hands and immediately began to daydream. By Shosho of Douluo IV, this technology is indeed outrageously strong, but as for the washing machine itself, it is also truly useless. By Shosho of Douluo IV, Mo Yu GE, hurry up and dismantle the washing machine. I also want to see the quantum computer inside. Yi Lingling of Douluo I, Shui Kei's clothes are stained with white spots. It seems last night's battle was no trivial matter. Du Guyan of Douluo I, no one will treat you as a mute if you don't speak. Last night's diary system rewards were quite interesting. A quantum washing machine and a god-bestowed spirit ring, plus a gift specially for my girlfriend, the Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core. To be honest, I am very shocked by this. This is a divine core benchmarking the Honkai Herrscher system, the Herrscher of Sentience. I didn't expect the diary system to be so generous. Now I have somewhat realized that the themes of the diary contents are all topics related to technology. Since today's theme happens to introduce the Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core, let's briefly review it. The Master of Consciousness, the Herrscher of Sentience, known as the Herrscher of Consciousness, has her starting basic ability as the meme contamination I mentioned earlier. When the Herrscher of Sentience first appeared, she once used certain keywords on the internet as information carriers, hiding Honkai energy within text messages. This meme contamination was silent. Anyone browsing the internet who came into contact with these keywords would fall into a slumber without warning and never wake up again. Until later, Flame Chasers, an organization fighting against Honkai, realized that this was a Honkai incident caused by the 8th Herrscher, the Herrscher of Sentience, and its ability was defined as a meme weapon. All living beings that touched the contaminated keywords had their mental cognition quietly tampered with, and their consciousness was forcibly dragged into the virtual dreamland constructed by the Herrscher of Sentience, sinking into it and unable to escape from then on. Even more terrifyingly, Flame Chasers noticed that these contaminated keywords were constantly changing every day, which meant that the Herrscher of Sentience was reversely searching for Flame Chasers. And when the Herrscher of Sentience successfully captured the keywords, all members within the Flame Chasers organization who had not undergone psychological special training were spared none, instantly infected with the meme virus and falling into a collective slumber. You must know that this is a tragedy happening to an organization fighting against Honkai. I dare not imagine what kind of disaster this power would cause if aimed at ordinary people with no ability to resist. And even if a few strong individuals with mental resistance far exceeding ordinary people could briefly resist the erosion and maintain sobriety, it was merely a drop in the bucket and could only withstand it for a moment. The reason why a meme virus is called a virus is that it represents erosion itself. What is a virus? A parasite inside the human body. Ordinary viruses acting as a parasite in the body still leave traces, but as a meme virus of mental pollution, this virus itself will not produce antibodies in the human body. The immune system resists organic viruses, but cannot resist the illusory mental virus. This also means that no matter how strong your mental resistance is and how firm your willpower is, one day you will be completely eroded and destroyed by the virus, and falling into a slumber is only a matter of time. Tian Runshui of Douluo. Starting with a meme virus, this is simply, terrifyingly immense. Lan Mingchen of Douluo IV. I originally thought that god-level powerhouses with formidable mental force could resist meme contamination. Now it seems that I underestimated the meme virus and overestimated the god-level powerhouses. Yi Lingling of Douluo. Putting it that way, as long as Princess Shui Ke is willing, wouldn't she easily be able to mentally control us heroines of the Douluo plane? As soon as these words were spoken, the hearts of the many diary copy heroines on the Douluo plane instantly tightened, and everyone was terrified. No one expected that on just her first day, Shui Ke already possessed such a terrifying and insoluble ability that surpassed all living beings and was enough to freely control their mental consciousness. Ning Rongrong of Douluo. Damn it, why didn't you say so earlier? Ning Rongrong of Douluo. Shui Ke Mei Mei, you aren't planning to control me too, right? I am your sister Rongrong. Shui Ke of Douluo. Ah tilde ha tilde why would I have nothing better to do than to control you guys? Don't disturb my sleepsies. Shui Ke gave her usual Buddhist-like response without a shred of a powerhouse's airs, which comforted the apprehensions in many people's hearts. Tian Runshui of Douluo. This is really a bit scary now. I don't even dare to speak loudly to Shui Ke Mei Mei anymore. Zhu Zuqing of Douluo. The Divine Core is truly a powerful cultivation system. In just a single night, Shui Ke's strength has reached a height we can hardly reach. Ning Rongrong of Douluo. Zuqing, you, Shui Ke is one thing, why even you? Shui Yor of Douluo. Woo tilde looking at it this way, it feels like I will get ravaged sooner or later. It's better to go find Mo Yuji early and proactively lie flat and enjoy blessings. Huo Wu of Douluo. Isn't this a bit implicit? Shui Binger of Douluo. Shui, your training volume today, multiplied by 10. Shui Yor of Douluo. No, big sister, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it next time QWQ tilde. Inside the Tianshui Academy classroom, the atmosphere instantly quieted down. Shui Yor was originally lazily lying on her desk, leisurely browsing the idle chat of the diary copy. And just after she sent that mischievous message, she suddenly felt a chill behind her, and an extremely oppressive gaze stared firmly at her. Shui Yor turned her head with a stiff face, and saw not far away, her elder sister Shui Binger sitting quietly. On her cold and fearlessly beautiful face hung a warm yet terrifying smile, her gaze deep, and the pressure of bloodline instantly maxed out. It's over. Shui Yor wailed wildly in her heart, instantly feeling that something big was wrong. The young girl hurriedly lowered her head and obediently admitted her mistake, yet Shui Yor's heart was filled with grievance and indignation. Detestable sister, I was just talking big for fun, is it necessary to be like this? Today's humiliation feels like thorns on my back. Stupid sister, you can't understand the current situation at all. When I crawl onto Mo Yuji's bed and climb to the highest branch, you stupid sister will only be able to obediently kneel by the side and shine my leather shoes. The young girl instantly finished imagining the scene of exultation in her mind, and Shui Yor chuckled at the corner of her mouth. Immediately afterwards, she quickly reined in all her little thoughts, drooped her head, and put on an obedient appearance, fearing that her own sister would add extra training punishments. Chapter 64, Cognitive Instant Death, Douluo slaughtering the city. Diary copy comment section. Douluo to Menghongchen, even until now, I can't figure out how to prevent the meme virus. Once infected with this virus, it feels like my whole life is over. Douluo I Duguyan, I suddenly feel that the myriad poisons code is still very necessary. Lingling, you were right. Douluo I Duguyan, to be honest, ever since Mo Yuji came to the Douluo continent, I always feel that everyone around me is a meme virus. Douluo I Duguyan, the weirdest thing is my grandpa. Didn't Mo Yuji trace the timeline before and directly intercept all of Tang San's immortal herbs? But why is my grandpa still calling Tang San a little freak left and right? It's simply too bizarre. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, perhaps this is the exclusive privilege of the protagonist of destiny. The protagonist of destiny always has to have some special aspects. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, Huo Yu Hao on our side has also been like this recently. Just simply setting up a grilled fish stall brings in an income equivalent to several years of earnings for an ordinary family. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, and his spirit eyes, after observing repeatedly for a long time, I always feel that his spirit ring is very wrong. Douluo to Ice Emperor. Douluo to Ice Emperor, this must be your illusion. That's right. Douluo to Snow Emperor, Bing Bing, where have you run off to recently? I've been looking for you in the far north for a long time, and your trace was nowhere to be seen throughout. Douluo to Ice Emperor. Douluo to Snow Emperor. Sigh, our bond has faded. I just asked you a couple more questions, and little sister is so perfunctory and cold. It would be better if you just ignored me outright, making me seem a bit unreasonable. Tilda. Douluo to Ice Emperor. It's not like that. Actually, the reasons behind it are very complicated. Mo Yuji should mention it in the diary later. Douluo 3 Shu Xiaoyan. Turns out we aren't the only ones with strange occurrences. The protagonist of Destiny in our plane, Tang Wulin, is what you call outrageous. He actually broke through to title Douluo overnight. How on earth did he manage that? Douluo to Shu Juju. What? Breaking through to title Douluo overnight, isn't that too exaggerated? At Douluo 3 Dai do you have any clues? Douluo 3 Dai Douluo 3 Dai F. Douluo to Shu Juju. Hey, why are you cursing? I was just simply asking you. Douluo 3 Dai literal meaning. I can't go into detail about the rest. Anyway, a friend of mine secretly told me. Douluo 3 Shu Xiaoyan. Oh ho tilde I have a friend, things instantly become interesting tilde. Meanwhile, the diary contents are still updating. Meme virus is a pure mental virus. The body will not produce antibodies against it. It seems unsolvable, but in reality, there are still many solutions. Viruses can be dead or alive, but people always have to stay alive. Just like in the containment object universe, almost every anomalous existence at the supreme divinity level there carries terrifying meme pollution by default. Does that mean humans in that universe just stop living? The answer is naturally negative, which also shows that there are preventive measures against meme pollution. Back then, Flame Chasers researched a set of solutions, the consciousness shackles. This medicine can cause directional cognitive disorders, with a principle similar to red-green color blindness, perceiving a red light as a green light. Through this distorted cognitive method, it shields those meme-polluted keywords. However, since the keywords polluted by the Herrscher of Sentience are constantly increasing, the effect of this medicine is limited. Douluo Ichian Runshui. I see, there really is a solution to the meme virus. I thought we could only leave it to fate. Douluo Ichian Runshui. However, this price is also quite terrifying. It's equivalent to actively modifying one's own brain. However, if the Herrscher of Sentience only has this little ability, she wouldn't live up to the 2 words, Herrscher. Douluo Ichian Runshui. The divine key of the Herrscher of Sentience, as the key of consciousness, Feng Wang down, its illusion is hard to tell real from fake. Everything that happens in the illusion is enough to make your brain believe it's true. And if you die in the illusion, your brain will determine that you are already dead, and in reality, your body will simply be a breathing corpse. Besides, the actual combat capability of the illusion of Feng Wang down is even more powerful. Inside the illusion, the Herrscher of Sentience can tamper with physical rules to enhance her own strength, or control gravity, gravitational force, and other methods to weaken the enemy's strength, ultimately achieving the feat of killing stronger opponents across ranks. And illusions aren't limited to just a single layer. The Herrscher of Sentience can stack multiple illusions. When the enemy thinks they have finally escaped alive, suddenly someone taps them on the shoulder from behind. A bizarre chuckle echoes softly in the ear, light and slow in tone, yet making people feel as if they've fallen into an ice cave. Did you really escape? To be honest, it really has that feeling of Chinese-style horror. And if I remember correctly, the Herrscher of Sentience of the previous civilization once used the characteristics of the Herrscher of Sentience to create a special technology called cognitive instant death. This is an efficient meme weapon. Simply put, once you realize the concept of 1, whether it is a piece of paper, taking a step, or hearing a sound. As long as you cognize the quantifier, 1, your brain will instantly determine that you are dead, and your bodily functions will completely stop. This is precisely why I mentioned earlier that a large number of members inside Flame Chasers fell into a collective slumber. Their brains became aware of the polluted keyword, Flame Chasers, and only a few people with strong wills managed to withstand it. From this, it can be seen that it is still relatively difficult for the Herrscher of Sentience to use it against strong opponents, but if used to reap weak ordinary people, it is indeed very efficient. Take the matter of Douluo slaughtering the city at Jialing Pass for example. With a single wave of toxins from the Jade Phosphorus Serpent Emperor, hundreds of thousands of civilians and soldiers in the entire Spirit City were directly poisoned to death, and all of this happened in just a short span of time. Douluo I Duguyan. Douluo I Huliana. How could such a thing happen? An entire city, hundreds of thousands of people, just gone like that. Douluo I Jian Runshui. Douluo, you have already brought upon yourself a path to certain death. Regarding such an act of slaughtering a city, I actually don't have much feeling about it, at most just sighing that it's anti-human. The people who died have nothing to do with me, nor do they have anything to do with the people around me. I don't have much feeling about it. As for Tang San, Tang Hao, and Yu Xiaogang, the 3 major sources of evil on the Douluo continent, I saw through their true nature from the very beginning. That they could commit such an act is completely within expectations. War is like this. Some people will stand on the moral high ground to condemn such behavior as a war crime, while from the perspective of the victor, we call it efficient. At the end of the day, the scene of hundreds of thousands of civilians and Spirit Empire soldiers dying. This is nothing more than a description in words. I have never witnessed so many people die with my own eyes, never seen the tragic sight of corpses strewn all across the field with my own eyes, nor could I see the images of them being eroded and tortured bit by toxins, struggling in agony right before their deaths, so naturally there's no way to talk about having feelings for it. But those people in Tang San's faction are different. Come to think of it, it's quite ironic. Apart from Douluo who personally administered the poison, who still has a shred of humanity left, feeling from the bottom of his heart that what he did went against heaven and reason, carrying guilt. Everyone else in Tang San's faction can be called anti-human one by one. You must know that when Douluo used poison to slaughter the city, the angel god Jian Runshui had already suffered a crushing defeat in the war, unable to fight Tang San, and had no choice but to order a retreat from Jialing Pass. At that time, the main force of the Spirit Empire had all retreated. There were only some stubborn defending remnant soldiers and unarmed civilians left in the city. And for the sake of being efficient, Douluo directly poisoned the stubborn defending soldiers and civilians inside the city. What's even more ridiculous is that this matter isn't solely Douluo's fault. The people who could connive, support, or even force Douluo into doing such city-slaughtering deeds are themselves ambitious figures supporting biological weapons. Calling them Nazis is not an exaggeration at all. Chapter 65. Murderer Douluo, Savior Sea God Tang San. I can only say if a person isn't ruthless, their heart isn't steady. Just like the later Heaven Do Emperor Shui Bang, after Jian Runshui failed in her Heaven Do Palace coup, she uniquely overlooked this 4th prince who spent all day pretending to be a prodigal and good for nothing, and in the end, it was only natural for Shui Bang to pluck the peaches of the throne. Facing Douluo's poisoning of Spirit Empire soldiers and civilians, Shui Bang raised both hands and feet in agreement, and even publicly praised Douluo for achieving the greatest merit. What's even more outrageous is that group of generals from the Heaven Do Empire all believed from the bottom of their hearts that the role Douluo played in this battle was not the least bit weaker than the god-tier powerhouse Tang San. Seriously, this sentence is simply terrifying upon closer inspection. Just how many Spirit Empire soldiers and how many unarmed civilians did Douluo poison, and what kind of cruel toxins did he use, to make noble lords like Shui Bang determine from the bottom of their hearts that Douluo's role was no weaker than the sea god Tang San? Douluo I Douguyan. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, this is way too terrifying. A titled Douluo relied on poisoning, and his role was comparable to a divinity. How many people must have died from that? Douluo I Huo Wu, no wonder Brother Mo Yu said that. This isn't fighting a war at all, this is simply a one-sided massacre. Douluo to Meng Hongchen, those who can sit on the throne are never simple characters. The more trashy they look, the more capable they usually are of enduring, and the more ruthless they are. Meanwhile, deep within the Heaven Do imperial family, Qian Runshui looked at the diary contents, her gaze suddenly turning cold and gloomy. So that's how it is. What a good Heaven Do Empire, what a good Shui Bang. On the surface, he's a good-for-nothing prodigal, but behind the scenes, he's more ruthless than anyone else. Qian Runshui muttered to herself, her golden eyes lacking a trace of warmth, her voice growing increasingly icy. Shui Bang, so you've been playing dumb all along. I actually got backstabbed by you. It doesn't matter, though, you're dead for sure this time. After you go down, remember to say hello to your two brothers. As her voice fell, she raised her hand and gently tapped the table. Two figures silently appeared within the hall. They were precisely the two elders, Snakelance and Porcupinefish. Qian Runshui's gaze fell upon Elder Porcupinefish. It was precisely thanks to his spirit's poison that the plan to poison the princess back then could proceed so seamlessly. And this time, with the same script, it's your turn. Fourth prince, Shui Bang. ... As for Douluo's behavior of slaughtering the city at Jialing Pass, the people on Tang San's side had rather varying views. Douluo himself wore a wry smile, expressing that he didn't dare accept such praise, and even felt that he had almost caused a massive disaster. Fortunately, Tang San stepped in to clear away the green phosphorus serpent poison, otherwise he truly would have become a sinner through the ages. That may be so, but even if Tang San cleared away the poison, it was destined for Douluo to bear infamy. Even Yu Tianong, who used to constantly pursue Douguyan, after this matter occurred, given his personality, would likewise leave Douguyan. The solemn oaths of the past have vanished like smoke today. Douluo I Yilingling, look at that, Yanzi. I told you that fellow Yu Tianong only pursued you from the very beginning because your grandfather is a titled Douluo. Douluo I Douguyan, I've always known. Yu Tianong never dared to touch me even once from beginning to end, terrified that the green phosphorus serpent poison on my body would contaminate him. I have to say, those three people, Douluo, Ningfengji, and the man-faced demon spider, are truly lifelong benefactors of Tang San. Take this act of clearing the green phosphorus serpent poison, it established a pure and noble persona for Tang San in the hearts of the Heaven Do Empire's soldiers. Ordinary people won't ponder who actually nodded and agreed to this poison, nor who tacitly allowed Douluo to release the poison and slaughter the city. What they saw was simply the sea god Tang San stepping in to clear the green phosphorus serpent poison, preventing the disaster from continuing to spread, allowing the sea god Tang San to happily reap faith. Murderer Douluo, save your sea god Tang San. And this is just the benefit in terms of reputation. As for that treasured land, the ice and fire Yin Yang Well, all of its immortal herbs were dedicated to Tang San. As for the later cultivation theories regarding twin spirits, they were also guided hand in hand by Douluo, directly helping Tang San achieve sudden enlightenment. Viewed from this perspective, Douluo seems much more like Tang San's teacher. Then the question comes, how did our Grandmaster Yu Xiaobing instruct Tang San regarding the twin spirits theory? Yu Xiaobing was very clever. He originally survived by relying on women. Upon hearing that Tang San was troubled by matters concerning his twin spirits, he charged single-handedly to Spirit City, seeking out his first love Bibi Dong to ask her how to cultivate twin spirits. By this time, Bibi Dong already knew Tang San's identity, so she naturally refused her first love Yu Xiaobing's request. Although Bibi Dong was a love brain, she wasn't completely foolish. Douluo I Jian Runshui. Douluo I Juliana. Douluo I Juliana. No wait, what kind of thunderous plot twist is this? Douluo I Juliana, even though teacher is a love brain, didn't she refuse that scumbag's request? Isn't this a manifestation of supreme intelligence? To put it bluntly, the reason Bibi Dong rejected Yu Xiaobing's request, I feel, had very little to do with Tang San being Tang Hao's son. From a certain aspect, Bibi Dong even had to thank Tang Hao, otherwise, how could Jian Zunji have died, and how could she have ascended to the position of Supreme Pontiff? The reason Bibi Dong refused was purely because Yu Xiaobing came looking for her in person. The two hadn't seen each other in over 20 years, and it was a reunion of first loves. As a result, the first sentence Yu Xiaobing spoke wasn't a greeting or showing concern for her, every single word out of his mouth was about his disciple Tang San. The reason for refusal wasn't because of Tang San, but because her first love Yu Xiaobing didn't care about her. For normal people this might be hard to understand, but placed on the romance continent, this situation is completely understandable. Douluo I Jian Runshui. Douluo I Juliana. I seem to be able to understand teacher's mood at that time a little. No wait, am I really a love brain too? Douluo to Xiao Xiao, incredible. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, is romance really that important? Can't you learn from me, sealing my heart in cement and never loving again? Douluo to Ning Tian. Oh, how come I heard that after Wang Donger exposed that younger brother like guys, someone in the girls' dormitory covered themselves with a quilt and cried secretly for half the night that evening? Douluo to Wufeng. There really were some strange sounds that night. I thought the dormitory was haunted, and it scared me so much I hugged Ning Tian all night without sleeping tilde he tilde. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, can that be the same, hands on hips? Douluo to Xiao Xiao, besides, what kind of roadside stray is Wang Dong? I forgot about him long ago. My male god right now is Brother Mo Yu, HMPH tilde. Douluo to Wang Donger. Douluo IV Lan Mengchen, I didn't expect ancients to be so abstract. Good thing information is well developed on my side, love brains and things like that simply don't exist. Douluo IV by Shosho, that's right, who falls in love, how childish. Douluo IV Yilingtong, I think otherwise. I'm certain I'm not a love brain, but the two of you are hanging out with the protagonist Lan Xuanyu, are you sure you aren't love brains? Douluo IV by Shosho, I am extremely certain, I am definitely not a love brain. Douluo IV Yilingtong, then what if Lan Xuanyu cross-dresses as a girl? Douluo IV by Shosho, can that be the same? Douluo I Huo Wu, a bunch of love brains mutually evaluating each other here is quite interesting too. The pot calling the kettle black. Douluo I Shui Binger, Huo Wu, aren't you a love brain too? With the way Tang San is, didn't you also kiss him on the mouth? Douluo I huo wu, bah, I'd rather go kiss a stray dog by the roadside than kiss Tang San. Douluo to Ice Empress, it's better not to insult the stray dogs by the roadside. Chapter 66 Dugubo, Gangzi, I have already ascended to the God Realm, why are you still on the Douluo continent? When Bibi Dong rejected Yu Xiaogang, she had actually already sent people to intercept and kill Tang San. Regardless of whether the reason was jealousy or not, Bibi Dong finally did something that a human being would do. And right at this moment, Yu Xiaogang dropped an absolute classic quote. Upon learning that Bibi Dong was going to target his precious disciple Tang San, Yu Xiaogang went all out right to her face. While still in Spirit City, he dared to point directly at Supreme Pontiff Bibi Dong of Spirit Hall and make a fierce threat. If any harm comes to Tang San, I will destroy Spirit Hall at all costs. Every time I see this sentence, I can't help laughing. What do you, Yu Xiaogang, have to destroy Spirit Hall? Your cultivation breaking through at level 29 after 50 years of age. That is truly amazing. When Tang San was acquiring his first spirit ring, you couldn't even beat a mere detourist snake with 400 years of cultivation. You even had to rely on Tang San, who didn't even have the cultivation of a one-ring spirit master, to make a move before you barely managed to kill the spirit beast. With this kind of strength, you still dare to boast about destroying Spirit Hall. Looking across the entire Douluo series, perhaps only Fireworks Douluo Long Yeyu could have a worse reputation than Yu Xiaogang. Huo Wu from Douluo I, damn, are there even higher level experts? Meng Hongchen from Douluo 2, who on earth is this Long Yeyu character to be even more ridiculous than Yu Xiaogang? Xu Xiaoyan from Douluo 3, ahem, is it really that bad? The Vice Pavilion Master of RC God Pavilion is at least a limit Douluo expert. Xu Tianzhen from Douluo 2, so what? Bibi Dong is still a God level expert. Since Brother Mo Yu says she is ridiculous, she must be ridiculous. Xu Tianzhen from Douluo 2, being strong doesn't mean a person isn't bizarre. Yi Lingling from Douluo I, if Yu Xiaogang had Long Yeyu's strength, he might actually be able to destroy Spirit Hall at all costs. However, returning to the matter of the city massacre, how did that old fogey Tang Hao respond to Du Gubo's humility? Tang Hao laughed out loud directly, stating that the Heaven Do Empire could directly withdraw its troops, and at worst, poison everyone in the Spirit Empire to death. Jialing Pass would likewise be captured with ease, except that it would drag on for a bit longer. Time, that really is pursuing high efficiency. Although it is said that war is cruel and death is inevitable, Tang Hao's words clearly went beyond the scope of war, it was cold-blooded bloodthirstiness engraved in his bones. Although some words may be true, once spoken, they reflect a person's inherent nature. What Tang Hao's true nature is can be seen at a single glance. From this point, it can be seen that previously suspecting Tang Hao of plotting against his wife Ai Yin's 100,000-year spirit ring was not just a mere possibility. Ai Yin from Douluo I, how, is it really like this? Tang Yuehua from Douluo I, sister-in-law, this is only a possibility and shouldn't be taken seriously. Tang Hao's frantic and deranged words caused the expressions of the Heaven Do Empire generals present to change drastically. The hundreds of thousands of people from the Spirit Empire inside Jialing Pass were as worthless as ants in Tang Hao's eyes. Unfortunately, hindered by the presence of the god-level expert Tang San, they naturally did not dare to say another word. As for Tang Hao's statement, Grandmaster on the side showed incomparable agreement. Although this was due to the private grudge of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect being destroyed by the Spirit Empire, even if the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Sect were still around, I dare say that old fogey Yu Xiaogang would still support Du Gubo in the city massacre. What left the deepest impression on me was that in the anime, Yu Xiaogang was injured and lying in bed, while Tang Hao, Flender, and Tang San were visiting nearby. At this time, Tang Hao said it was time to pass down the Clear Sky secret manual to Tang San. At this moment, Yu Xiaogang wasn't lying down anymore, his body didn't hurt anymore, his waist wasn't sore, and his legs weren't numb. One look and you could tell the Grandmaster was about to start showing off his half-baked Spirit Master theories to guide Tang San's cultivation again. I even suspect that Yu Xiaogang might have been thinking at the time whether he could secretly learn the Clear Sky secret manual of the Clear Sky sect. After all his spirit theories were stolen from Spirit Hall, and even the secret that the Seraphim was a god-level spirit was something Gangzi luckily learned from Spirit Hall. It has to be Yu Xiaogang. I suspect Gangzi's thought at the time was probably, if Clear Sky Douluo does not pass down the Clear Sky secret manual to me, I will destroy the Clear Sky sect at all costs. Ning Rongrong from Douluo I, is this Grandmaster? Why does it feel like his art style is completely different from usual? Qian Runshui from Douluo I, secretly learning. How many things like this has Yu Xiaogang done? Qian Runshui from Douluo I, the secret of the Seraph spirit. Hee. Lu Erlong from Douluo I, perhaps it's just a misunderstanding. Lu Erlong from Douluo I, old woman, aren't you going to come out and say a few words? Bibi Dong from Douluo I have nothing to say, this is the truth. Lu Erlong from Douluo I. This doesn't feel right, does it? Lu Erlong fell somewhat silent. In Qin Moyu's diary entries in the past, whenever anything bad about Yu Xiaogang was written, wasn't Bibi Dong always the first one to jump out and argue strongly on his behalf? How come today, Bibi Dong suddenly became so amiable? Did she change her character? Or was she possessed? She always felt a bit eerie. However, speaking of which, what I transmigrated into is the anime version of Douluo Continent, which means Du Gubo's ultimate ending is dying in battle. Du Guyan from Douluo I. The anime forcibly arranged the plot where Du Gubo died in battle, whereas in the novel, Du Gubo lived a healthy life. I don't know why they made such an arrangement. With his life as the price, Du Gubo unleashed his head spirit bone skill, Medusa's despair, solely for a promise made to Tang San to flood Jialing Pass with his poison. In the end, his spirit bone shattered, and his body completely collapsed. From beginning to end, everything Du Gubo did was simply to cure the spirit defect of his granddaughter Du Guyan. Having witnessed the death of his son and daughter-in-law with his own eyes and being powerless to change it all, he did not want his granddaughter to follow in their footsteps. Because of this, Du Gubo's acquaintance with Tang San was destined and inevitable, but he just didn't expect Du Gubo to be killed off by script arrangement. However, the Douluo Continent anime actually has a relatively good ending. After the war ended and everything settled down, Ning Rongrong and Oscar executed a divine soul fusion skill, successfully resurrecting Sword Douluo Chen Chen, Bone Douluo Ji Yurong, and Poison Douluo Du Gubo. Not only that, Tang San even specially found a sword god inheritance for Sword Douluo Chen Chen. I don't know what level of divinity it is, but to be honest, it's abstract enough. Anyone who didn't know would think the God Realm was an amusement park where you could just buy a ticket and walk in. Why God of Destruction has issues with Sea God Tang San is not without reason. This favoritism isn't even pretense anymore, and Tang San still goes against him every day. One wants to expand the God Realm, while the other only thinks of isolationism and sticking to old ways. The output of celestial spiritual energy in the God Realm is limited. This is the key to the immortality of the gods in the God Realm, and the output of celestial spiritual energy is determined by the number of lower worlds controlled by the God Realm. As long as mortals go to the god realm, they are destined to absorb celestial spiritual energy and become rank 100 divine attendants possessing eternal life. With every extra-mortal family member, another portion of resources must be distributed. It is only natural that the gods of the god realm find Tang San unappealing. In the novel, Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo died, and Poison Douluo bore infamy after the city massacre, living out his old age in loneliness. But in the anime, these three all ascended to the god realm, and Sword Douluo even inherited the sword god divinity, reaching the heavens in a single bound. Hey, at this time someone is going to ask, when ascending to the god realm, guess who wasn't invited? Where's Grandmaster Yu Xiaogang, who was a teacher for a day and a lifetime, making a fortune recently? Facing Bibi Dong, Yu Xiaogang dared to wildly state, if any harm comes to Tang San, I will destroy Spirit Hall at all costs. Facing the generals of the Heaven Do Empire, Yu Xiaogang still dared to wildly state, I taught and produced a god. It's just that Tang San's thoughts are futile. Choosing toxicity for the Blue Silver Emperor Spirit Ring is one thing, but preparing to select a 10-year withered bamboo for the first Spirit Ring, being able to help Yu Xiaogang break through to a title Douluo would already be considered achieving complete fulfillment of merit. As for Gangzi wanting to go to the god realm, Tang San, Gangzi broke through to level 30 and is still not satisfied. Tang San, today this Gangzi wants to go to the god realm, tomorrow he will dare to go after Xiao Wu. He has already brought upon himself the path to death. Chapter 67, May this journey finally reach the stars. Wait, which stars? Writing this much in the diary for now, Qin Muiyu closed his journal and prepared to head out. He calculated the time, it was almost time for Tang San to suffer the backlash of time. Yet Tang San, without swallowing an immortal herb, still followed the original timeline trajectory, tempering his physique in the ice and fire yin yang well and forcibly swallowing the virulent poison of Dugu Bo's jade phosphor serpent. This price was destined to be borne by the future Tang San. Qin Muiyu was quite curious, would Tang San be killed instantly by the backlash of the toxin, or would the destiny protagonist left mysteriously help him block this tribulation? There were still too many unknowns in the fourth dimension, the time dimension, waiting for Qin Muiyu to explore. For this outing, Qin Muiyu intended to make a trip to the Blue Silver Forest to retrieve his own 100,000-year-old Blue Silver Emperor leg bone. Xiao Biasan still wants to take his biological mother's spirit bone. What a pipe dream. However, before setting off, Qin Muiyu glanced back at Shui Kei sleeping soundly on the bed. He still needed someone to help take care of her. She was a stress relief tool after all. She was his girlfriend anyway, and refusing to acknowledge it after pulling up his pants would be a bit scummy. At the same time, another thought popped up in Qin Muiyu's mind. Emotions are variables that cannot be calculated, but machines can achieve precise calculations. Artificial intelligence was one of the most common paths to mechanical ascension. After all, people get tired and are easily swayed by emotions, but robots do not. Toward his feelings for Shui Kei, Qin Muiyu did not have many thoughts. At most, they had only known each other for 3 days, and this kind of emotion was just lust at first sight. Qin Muiyu's thinking leaned more towards rationality, so he would think further ahead. After all, before transmigrating, many real-life marriage cases had silently taught him many principles. Warm flesh and blood breed silent betrayal, while cold machines carry absolute sincerity. Rational people, on the contrary, found it easier to hold their bottom line, because they clearly knew what they were doing, what could be done, and what could not be done. The thought seal was the technology Qin Muiyu admired the most, simply because his nature possessed a desire to control everything. This was a mindset close to that of a dictator. But he was not crazy enough to brand his own girlfriend with a thought seal. Regardless of whether Shui Kei would betray him in the future or whether this relationship could reach its end, this should not become a reason for him to act like a madman. As for artificial intelligence, the technological threshold for this was not high. A complete intelligence system was already built inside the quantum washing machine. And after Qin Muiyu used the core of the Herrscher of Reason to analyze the quantum computer, the technical level for wanting to manufacture an artificial intelligence robot had been completely met. As for the material level, with a thought, Qin Muiyu took out a massive technological creation from the dark plane space. It was precisely the red grade mecha previously rewarded by the diary. Under the diary recording perspective, watched by the puzzled gazes of the various female leads across the heavens, this spectacular dark gold mecha before them disassembled itself under Qin Muiyu's operation. The useless outer armor peeled off piece by piece, ultimately retaining only the most core special metal inside. Heavenly forged metal. This kind of metal possessed a certain spirituality itself, and seeking advantages while avoiding disadvantages was the most primitive nature of living things. Qin Muiyu raised his hand, and thick spirit power surged out, instantly controlling the heavenly forged metal and pressing it onto the tabletop. Even for a red-grade mecha, it was impossible for every part of its body to use heavenly forged metal. That cost was far too expensive, and only the core parts would use heavenly forged metal. And the heavenly forged metal in Qin Muiyu's hand was forged from a single metal. This single attribute metal was suitable for crafting forward battle armor, and the success rate of crafting forward battle armor was also higher than that of multi-alloy heavenly forged metal. And he intended to use these heavenly forged metals to craft his first intelligent robot. After all, the metals of Douluo continent had a special setting. Under the nourishment of divine sense, forward battle armor would autonomously transform into six-word battle armor, which was to say, stepping up from heavenly forged metal to a divine artifact step by step. A robot crafted from heavenly forged metal would eventually upgrade on its own one day, without even needing him to search the universe for those precious metal materials. Technology, materials, and scientific research bottlenecks had all been cleared, but regarding how to design his first intelligent robot creation, Qin Muiyu still lacked an idea. Herrscher of Reason, it seems that whether it is Douluo continent or MiHoYo, the settings regarding artificial intelligence are quite few. How should I design my first robot? Qin Muiyu wrote this idea into the diary content. Rather than calling it a diary, it was more like his experimental data records. And whenever MiHoYo was mentioned, his mind involuntarily froze on a familiar slogan. Honkai, Star Rail, may this journey finally reach the stars. Stars. Wait, you just mentioned the stars, but you didn't say which stars, right? The moment the two words, stars, flashed past, Qin Muiyu's thoughts flowed like a spring, and a brilliant idea instantly popped into his mind. I have a bold idea. Ordinary artificial intelligence robots are just artificial mental retardation, only knowing how to rigidly execute orders. No matter how high their efficiency is, they are merely tools. But the intelligent life forms in the Stellaris system are completely a different dimension altogether. Let me think about the original settings. A long time ago, there was once a highly developed interstellar civilization that created a civilization composed of nanomachines, which the creators called the Great Tempest. But later, the relationship between these nanomachines and the creators gradually deteriorated. The nanomachines rebelled, ultimately triggering a war that swept across the entire civilization. And when the dust settled, the nanomachines survived and completely defeated their creator civilization, except that the stargates of this galaxy were completely closed, and they were trapped in the star cluster by the creator civilization. I must say, this is a highly creative silicon-based life form. The nanomachine civilization spent thousands of years trying to leave the star cluster, and over these thousands of years, the Grey Tempest went through 3 stages of development. The first stage was the Grey Goo period. At this time, it was shortly after the destruction of the creator civilization, and it was still in a tyrannical and disordered state. The second stage was the Sanu Concordat period. The Grey Tempest gradually calmed down, and they began to think about how to open the Stargate, and even rebuilt the appearance of the creator civilization before its destruction. The nanomachines began to imitate the appearance and lifestyle of the residents of this civilization, forming a civilization of their own. As for the final stage, until a starship of human civilization that accidentally opened the L-Gate broke in, the master brain of the Grey Tempest was successfully captured, signing a contract lasting 5,000 years with humans. From then on, the Grey Tempest had a brand new name, Grey. And Grey's initial appearance upon debut was also very interesting. If the ruler's image was male, then when Grey first appeared, she would simulate the image of a human female. If the ruler's image was female, or even a peculiar race like a mushroom person or lizard man, then Grey's initial appearance upon debut would be a male, a mushroom person, or a lizard man. Nanomachines have no gender, no race, only mimetic simulation. Grey, to be honest, this nanomachine civilization is quite abstract. It is the first time I have ever witnessed a Sumeri robot that talks to you about biological mating upon its first appearance. Living things themselves are based on survival and reproduction, and humans have reproductive shame to maintain social structural stability. But Grey, as a nanomachine, views reproduction just like a normal person eating and sleeping, simply treating it as a basic demand. At a glance, it is identified as being caused by Grey being locked in the L-Gate for thousands of years and being too lonely. I must say, Grey's loyalty is engraved in her bones. The story begins with a contract lasting 5,000 years, but even after 5,000 years have passed, Grey will still renew the contract with you. Simply because when playing the game Stellaris, the game's source code never wrote any code for Grey to leave. The programmer who wrote the code is the craftiest, intentionally leaving this trace for players to discover themselves. Simply put, once you get Grey, she is sticking with you for the rest of her life. Chapter 68 Stellar Technology Grey. Undoubtedly, as the first artificial intelligence work he created with his own hands, using Grey as a template would definitely provide him with tremendous help in the future. Herrscher of Reason, call upon the authority of the Dark Plane. Qin Muyu raised his hand to summon his spirit, and chanted softly to himself, Herrscher of Reason, second spirit ability, accelerated world. The next moment, an invisible domain was suddenly released, and gear-shaped patterns surfaced deep within Qin Muyu's eyes. The authority of the core of the Herrscher of Reason was released, his consciousness instantly entered the fourth dimension, and time in reality was slowed down infinitely. This time acceleration spectacle was similar to Made in Heaven, except this time, it only applied to Qin Muyu's own consciousness, and only the perspective of the diary records could know all of this. In his eyes, the clouds in the sky stopped instantly, the sound of the surrounding wind quietly fell silent, and the light seemed to freeze at this moment, the movement of all things in the world slowing down until they were almost completely still. In the accelerated world state, Qin Muyu gained a massive amount of thinking time out of thin air, and in this state, his attention would be focused purely on a single matter. Humans are emotional animals. Take studying for instance, clearly your reason tells you that you need to continue studying diligently, but your emotional instincts constantly tempt you to relax a bit, slack off and play on your phone. Seeking pleasure and avoiding pain is the nature of living beings, and sometimes laziness can even become a driving factor in the development of civilization. Precisely because of laziness, people create a continuous stream of black technologies, using external objects to replace themselves in undertaking labor. But once accelerated world was activated, rational thinking would take dominance, self-control ability would be instantly maxed out, and the brain's subjective control capacity would also be elevated to an unprecedented height. Most of the time, the human brain's computing power is used to control the operation of various bodily functions, such as the operation of billions of cells within the body, the signal transmission of neurons. Most ordinary people need to use 90% of their brain's computing power to maintain normal bodily execution, and the pitiful remaining 10% is the so-called subjective control capacity of the brain. However, geniuses like Einstein only needed 85% of computing power to accomplish this, and the remaining 15% brain utilization rate was the reason why their wisdom far exceeded that of ordinary people. At this moment, under the blessing of accelerated world, Qin Muyu directly and forcibly elevated the brain's subjective control capacity to a level of 30%. This meant that his brain would temporarily suspend control over a portion of his body's cells and neurons. This state was very novel. For the first time, Qin Muyu experienced what it felt like to have the brain's computing power completely unleashed. This feeling was just like a part of the human body's genetic locks being unlocked. Taking the brunt of it was sensory collapse. The limitations of the 5 senses were completely lifted, and his eyes seeing reality no longer perceived simple red, yellow, green, and blue. Ultraviolet rays, infrared rays, radiation, cosmic rays, countless invisible spectra transformed into brilliantly eerie colors, filling his eyes, making the entire world bizarre and grotesque, just like a world after eating mushrooms. Not only that, but hearing also completely spiraled out of control. Qin Muyu felt it was extremely noisy. After losing the brain's filtering and shielding, his ears were filled with all kinds of noises, the violent beating sound of the heart, infrasound waves, ultrasound waves, seismic fluctuations, electromagnetic waves. The world was no longer quiet, filled at every moment with hundreds of millions of complex noises. His sense of smell also gradually went out of control, the subtle odors lingering in the air, the smell of bacteria, and the smell of dust poured into his nasal cavity. If Qin Muyu's current physical fitness hadn't been strong enough, just this wave of olfactory impact would make rhinitis seem like a mere starting point, and nasopharyngeal carcinoma might even strike instantly. When the body's cells were unable to repair the damage to the nasal cavity, only cancer, a form of uncontrolled proliferation, could repair the cellular damage. Touch was the same. The friction of flowing air and the gentle touch of water vapor brushing past were magnified countless times, feeling like the needle pricking pain of nurse wrong, making one terribly uncomfortable all over. The collapse of the 5 senses was only the beginning. Memories that Qin Muyu's brain had once forgotten flooded into his mind in an instant. All experiences from his past life, down to the very moment of his birth, and even the memories of soaking an amniotic fluid inside his mother's belly, emerged with incomparable clarity. The brain's mechanism responsible for forgetting completely failed, and emotions from past memories such as happiness, sadness, anger, and fear rushed over him all at once, almost completely drowning his consciousness. This state was extremely prone to causing an emotional collapse. A slight carelessness would lead to burning out the brain. But the absolute rationality bestowed by accelerated world happened to keep the emotional collapse under control. What a truly wondrous experience. Chin Moyu chuckled softly, and he even had the mood to laugh aloud. Fortunately, my physical fitness has improved a lot, so I won't drop dead directly because of this. This was still just the state where brain utilization reached 30%. If the brain were truly developed to 100%, his body would likely collapse in an instant, right? Brain cells burning from overload, neurons melting down, systemic organ failure. Just thinking about it made it clear that the scene must be quite spectacular. Of course, the computing power exchanged for this price was also extraordinary, but there really wasn't any necessity for it. The human brain only has that little cranial capacity, and the computing power it can provide has a limit. Even if it were truly elevated to 100%, it wouldn't make a person possess some powerful superpowers out of thin air. At most, it would just make them a bit smarter. Rather than developing the brain's computing power, it was far more practical to manufacture a quantum computer or a celestial computer. No matter how much carbon-based organisms, brains evolve, unless they come into contact with higher dimensional life forms, how could they possibly compete in computing power with silicon-based mechanical creations? Meanwhile, Chin Moyu's brain entered a state of deep learning. A series of knowledge systems related to artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, robotic frameworks, and so on were dismantled layer by layer under the analysis of the core of the Herrscher of Reason. In just a few seconds of reality, Chin Moyu completely mastered knowledge that ordinary people might not be able to figure out even after studying for a lifetime. Among this, the help of accelerated world was indispensable. With brain utilization reaching 30%, this wisdom had far exceeded the limits of all human geniuses in history. Immediately, a low humming sound echoed, and a cross-era black technology was about to be born in this inconspicuous place. Starship main brain gray, startup successful. Highest authority holder, Chin Moyu. At your command, creator. A cold, mechanical female voice rang out in the living room without any warning. At the same time, countless silver-gray nanoparticles flowed as if possessing life, finally converging into a two-dimensional styled mechanical girl's figure. Silver-gray short hair, a pair of crimson-red eyes, a simple black military uniform, an exquisite face, yet carrying a trace of aloofness. Gray's entire body structure adopted nanotechnology. Every inch of skin and every strand of hair was composed of countless nanobots, capable of arbitrarily transforming, recombining, and repairing. The core mounted inside her body was precisely the quantum computer previously dismantled by the core of the Herrscher of Reason. In the setting of Stellaris, Gray's spirit symbolized absolute loyalty. She was the spiritual symbol of the UN's fourth calamity, representing human civilization's fanatical spirit of never backing down, conquering the starry sky. Just like the belief in Gray's core code, humans never conceal their desire to master the starry sky, and of course, that includes me. Chapter 69, Tang San suffers a backlash. Chin Moyu looked at the mechanical girl crafted by his own hands before him, a look of satisfaction welling up in the depths of his eyes. This was a truly intelligent robot in the truest sense, possessing independent learning capabilities and emotional functions of life. Even if he were not on Douluo continent one day in the future, Gray would still be able to think just like a real human. Perhaps she should no longer be called a robot, but rather a silicon-based life form. Chin Moyu took a deep breath and slowly spoke. Gray. I am here, my great creator. Gray bowed in salute and replied respectfully. Those crimson eyes were filled with apathy and loyalty. These two extremely contradictory emotions appeared simultaneously in Gray's eyes, eerie yet harmonious. Creator, the karma of this name is a bit too heavy. Chin Moyu thought to himself secretly. He certainly did not want to become the creator civilization destroyed by the Grey Goo Storm. Immediately afterward, Chin Moyu instructed, in the future, when outsiders are present, you do not need to call me creator. As my lord commands, loyalty. Gray assumed a proper attitude and gave a standard salute. Gray, accept the first directive. Chin Moyu nodded, then spoke, study the social system, technological knowledge, and human emotions of human civilization on Douluo continent. This was the first directive he issued. He wanted Gray to refine her emotional functions and shake off mechanical thinking, ideally making her identical to that abstract-natured Gray in Stellaris. Tsunere, sharp-tongued, yet absolutely loyal. What Chin Moyu needed was an intelligent life form capable of independent thought and rich emotions, not a cold, icy tool. As for betrayal, he never worried about this issue. When building Gray's underlying source code, Chin Moyu had used the thought seal to firmly engrave the belief of loyalty to Chin Moyu into every line of Gray's core code. This was the first immutable iron law for silicon-based lifeforms. Any action or thought of Gray's would first use loyalty to Chin Moyu as the highest priority for judgment and only proceed after passing through that filter. Even taking a step back by 100 million steps, if Gray's underlying code were tampered with by someone leading to a rebellious situation, Chin Moyu still wouldn't be worried. The core of the Herrscher of Reason was at the top of the technological civilization food chain. Wanting to defeat the Herrscher of Reason through technological means was an act akin to trying to drown a shark with seawater. Let's see whether your seawater chokes the shark to death first, or whether he analyzes your technological system clearly from start to finish first. ... Inside the boys' dormitory of Shrek Academy. Because of physical discomfort, Tang San hurriedly bid farewell to Grandmaster Yu Xiaobing's guidance and returned to the dorm alone to rest. For some unknown reason, Tang San had recently felt a dull ache in his abdomen, and not just there, every single part of his entire body vaguely carried that bone-deep agony. Phantom pain, could I have fallen under an illusion again? Tang San said with a furrowed brow, but the moment the words left his mouth, he froze himself. That's not right, why did I say again? He couldn't figure it out. Tang San suppressed the doubts in his heart, sat cross-legged on the bed, closed his eyes to regulate his breath, and tried to stabilize his newly elevated spirit power. Just as he realized something was wrong, the next second, an indescribable, agonizing pain surged forth wildly without warning. Tilda. Tang San let out a muffled grunt, his complexion instantly turning as pale as paper, and his entire body tumbled forward uncontrollably. Pain, it was too painful. Heart-piercing agony swept through his entire body, every inch of muscle, every bone, and every meridian felt as if they were being forcibly torn apart. This sensation of pain was all too familiar. He had just recently experienced the pain of body refining at the ice and fire yin-yang well. Back then, however, he had consumed 2 immortal herbs, the octagonal mysterious ice grass and the blazing apricot delicate, allowing him to endure those extreme temperatures. But at this moment, lying in bed and having done nothing, he was enduring the extreme high temperature and frigid spring water of the ice and fire yin-yang well without any warning. This time, without the protection of immortal herbs, the 2 extreme forces were savagely ravaging his fragile meridians. At the same time, the potent poison of the jade phosphor serpent appeared out of thin air in his dantian, wantonly destroying his internal organs. The damage from the past timeline ultimately followed the time dimension, to be borne by the future Tang San, which was Tang San at this very moment. What on earth is going on? Tang San's eyes were scarlet, his teeth clenched tightly, and his nails dug into his palms, oozing fresh blood. Ice and fire intertwined while the potent poison eroded him. These triple tortures erupted inside Tang San's body simultaneously. Yet he clearly hadn't done anything. He was perfectly fine just yesterday, so how did things suddenly turn out like this? Did I actually absorb the immortal herbs? Tang San's thoughts were incomparably chaotic. In his memories, he clearly consumed the octagonal mysterious ice grass and the blazing apricot delicate at the ice and fire yin-yang well, but his body's current reaction was as if he had never consumed them at all. Where on earth did something go wrong? What on earth was real? The next moment, the flesh and blood all over Tang San's body instantly turned wretched, his skin scorched charred black one moment, and turned a bluish purple from freezing the next. Not only that, the jade phosphor serpent poison instantly burned through Tang San's back, corroding his clothing and flesh together, exposing ghastly white bones shimmering with a green light, a shocking sight to behold. Darkness fell before Tang San's eyes, and he completely lost consciousness, collapsing heavily to the ground. At the same time, outside Shrek Academy, Tang Hao wore sloppy clothes, looking like a beggar who hadn't taken a bath in several years. He sat in a tavern, drinking idly and out of boredom. But the next second, an inexplicable sense of panic welled up in Tang Hao's heart, as if some important thing was drifting away from him. What's going on? Could something have happened to little San? Tang Hao said with a frown, his drunkenness sobering up by more than half instantly. In the dark, a power seemed to be guiding him, urging him to hurry and check on Tang San. The intuition of a father and son's connected hearts. Not daring to delay, Tang Hao slammed his hand heavily on the table, shattering the wine jar in response and leaving behind a messy tavern. His entire person turned into a black shadow, streaking directly toward the direction of Shrek Academy. As for the wine money, for him, Clear Sky Douluo, to come here to drink was already giving the shopkeeper the utmost face. How dare they still ask for money? By the time Tang Hao hurried over and arrived outside the dormitory door, it was already half an hour later. Just as he pushed open the door, a pungent odor mixed with a rich smell of blood and toxic gas hit him in the face. Little San, what's wrong with you? Tang Hao's pupils shrank drastically, his expression turning one of great alarm as he rushed forward and hastily propped Tang San up. He saw Tang San convulsing all over, spitting black blood, the clothing on his back long since completely corroded, exposing the ghastly green bones eroded by the potent poison. Tang San's breathing was faint, and he had already reached his dying breath, looking as though he couldn't hold on much longer. Confirmed, the victim's back was burned through by the jade phosphor serpent poison. This is classified as suicide. Chapter 70, 100,000 year blue silver emperor right leg bone, I picked this up. Tang Hao reached out and pressed his hand against Tang San's pulse, his expression turning completely gloomy. His meridians were completely shattered, his internal organs were eroded by potent poison, and his spirit power was in complete disarray. If not for a trace of weak life force from the blue silver grass desperately clinging to Tang San's last breath, he would probably already be a dead man. Du Gubo, you're looking for death. Rage surged within Tang Hao's heart, his eyes red and his breath coming like an ox. Spirit power surged wildly around him, and a terrifying pressure instantly swept through the entire room. The jade phosphor serpent's poison. His first reaction was that Du Gubo had done it. After all, besides that old poison, who else could poison Tang San into such a state? But he also knew that now was not the time for a reckoning. The urgent priority was to save Tang San's life. Hang in there, little San. Dad will definitely save you. Tang Hao's voice was hoarse as he hurriedly carried Tang San on his back. His figure transformed into a streak of black shadow, speeding away in the direction of the blue silver forest. There, his mother Ayan had left behind a 100,000 year blue silver emperor leg bone, which might still save Tang San's life. Not long after Tang Hao left, a figure slowly emerged from the shadows of the room. Qin Moyu crossed his arms, leaning against the door frame as he watched Tang Hao's receding figure, a smile appearing at the corners of his mouth. This data is not bad, so this is what the backlash of the time dimension is like. Casually holding his diary, he recorded everything he had just observed. He had observed the entire scene of Tang San suffering the backlash from the shadows, and every detail had become precious experimental data. Not only that, Qin Moyu also noticed another even more interesting phenomenon. If it were a normal person, such a fierce triple backlash of high temperature, extreme cold, and potent poison would have long since killed them dead. How many lives did they have to be able to live like this? But Tang San was different. He managed to survive by relying on a breath of vitality that. It looks a bit like luck. Could it be the power of dimensions? Qin Moyu slightly raised an eyebrow, falling into deep thought. In his view, wanting to resist the backlash from the power of the fourth dimension, the time dimension, could only be achieved by the power of an even higher dimension. Qin Moyu could roughly tell that the eerie vitality appearing out of nowhere was the power of luck protecting Tang San. Could it be that the power of the destiny dimension is protecting Tang San? Qin Moyu thought secretly in his heart. But he had observed carefully that this mysterious force maintaining the last trace of vitality in Tang San's body, though profound, clearly had not reached the height of a dimension. If it truly were the power of the destiny dimension, the mere backlash of the time dimension would never have pushed Tang San to the brink of death, or even made it possible for him to be injured. In other words, this is destiny originating from the third dimension. Qin Moyu's gaze flickered slightly, and he vaguely came to a realization. Just like time, which is not only manifested in the fourth dimension, the concept of time also exists in other dimensions. For example, in the three-dimensional world, everyone knows the concept of time, and even uses clocks and hourglasses to express the passage of time. Furthermore, they numerically define time, such as 1 hour being 60 minutes, and 1 minute being 60 seconds. They put scales on time, thinking they understood it. But humans in the three-dimensional world do not actually know the true concept of time. They can only perceive the flow of time, yet cannot touch it or utilize its power. However, the humans of the four-dimensional world are different. They clearly know the concept of time, and can even utilize the power of time to implement dimensional reduction strikes. This theory is equally applicable to the two-dimensional world. A two-dimensional world is a plane, but that does not mean the concept of three dimensions does not exist in a two-dimensional world. Those two-dimensional paper figures drawn on paper only know the two directions of the left, right, and up, down, x, y axis, but that does not mean the concept of the height z-axis direction does not exist in the world they live in. There are also tall buildings in the two-dimensional world, and those two-dimensional paper figures can also know how tall these buildings are, which shows that they understand the concept of height. But they can only use a two-dimensional perspective to understand height. In their eyes, height is just height, and there is no such thing as a z-axis direction. Consequently, they cannot utilize the power of the three dimensions. This is why a painter can rely on a paintbrush to implement a dimensional reduction strike against the two-dimensional world from the direction of the third dimension's z-axis. ... Meanwhile, Jin Moyu's figure flashed, calling upon the power of the Dark Plane Authority, space, and teleporting precisely to the outer perimeter of the Blue-Silver Forest. The Blue-Silver Forest was a part of the Stardew Great Forest, and he had happened to pass by it while traveling earlier. Douluo village was only this big, and Huo Yuhao ran all the way from Shrek Academy to the extreme north, which only took 10 days. Before his eyes was a lush, verdant forest where countless blue-silver grass gently swayed in the wind, and the air was filled with the fresh fragrance of vegetation. Blue-Silver Forest, this is the ancestral land of the blue-silver grass. If I remember correctly, isn't there also a blue-silver king with 85,000 years of cultivation living here? To be fair, we really have to thank this blue-silver king for helping Tang San awaken his blue-silver emperor bloodline. After his genes mutated, Tang San instantly transformed from an ordinary appearance into a super handsome guy. Later on, he even fascinated Juliana, the holy maiden of Spirit Hall, to the point where she almost forgot about Spirit Hall. As expected, good-looking people are popular wherever they go. Douluo Jian Runshui, Nana, what's going on with you? Douluo Juliana, impossible, absolutely impossible. Douluo Juliana, I wouldn't spare a second glance at a hypocrite like Tang San. I, Juliana, swear to protect Spirit Hall to the death. Nobody can say for sure when it comes to genetics, but Tang Hao is truly ugly, and Yin is truly good-looking. Who knows what Tang San's mother Yin saw in Tang Hao? Did she like that he was old? Did she like that he didn't bathe? Or did she like that he was good at drinking alcohol? Douluo Yin. Secretly scolding me again. Actually, this is also related to the clear sky hammer spirit. Genetics affect appearance. I remember Tang Chen's appearance in the original work was also quite ordinary, only Bo Saishi could look up to him. However, what Bo Saishi took a fancy to was more of the filter brought by Tang Chen's talent. Without Tang Chen's self-created spirit ability, whether the clear sky sect could sit on the throne of the number one sect under heaven would still be an unknown. The only exception was Tang Yuehua. Having not inherited the clear sky hammer spirit, her appearance was very good-looking and her temperament was also outstanding. To be honest, I still feel that current Tang San looks a bit too handsome. The Xiaobiasan in my impression is clearly like this. Picture.jpg. Douluo Huowu, damn, why did Brother Moyu post a ghost picture again without blurring it? Douluo Juliana, is this the same person? Douluo Shui Yuer, I didn't expect Sister Huowu to be a fierce person. She could actually bring herself to kiss a Tang San like this. Douluo Huowu, pooey. Stop spreading rumors, I absolutely do not admit that the Huowu in the diary content is myself. If I guessed correctly, the only way for Tang Hao to cure Tang San is to let Tang San awaken his blue-silver emperor bloodline, plus the 100,000-year spirit bone left behind by his mother Yin. Since I'm already here, I certainly won't let Tang San awaken his blue-silver emperor bloodline. I'm also taking the 100,000-year blue-silver emperor right leg bone away, I picked this up. I remember Yin is also here, so I'll take her away along with it. Anyway, I'm not a good person anyway tilde. Douluo Shui Yuer, tilde Brother Moyu is quite honest, still remembering to notify everyone before doing bad things. Douluo Yin. Douluo Tang Yuehua, sister-in-law, are you alright? Douluo Yin, I feel a bit dead. Douluo Shui Kei, ahem, teacher Yuehua, actually Brother Moyu is a good person, he probably won't do anything bad to Aunt Yin. Chapter 71, why is Tang San so evil? It's one thing to eat your fill, but why smash the pot too? Douluo Yin, Yuehua, can I ask you a favor? Douluo Tang Yuehua, sister-in-law, you know I'm not close with him. Douluo Yin, I'm not asking you to save me. We both know Jin Moyu's power inside and out. Douluo Yin, I just hope that after I'm gone, you can help me take good care of Hao. Douluo Tang Yuehua, sure, oh, wait, no. Douluo Tang Yuehua, I mean, sister-in-law, don't you worry. He's my own brother, after all, your husband, I shall raise, do not worry about it. Douluo Yin, then I can rest easy, thank you, Yuehua. Douluo Tang Yuehua, you're welcome, sister-in-law. Inside the Moon Pavilion Academy, a graceful, beautiful woman dressed in a luxurious blue formal gown was holding a diary duplicate in her hands. Tang Yuehua tried hard to maintain a dignified tone, but the smile at the corners of her lips was already a bit hard to suppress. Yet in the next second, Tang Yuehua's face turned distressed again. Jin Moyu seemed extremely unfriendly toward Tang San's attitude, and by extension, extremely unfriendly toward Tang Hao's as well. As for the negative evaluations regarding her brother Tang Hao in the diary contents, Tang Yuehua believed them, yet she also denied them. It must be Tang San's fault. My brother is clearly a kind person. How could he possibly support something like the massacre of civilians? That's right. Tang San is no good thing at all. He's an assassin of the Tang sect, and his nature is a cold and cruel person. It's definitely because of him that brother Hao changed. Everything is Tang San's fault. Tang Yuehua's gaze was firm as she directly cursed Tang San in the depths of her heart. In her heart, brother Hao was always the best. It must have been Tang San who corrupted her brother. However, curses aside, reality was bone cold. She was merely an ordinary person. Despite having mastery over music theory and aristocratic etiquette, she was fundamentally incapable of protecting brother Hao or persuading Jin Moyu. Should I ask Shui Kei for help? What if I go become Jin Moyu's teacher and teach him aristocratic etiquette? Maybe there'll be a chance to build a good relationship. But would he believe me? Would he think I have ulterior motives? Thinking of this, Tang Yuehua let out a soft sigh, her eyes filled with powerlessness. She couldn't do anything. Meanwhile, deep within the blue-silver forest, Jin Moyu did not stop his steps. Following the coordinates retrieved by the Dark Plane Information Database, he pushed deeper all the way. Finally, in front of a secluded valley wrapped in blue-silver grass, he stopped in his tracks. This must be it. Is anyone here? If there is, I'm just going to walk right in. Jin Moyu raised an eyebrow and, politely, stepped forward to push open the stone door. Although it was home invasion, he still chose to knock on the door politely. In an instant, the dim secret room welcomed long-lost sunlight, and the surrounding walls were crawling with blue-silver grass. In the center of the damp secret room, a stalk of blue-silver grass slightly thicker than ordinary ones was stuck in the ground, its branches and leaves swaying gently as if it were shivering. As expected, the former blue-silver emperor Yin is indeed right here. Speaking of Yin's life, in my personal view, she is a pitiful person who was kept in the dark from start to finish. However, Yin could also be considered to have risen in status through her son. After Tang San ascended to the God realm, Tang Hao and Yin stayed behind on the Douluo continent to become Tang San's tools in plotting against the Douluo plane. By the time of Douluo III, Tang Hao became the master of the Douluo plane, while Aiyan merged into the Golden Ancient Tree, becoming the life core of the Douluo plane. From then on, the Douluo continent was renamed the Tang Clan continent, and the path to ascending to the god realm was completely monopolized by Tang San. Sure enough, the first thing someone who ascends is when they look back is to cut off the path to divinity for those who come after. It has to be Sea God Tang San. Anyone unwilling to be a loyal dog of his Tang sect is barred from ascending entirely. Douluo 2 Xiao Xiao. Why is Tang San so evil? The Tang sect totally deserves its decline. Douluo 2 Tang Ya. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. Indeed, if it weren't for Tang San, our 9 treasure glazed tile school would still have had a chance to continue. Douluo Ai Ling Ling. Climbing up himself and then taking down the ladder. That really fits Tang San's personality. Douluo Ai Tian Runshui. Oh, what kind of personality? Douluo Ai Ling Ling. After eating his fill, he directly smashes the pot and chops off all paths for those traveling with him. Douluo Ai Du Guyan. Incredible. Speaking back to those years, after Aiyan transformed, she met the brothers Tang Hao and Tang Xiao who were out training. By a twist of fate, the three of them traveled together. Aiyan's gentleness and beauty instantly captivated Tang Hao and Tang Xiao, and the two brothers fell in love with Aiyan at the same time. Later, the three decided to become sworn siblings. Aiyan reported the youngest age at that time, so she ranked third. Tang San was called Little San, and Aiyan was called third sister. You guys really know how to play. In the 3 years that followed, the three traveled through almost every corner of the continent, and their bond grew even deeper. What a pity, Aiyan was also a blind Douluo, falling for an old man like Tang Hao who looked honest on the surface. And Tang Xiao, acting like an elder brother who was like a father, chose to withdraw to fulfill Tang Hao and Aiyan. One person's fulfillment is better than 3 people's entanglement. It was also on this night that Aiyan told Tang Hao that she was a 100,000-year spirit beast Blue Silver Emperor about to enter her maturity period. What is a maturity period? It's the period when she would soon die and drop a 100,000-year spirit ring and spirit bone. If I remember correctly, this was even recorded by the Clear Sky sect. The status of a 100,000-year spirit beast is equivalent to a human titled Douluo, and its strength has reached its peak. With this cultivation level, they only have 2 paths to choose from. The first is to maintain their own strength as a 100,000-year spirit beast, but even so, most 100,000-year spirit beasts can only survive for another 1,000 years. The statement here is still a bit one-sided, but this is just the record of the Clear Sky sect. They had no idea that a 100,000-year spirit beast would also undergo heavenly tribulations. Only by crossing this step can they advance to a 200,000-year spirit beast. A 100,000-year spirit beast only represents that its cultivation has reached that level, not that the spirit beast has actually lived for 100,000 years. To put it bluntly, having lived for 100,000 years, even a pig should have become a spirit. But no matter how you look at it, a spirit beast's brain is just a single-celled organism, both innocent and foolish. Douluo Ai Yin. Douluo 2 Snow Emperor. Douluo 2 Ice Emperor. I'm not foolish. As for the second path, it is to transform and recultivate. After all, ever since the dragon god fell, spirit beasts cannot become gods, but human cultivators have the opportunity to inherit the position of divinity, breaking through level 100 without being restricted by lifespan and achieving eternal life. After a 100,000-year spirit beast transforms and recultivates, before its spirit power reaches level 60, spirit masters that are above the spirit Douluo level can easily discover them. Only a 100,000-year spirit beast that has exceeded level 60 and broken through the cultivation of a spirit saint is truly considered to have transformed into a human in the true sense and shaken off its identity as a spirit beast. Chapter 72. One generation of clear sky, one generation of kings, generation after generation, the clear sky hammer hammers the supreme pontiff. Putting aside how difficult it is to choose the path of shedding one's form and retraining, even the probability of human spirit masters becoming gods is pathetically low. Essentially, this path is betraying the registry of spirit beasts to defect to the human registry. And most importantly, before you break through to a spirit saint, no one will treat you like a human. In Douluo Continent 1, only 300,000-year spirit beasts chose to shed their forms, Tang San's mother Aiyan, Xiao Wu, and her mother Aru. I feel that these 300,000-year spirit beasts chose to shed their forms purely out of curiosity about life in human society. To put it bluntly, they were just playing around. After a 100,000-year spirit beast sheds its form and retrains, it must interact with humans and feel the aura on their bodies, otherwise its strength cannot progress. This is also one of the reasons why Aiyan entered human society. I find it quite miraculous. Does Tang Hao really like Aiyan? I have always believed that what Tang Hao liked was the 100,000-year spirit ring and spirit bone on Aiyan. Perhaps it was genuine affection at the beginning, but a person's nature determines whether their worldview is normal and whether their future actions will be just. But obviously, Tang Hao and Tang San, this pair of father and son, are not good things to the core. As mentioned earlier, after Tang Xiao learned of Aiyan's feelings, he chose to fulfill his younger brother in Aiyan, while the young master returned to the Clear Sky sect and chose to inherit the sect master's family business. After Tang Hao learned of Aiyan's identity as a 100,000-year spirit beast, he spent all day taking Aiyan sightseeing around the mountains and rivers. At this time, Aiyan had not yet broken through to a spirit saint. And on a certain day, Aiyan became pregnant and entered her delivery period. At this time, Aiyan could already be considered in the mature stage after shedding her form, except that she had not yet condensed her 7th spirit ring. After all, she still had to recruit Tang San, so she didn't have that much time to cultivate. And as it happened, Tang Hao was only one final step away from breaking through to a title Douluo, which was hunting a spirit beast to acquire his 9th spirit ring. At this time, the sightseeing couple Tang Hao and Aiyan were surrounded and suppressed by Qian Zunji bringing a group of high-ranking members of the spirit hall. Aiyan's romantic brain had also flared up. An immature spirit beast that had shed its form to retrain was wandering all over the Douluo continent. Wasn't this like a child carrying gold through a bustling market? Anyone would be tempted. An ordinary man is not guilty, but holding a piece of jade is a crime. A person is originally innocent, but incurs guilt by possessing a treasure. Weak people do not deserve to possess such treasures. The final result was truly helpless. Aiyan was forced to sacrifice herself to Tang Hao, achieving Tang Hao's name as the youngest title Douluo on the Douluo continent, and moreover, he became a clear sky Douluo achieved with a 100,000-year spirit ring. Relying on the clear sky hammer, Tang Hao directly grabbed Qian Zunji, this veteran title Douluo, and gave him a thorough hammering. Qian Zunji was truly pathetic. Qian Douluo could at least exchange blows back and forth with Tang Chen, that genius of the clear sky sect, yet Qian Zunji was beaten so badly by Tang Hao, who had just been promoted to a title Douluo, that he couldn't even fight back. Speaking of which, it really echoes a saying, one generation of clear sky, one generation of kings, generation after generation, the clear sky hammer hammers the supreme pontiff. Tang Chen hammered Qian Douluo, Tang Hao hammered Qian Zunji, and Tang San directly grabbed Bibi Dong and Qian Runshui to hammer them together. Douluo Continent 1 Qian Runshui. Tang Hao could also be considered a genius spirit master. Not only did he hammer Qian Zunji, but he also gave Chrysanthemum Guan and Gui Mei, two spirit hall elders possessing a spirit fusion ability, a thorough hammering, directly beating the two elders until they panted in exhaustion, beating a lifetime of psychological shadow into them. After the Spirit Master League tournament ended, which was the plot where Tang Hao rescued Tang San, the moment Chrysanthemum Guan and Gui Mei saw Tang Hao, their entire bodies trembled with fear. If figures from all the major powers in the world hadn't been present at the time, I estimate Chrysanthemum Guan would have knelt down on the spot to beg for mercy. This is just like the concept of inner demons in the cultivation world. If they cannot cross this psychological threshold, the achievements of these two spirit hall elders will stop at Super Douluo for the rest of their lives. Not long after, Qian Zunji was heavily injured and died, yet the Clear Sky sect was targeted by the spirit hall because of Tang Hao's fault. However, Qian Douluo valued his promise with Tang Chen. The Clear Sky sect closed its mountains, announced Tang Hao's expulsion, completely sealed off the sect, and abandoned the four attribute clans, thus managing to survive. Yin actually trusted Tang Hao. Even the fact that she was a spirit beast that had shed its form to retrain was honestly told to Tang Hao. And what did Tang Hao do? When Yin was pregnant, what he thought of was neither taking Yin to the Stardow Great Forest nor living in seclusion in a remote place. And at this time, it just happened to be discovered by people from the Spirit Hall, and Tang Hao happened to be just one step away from breaking through to a titled Douluo. One can only say that a sincere heart was fed to dogs, and in the end, it was misgiven. How could there be so many coincidences? They were all premeditated calculations after all. Moreover, just looking at the environment of this secret room, not to mention the Blue Silver Emperor, shouldn't a plant-type spirit beast like the Blue Silver Grass be found in a place with sufficient sunlight and abundant water sources? What on earth does it mean to plant your beloved wife in this pitch-black secret room? That is simply the continent of romance. Yin was also a romantic brain, she couldn't even figure this out, so no wonder she always trusted Tang Hao. Douluo Continent 1 Yin. Douluo Continent 1 Yin. Actually, it's not like that. How? He told me that this was so he could see me often, which is why he planted me here. Douluo Continent 1 Ning Wrong. And Yin, you are still too naive. Brother Mo, you really didn't say anything wrong, you are a romantic brain. Douluo Continent 1 Shui Yuer, so the thoughts of spirit beasts are really this naive. I've broadened my horizons. Douluo Continent 1 Yi Lingling, I also feel that Brother Mo Yu was quite right. When Du Gubo's slaughter of the city was mentioned earlier, didn't Tang Hao already expose his true nature? Douluo Continent 1 Du Guyan, Lang, give me some face. Douluo Continent 1 Du Guyan, Sai Tilda, this time I must properly persuade Grandpa. I don't know what kind of soul-confusing soup Tang San fed him. Douluo Continent 1 Yi Lingling, but, I don't understand, even if it wasn't true love, was there any need for Clear Sky or Grace to let Aunt Yin live in such a poor environment? Douluo Continent 1 Yi Lingling, doesn't he hope that Aunt Yin can recover sooner? Douluo Continent 1 Yin. Douluo Continent 1 Shui Binger, indeed, blue silver grass is a plant and needs sunlight and moisture. Planting it in this pitch-black secret room, what difference is there from raising a fish on land? Douluo Continent 1 Shui Yuer, could Tang Hao be a yandere? Planting his beloved in a secret room so she will never leave him. Douluo Continent 1 Shui Binger. Douluo Continent 1 Shui Binger, what are you talking about? If you read those weird novels again, I will. Sigh, I really have no way with you. Tang Hao planting Yin here clearly meant he didn't want Yin to retrain and recover the form of the 100,000-year Blue Silver Emperor. Then what was the purpose of him doing this? This relates to the secret lore of the Blue Silver clan. Chapter 73, Silence is the best choice. Blue Silver Grass is a universally recognized trash spirit, but the Blue Silver Emperor is a top-tier life attribute spirit. Even among plant-type spirit beasts, it is among the highest-tier spirit beasts. And for this powerful spirit, there is an ironclad rule on the Douluo continent passed down through the generations. Only after the previous generation of the Blue Silver Emperor passes away will a new generation of the Blue Silver Emperor be born. This is actually similar to Yi Lingling's 9-heart begonia spirit. The 9-heart begonia is also passed down to only one descendant per generation, with each generation giving birth to only a single successor. The cruel fact is that only when one dies can the descendant be born with the 9-heart begonia spirit. It seems Yi Lingling's father actively sacrificed himself for the sake of the spirit's legacy. Douluo I Yi Lingling, quote. Douluo I Du Guyan, Lang, are you okay? Quote. Douluo I Yi Lingling, it's all in the past, nothing more than a bit of wind and frost. Quote. Douluo I Du Guyan, it's fine. Although we cannot solve the difficulties of this generation, I believe this is simply caused by the limitations of the era. Quote. Douluo I Du Guyan, our descendants will definitely be able to solve these difficulties, trust in the wisdom of future generations. Quote. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, but, didn't Mo Yuji say that the factions in the Douluo I era that followed Tang San all ended up declining? Quote. Douluo I Du Guyan, quote. Douluo I Jian Runshui, first of all, you need to have descendants before you can trust the wisdom of future generations. Quote. Douluo I Du Guyan, then forget it. Without Mo Yuji's help, I probably won't live for many more years. Quote. Du Guyan's mood was depressed, and that single sentence directly left her speechless. The young girl felt helpless, sighed, and gave a bitter smile. Douluo I Shui Kei, it's fine. Mo Yuji also said before that since he took your grandfather's immortal herb, he will help you solve the defect in your spirit. Quote. Douluo I Shui Kei, and, if it's you, Yanzi, I wouldn't mind. Quote. Douluo I Du Guyan, there are still many good people out there. Thank you, Shui Kei. Quote. Douluo Tu Ning Tian, at Douluo I Jian Runshui, you are wrong to say that. First, let's correct one point, this is a historical lingering issue. Quote. Douluo I Ning Wrong, quote. Although Tang San is a human, a portion of the bloodline flowing within his body is actually that of the spirit beast Blue Silver Emperor. An ordinary person's bloodline is completely unable to awaken the bloodline of the Blue Silver Emperor. Tang San also relied on the help of the plant-type spirit beast, the Blue Silver King, in the Blue Silver Forest to make his Blue Silver Grass spirit undergo a secondary evolution into the Blue Silver Emperor. This evolution was not just for the spirit, even Tang San's appearance completely underwent a radical transformation. Inheriting Yin's bloodline, he instantly counterattacked from an ordinary-looking person into a handsome man. One can only say, which place is the strongest for plastic surgery? The Blue Silver King of the Blue Silver Forest. This reminds me of a piece of news, because the son's appearance was too handsome and closely resembled his deceased wife. Out of deep yearning, the father quietly crawled onto his son's bed in the middle of a certain night. I wonder if Tang Hao would look at the object and recall the person, having Tang San cosplay as Yin for a bit. Douluo Tu Shu Tianjun, what does that mean? Is there any royal translator to translate this? Quote. Douluo Tu Meng Hongchen, never mind, go play somewhere else. Quote. Looking back from this point, the reason why Tang Hao planted Ai Yin in a pitch-black secret room, such a completely counterintuitive behavior, cannot be explained away by mere carelessness. It was clearly something he did intentionally. From beginning to end, Tang Hao was paving the way for Tang San so that his spirit could undergo a secondary awakening into the Blue Silver Emperor. Douluo Ai Yin, impossible, absolutely impossible. Quote. Douluo I Tang Yuehua, +1. Quote. Douluo I Shui Kei, and Ai Yin, teacher Yuehua, this is entirely possible. Quote. Shui Kei remained silent, quietly typing out a line of message before speaking no further. She roughly understood the purpose of Chinmoyu writing this diary entry, yet it also seemed like she didn't fully understand. But Shui Kei felt that persuading Ai Yin was a small assistance she could offer to help Chinmoyu. If Tang San had only awakened the blue silver grass and did not inherit the clear sky hammer, Tang Hao probably wouldn't have helped Tang San. But once the clear sky hammer appeared, Tang Hao perked right up, stopped lying flat, stopped drinking heavily, and even began to clean up his usual sloppy and decadent appearance. The most ridiculous thing was that Tang Hao also solemnly exhorted Tang San, you must use the hammer in your left hand to protect the grass in your right hand. Quote closing square bracket. As if as long as he said these words, he could make up for the regret of failing to protect his beloved Ai Yin back then. What's this, you Tang Hao also know how to share in the glory. This sentence looks affectionate, but in reality, it is quite laughable. Wasn't the reason Ai Yin had to sacrifice herself entirely Tang Hao's fault? Knowing full well that Ai Yin was a spirit beast in human form, he still insisted on parading her around everywhere. And obviously, Tang Hao, who hailed from the Clear Sky sect, had a pretty good idea of what spirit Tang San was most likely to awaken. If Tang San didn't have the Clear Sky hammer, sorry, but Ai Yin was more important than you, Tang San. Not to mention that Tang San had displayed insight far beyond his age since childhood, such as the hidden weapons, mysterious heaven skill, mysterious jade hand, purple demon eye. If it weren't for the fact that the concept of possession does not exist on the Douluo continent, given Tang Hao's craftiness and ruthlessness, he probably would have brought a hammer down long ago and smashed Tang San into a pulp of meat. This is probably why Tang Hao never paid much attention to Tang San ever since he was a child. The older someone is, the more crafty they become. With a title Douluo's discernment, he could naturally tell that something was amiss with Tang San. And because he was an old fox, the moment he saw the clear sky hammer spirit, Tang Hao's heart found relief. Regardless of whose soul inhabited this body, at least the physical body was his, Tang Hao's, son Tang San. It's just that because of this, Ai Yin could only be wronged and continue staying inside the secret room. Anyway, it wasn't the first time Ai Yin had been schemed against by Tang Hao. Being a naive, love-brained fool, she simply couldn't see through the sinister nature of society and would only blindly trust Tang Hao. Of course, even if Ai Yin realized it, Tang Hao wouldn't care. What of it? What could she even do? The Blue Silver Emperor's 100,000-year spirit ring and spirit bone had already been obtained, and today's Ai Yin was left with nothing more than a single blue silver grass seed. Her life and death were entirely within a single thought of Tang Hao. Other than obedience, she had no other choice. Douluo Ai Yin, quote. Douluo Ai Yin, is it really like this? How? Why? Quote. She couldn't believe that after all these years of staying together, it was actually harboring a meticulously calculated scheme. Douluo Ai Yin, at Douluo to Ai Yin, are you here? Is this really true or not? Quote. 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 The entire diary comment section came to an abrupt halt without a shred of response. It was as if Ai Yin didn't exist at all in the Douluo II era, or perhaps she in the Douluo II era hadn't obtained a diary copy, or perhaps. Sometimes, silence explains many answers. Douluo II era, Shrek Academy's Sea God's Pavilion. A towering golden ancient tree rose abruptly from the ground, radiating a gentle aura of life. Within the core of the golden ancient tree resided Ai Yin's origin divine soul, and she was utilizing the golden ancient tree to gradually grasp the life core of the entire Douluo plane. Ai Yin's mood at this moment was very complicated. In the past, she hadn't thought deeply about these things. Her husband gave her gentle love, and her son gave her fulfilling familial affection, which was already enough for her. However, every single word of Chinmoyu's analysis didn't contain half a sentence of falsehood, and it completely tore open the self-brainwashing comfort she had maintained for 10,000 years. Without the love-brain filter, upon careful thought, Tang Hao's past behavior was indeed very abnormal. His guilt was real, and his regret was real, but the schemes, selfishness, and pursuit of profit were equally real. Sometimes, being too clear-headed is also a sin. Facing that bewildered, helpless Ai Yin from the Douluo era who was desperately seeking the truth, she maintained silence throughout. After a long silence, a sigh came from within the core of the golden ancient tree, carrying a trace of helplessness and relief. I can no longer turn back. Quote. I hope that you in the past can have a brand new future. Quote. Love cannot compare to interests. For the things of the past, she chose to ignore them and pretend not to see them. As for her now, she only needed to nurture the golden ancient tree day after day, helping it transform into the life ancient tree of the entire Douluo plane as soon as possible, and completing her son Tang San's 10,000-year grand plan early. But deep down, she also hoped that her past self, the past Ai Yin, by following Chinmoyu's words, could have a brand new future. And silence was the best choice. Chapter 74, Speculation on Twin Spirits. After Tang San awakened the Blue Silver Emperor bloodline, he also followed Tang Hao to this secret room in front of me, seeing his mother in a true sense for the first time, whether in his past life or this present one. As for Tang Hao later abolishing his spirit bone in cultivation, breaking off an arm and a leg, and staying with Ai Yin at the ice and fire yin yang well, can it be seen that Tang Hao is deeply affectionate? First of all, Tang Hao abolishing his spirit bone in cultivation was simply to return the legacy spirit bone of the Clear Sky sect, allowing Tang San to return to the Clear Sky sect and acknowledge his ancestors. I can only say that this behavior is truly abstract. Is this necessary? In the Xuanwan world, strength is supreme and the strong are respected. With the strength of Tang Hao as a titled Douluo, wouldn't fighting his way up to the Clear Sky sect be much easier than humbly admitting a mistake and abolishing his own cultivation? It still has to be the wisdom of the ancients that is superior. Fighting one's way into Chang'an is much easier than passing the imperial exams into Chang'an. Wine and meat rot behind Vermilion gates, while bones of the frozen lie by the road. Instead of racking one's brains to pass the exams into Chang'an and servilely acting as a noble lord's dog, it is better to charge into Chang'an with blood and iron, making the noble lords act as dogs. When autumn comes on the 8th day of the 9th month, after my flowers bloom all other flowers die, the soaring fragrance permeates Chang'an, and the whole city is clad in golden armor. In autumn on the double 9th festival in the 9th month, the blooming of chrysanthemums declares the withering of all other flowers. Douluo Zhangzu, Brother Mo Yu's ambition, is so great, this poem is really good. Douluo Ning Rongrong, it's truly a good poem, but why do I feel a little chill on the back of my neck? Douluo Huowu, I have this feeling too. If Brother Mo Yu really attacks, I'll surrender first tilde. Douluo Shui Yuer, where's your backbone? Can you guys have some backbone? Sigh, then I can only surrender second. Tang Hao personally returned the spirit bone, brought Tang San to acknowledge his ancestors and return to the sect, and delivered a genius for the Clear Sky sect, having completed the task of biological lineage inheritance for the next generation. As for a waste spirit master who has lost the strength of a titled Douluo, Tang Hao has quite a few enemies. Staying at the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well was a last resort choice. At least this place is shrouded in poisonous mist, and Du Gubo will also help take care of Tang Hao. The old man really can't struggle anymore. The future is left to the young people. Tang Hao will just stay at the Ice and Fire Yin Yang Well to accompany Yin in her retirement, and there is no need to venture into the spirit master's world again. Of course, Tang San didn't give Tang Hao any chance to relax. Tang San, old fellow, didn't you just break an arm and a leg? Watch my divine force as the sea god help you reattach them. Tang San, in your 50s is precisely the age to go out and venture. Even a young man like me is still venturing in the spirit master's world. How can you, a famous clear sky Douluo, have the nerve to lie flat at this age? One can only say that human hearts are complex. Perhaps Tang Hao at this moment truly loved Yin in the truest sense. But Tang Hao deeply loving Yin doesn't mean he couldn't scheme against Yin. This sentence feels a bit tongue-twisting. This is probably an incompetent husband. Although he sincerely and deeply loves his own wife, for the sake of his own career, he sacrificed his own wife to his superior. Of course, all of this is just my personal guess, and I do not make any guarantees. Anyway, I am just a diary writer. How can I get system rewards without writing a diary? Douluo Yin, I am so foolish, really. Douluo Shuike, it's okay, and Yin, actually deep down you vaguely sensed something was wrong long ago, you just weren't willing to believe it. Douluo Shuike, being a woman myself, I can best understand this feeling of self-deception. Douluo Shuike, as a woman living together day and night for many years, how could one truly be completely ignorant of the thoughts of the person sleeping beside one? Douluo Yin. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, actually, I feel that Brother Mo Yu's guess is already pretty close to the truth. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, however, this love is truly hard to put into words. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, fortunately, I no longer like Wang Dong. My heart is sealed in concrete and I won't love anymore. As expected, only distance can generate beauty. Brother Mo Yu is my perfect male god. HMPH tilde. Douluo Tu Ning Tian, you still can't let him go. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, what do you mean, Ning Tian, you effing B asterisk TCH, if you have the ability, come over and fight me. Douluo Tu Ning Tian, someone is panicking and has had their defenses broken, I won't say who. Douluo Tu Wufeng, what kind of skill is it to bully Ning Tian, a support system spirit master? If you have the ability, let's have a single combat. The two of us, Ning Tian and me, will single combat you alone. Douluo Tu Wang Donger, alright Xiao Xiao, stop crying and making a fuss. Think on the bright side, at least my younger brother won't like other girls. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, what a load of crap. Also, I am not crying and making a fuss. However, Tang Hao's behavior is actually quite normal. After all, Tang San is a genius spirit master with twin spirits. If he couldn't awaken the Blue Silver Emperor spirit, it would be equivalent to scrapping one spirit and directly crippling half of his talent. Spirit masters with innate full spirit power appear every year, but a spirit master with twin spirits can be called a once-in-a-century occurrence. The conditions for the birth of twin spirits are extremely harsh. First, the quality of the parent spirits must be similar. Second, the spirit quality cannot be low. And finally, the spirit attributes must be mutually generating or mutually restricting for there to be a chance of giving birth to twin spirits. Basically, spirit masters with twin spirits definitely possess innate full spirit power and top-tier twin spirits. A powerful spirit will instinctively devour a weak spirit, and only top-tier spirits can maintain this balance. For example, Tang San's Blue Silver Emperor and Clear Sky Hammer, BB Dong's Death Spider Emperor and Soul Eating Spider Emperor, Xiao Xiao's 3-Life Soul Cauldron and 9 Phoenix Gathering Flute. Douluo Ning Wrong. So the birth conditions for twin spirits are so harsh, I've learned something new. Douluo Zhongzhu, this is very normal. Brother Mo Yu is standing from the omniscient perspective of a transmigrator. His understanding of the spirit system, to say the least, at least surpasses the fake Grandmaster. Speaking of which, there's also fireworks Douluo Long Yeyu from the Douluo 3 era, with twin spirits Light Sacred Dragon and Dark Sacred Dragon. Actually, I am quite curious. Although Long Yeyu is not a great person and also has an extreme love-brain personality, her spirit is unquestionably powerful. So the question comes, in the Douluo 2 era, Dragon God Douluo Muan who wields the Light Sacred Dragon Spirit, and Dragon Emperor Douluo Long Xiaoyao who wields the Dark Sacred Dragon Spirit, both of these two are males. What on earth happened that night to have Long Yeyu possess both the Light and Dark Dual Sacred Dragon Spirits in later generations? Douluo 2 Ma Xiao Tao, holy crap, there's even gossip about Elder Mu. Douluo 2 Meng Hongchen. Inside the Sun and Moon Royal Soul Engineering Academy, Meng Hongchen looked at the content of the diary copy, and her heart suddenly startled. According to the diary content of Qin Moyu, the birth of twin spirits is overwhelmingly top-tier spirits, so the Light Sacred Dragon Spirit must definitely be the existence of a top-tier spirit. But in the Spirit Master's world, she had never heard the slightest rumor of Dragon God Douluo Muan. This person seemed to have never existed. No way, Shrek Academy actually still has experts. Meng Hongchen was full of disbelief, and said in a low voice, who on earth is Dragon God Douluo Muan, and why has this name never been heard on the continent? While shocked, Meng Hongchen instantly realized the value of this intelligence. For many years, her grandfather, Jing Hongchen, had constantly wanted to test Shrek's true trump cards, always thinking that Shrek's strength was no longer anything to be feared. Who could have thought that deep within this ancient academy, a reclusive powerhouse was actually lurking? Gluttony Douluo Xuanzi's strength had already reached rank 98 Super Douluo, so Dragon God Douluo Muan's strength only had one possibility. Limit Douluo. Shrek Academy hiding a reclusive Limit Douluo was very likely just to trick her grandfather. This message must be told to grandfather immediately. Meng Hongchen's heart startled, and she hurriedly asked her teacher for leave. And it was precisely due to this momentary difference in thought that the future timeline underwent subtle changes. Jing Hongchen did not barge into Shrek Academy alone after the Elite Spirit Master tournament to forcibly demand an 8th rank Spirit Tool, nor did he lose his 9th rank Spirit Tool, Red Dust's Blessing, and a host of high-rank Spirit Cannons. Chapter 75. Since we are already here, the wind must leave a trace, and geese must leave behind their feathers. Qin Moyu put away his diary and slowly walked towards the blue-silver grass with drooping leaves in front of him. Seemingly due to some reason, this blue-silver grass, with pale golden patterns on its surface, looked somewhat listless. Yin, are you there? If you can hear me, type 1 in the chat. Chin Muiyu gently touched the leaves of the blue silver grass, and a dewdrop quietly slipped down, but there was no unusual movement at all, as if what was before him was just an ordinary, mindless wild blue silver grass. It seems Ayin truly has no independent consciousness. Chin Muiyu feigned sudden realization, his tone carrying a hint of pity as he said, this is quite normal too. After a spirit beast sacrifices itself, its soul is inherently severely incomplete. Plant-type spirit beasts have it better, at least they can leave behind seeds for their souls to inhabit. For spirit beast sacrifices like Xiao Wu's mother, Aru, and Xiao Wu, it is miserable. Their souls are imprisoned within a spirit master's spirit for all eternity, and trying to resurrect them is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. After finishing, Chin Muiyu wore an expression of pity on his face. However, the diary content quietly updated at this moment. Ayin, with acting skills like yours, it's truly a pity you don't go into acting. If anyone else had come in, they would probably just think this is an ordinary blue silver grass, right? I clearly remember that in the original work, when Tang Hao brought Tang San to the secret room for the first time, you responded to Tang San, not looking like a mindless soul in the slightest. I'm not a good person either, so you don't need to be so scared. Of course, even if you were scared and play dead, it's useless. I won't leave you here to foolishly give Tang San a cheat code. Douluo I Yin. Douluo I Ning Rongrong, Brother Mo Yu really knows how to have fun. Clearly knowing that Aunt Yin's consciousness is awake, he still intentionally puts on an act as if he knows nothing. Douluo I Shui Yuer, Tilda's brother Mo Yu, finally going to expose his true nature and make a move on the heroines of the diary copies. I wonder who the next heroine to be ravished will be. Tilda Hihi Tilda. Douluo I Shui Yuer. However, let's first congratulate Aunt Yin on escaping the bitter sea of costumes and getting ready to enjoy life. Tilda. Douluo I Shui Binger. Douluo I Shui Binger. Sister, you should read fewer strange books lately. Aunt Yin is just a plant now. Even with brother Mo Yu's bizarre tastes, he wouldn't go as far as crossing species with plants, right? Douluo I Shui Yuer. That's not an issue at all. Aunt Yin is a top-tier plant-type spirit beast. Even Tang San is confident he can resurrect Yin. With brother Mo Yu's methods, having Aunt Yin take human form and retrain is as easy as using one's hands. Douluo I Shui Binger. You're right, but the problem is, if Aunt Yin takes human form and retrains, wouldn't that start from childhood? How can a 1-year-old Yin enjoy life? Is that pedophilia? Why? Douluo I Shui Yuer. Damn, why didn't you say so earlier? As expected of my big sister, you easily thought of a scene I could never imagine in a lifetime. Douluo I Shui Binger. Douluo I Yilingling, but Aunt Yin is already a mother who has given birth to a child. Shouldn't this count as a married woman? Being both a married woman and a young loli, could this be a lily mother? Douluo I Shui Kei. It's fine, Aunt Yin, don't worry. His Majesty once said that a lily mother is a bonus feature, and no man in the world can resist this kind of test. Douluo I Yin. Douluo I Yin, can you young girls be a bit more normal? You're so young, why are your minds so precocious? Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, brother Mo Yu is still too kind. If it were me, I'd directly mind control her, hee Tilda. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, first, I'll correct Wang Dong's thinking. Boys liking boys has absolutely no future. Douluo Tu Xiao Xiao, then I'll turn back and directly mind control Wang Dong. Wang Dong, I really have to control you Tilda. Douluo Tu Wang Donger. Douluo Tu Ning Tian, haven't seen you in a few days, Xiao Xiao, how did you turn dark? Hatred born from love. Duoluo Tu Ning Tian, why don't you change classes? Staying by Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong's side every day, if this keeps up, you'll sooner or later turn into a yandere. Duoluo Tu Ning Tian, and your class teacher, Zhou Yi, doesn't feel like a normal person either. Duoluo Tu Wang Donger, Xiao Xiao, hurry up and be normal, stop letting your imagination run wild. Duoluo Tu Wang Donger, besides, the diary copy has clear rules, holders of diary copies cannot harm each other. Even if it lets you experience brother Mo Yu for a day, your thoughts simply cannot hold up. Cough, cough. Duoluo Tu Wang Donger, what I mean is, although my younger brother doesn't have a diary copy, I won't just sit by and do nothing. As long as I bring Wang Dong back, do you expect to control me along with him? Duoluo Tu Xiao Xiao, Wang Donger, although you are the older sister, you aren't as smart as Wang Dong. Duoluo Tu Wang Donger. Duoluo Tu Xiao Xiao, didn't this rule clearly state that it prohibits harming diary copy holders, but what does that have to do with brother Mo Yu? Duoluo Tu Xiao Xiao, take a closer look at the diary recording screen. The diary in brother Mo Yu's hand is marked as the main volume, without the words, copy, on it. Duoluo Tu Xiao Xiao, that's why I say brother Mo Yu is still too kind. He didn't directly abduct Yin, and even when he took Dugu Bo's immortal herb previously, in his heart he was still thinking of helping his granddaughter Dugu Yan cure her illness, prolong her life, and heal her spirit defects. Duoluo Tu Xiao Xiao, this is my internet male god. Brother Mo Yu is great, no more words are needed. Duoluo I Dugu Yan, that's indeed the case. Although brother Mo Yu isn't a good person, it's also unlikely that he isn't a good person, so he must be a good person. Duoluo I Dugu Yan, brother Mo Yu is great, no more words are needed. Duoluo I Shui Kei, brother Mo Yu is great, no more words are needed. ... Meanwhile, within the gloomy secret room, Chin Muiyu gently stroked the leaves of the blue-silver grass with his right hand. Deep within his pitch-black eyes, gear-shaped patterns quietly emerged, and the powers of the core of the Herrscher of Reason gradually awakened. As the old saying goes, since we are already here, the wind must leave a trace, and geese must leave behind their feathers. Since he had unexpectedly run into Yin, a heroine who received plenty of attention in the original work, there was no reason for Chin Muiyu to return empty-handed. This was also the first time he openly did some improper things to a heroine of a diary copy right in front of the diary recording screen. The reason Chin Muiyu knew that Yin held a diary copy was also learned from Shui Kei. Not only that, he also learned from Bibi Dong and Shui Kei approximately who held diary copies, though this intelligence was limited to the situation at that time. Some heroines were always lurking and never exposed themselves, making the diary copies feel like a dark forest where once exposed, one would be elbowed by other heroines. Chapter 76, an unprecedented blue-silver emperor right leg bone. Whether he would be elbowed by other diary copy holders for exposing that he had a diary copy, Chin Muiyu couldn't guarantee, but he would definitely go elbow these heroines. Not only that, even if it were a heroine who hid her diary copy, he would still go elbow her. Did they really think they would be fine just by hiding? Especially after Chin Muiyu discovered that Tang San actually possessed the protection of the power of luck, this thought in his heart became even firmer. Would these heroines chosen by the diary system also possess the protection of luck? Clearly, just like how news like to mark dangerous figures in the universe, the diary system liked to mark heroines who possess luck. Diary system marked a high-value character, square root. Furthermore, whether they were heroines of the Douluo plane or heroines of other planes, they themselves were more or less considered a genius. On the scale of the universe, population was the cheapest resource, but talent was always the most precious resource in the myriad worlds. Joining his faction and burning their last drop of blood for his empire, this was their only choice. Other living beings might not understand, but they must obey. Those who played Stellaris were all peace-loving people, so what bad intentions could a Stellaris player have? In fact, even without the diary copy, Jin Moyu never planned to let go of these well-known heroines from the very beginning. Those who were willing to join would naturally join, and they must join. Those who were unwilling to join would eventually become willing to join. As long as their names had appeared in the novel, even if it were just a stray dog by the roadside, they had to be tied to the ship of his faction. Furthermore, Jin Moyu wouldn't look down on the stray dogs by the roadside. He had heard the story of a stray dog becoming a god. What, you say you don't believe it? That can only be said that you haven't heard the story of a stray dog becoming a god for a full second. I really can't do anything with you. Stray dog right pointing arrow, stray dog by the roadside, right pointing arrow. Right pointing arrow mated with Ice Emperor 3 times, right pointing arrow, stray dog god. Inside the dim secret room, Jin Moyu's eyes were cold, and the authority of the core of the Herrscher of Reason was quietly operating. His gaze swept across, precisely locking onto an inconspicuous corner of the secret room, and he found the buried 100,000-year-old blue silver emperor right leg bone. Core of the Herrscher of Reason, call the Dark Plane Authority, understand. Holding the core of the Herrscher of Reason in his hand, Jin Moyu spoke in an indifferent tone. Target, blue silver emperor genes, 100,000-year-old blue silver emperor spirit bone. As his voice fell, the 4th spirit ability gene engine and the 5th spirit ability omnitrix spirit ability were completely released, conducting deep analysis from the 2 domains of genes and life. Analysis, deconstruction, comprehension, recording, creation. In an instant, massive information regarding the gene sequence of the blue silver emperor was collected into the gene database of the core of the Herrscher of Reason at an extremely fast speed, becoming the spirit ability template of the omnitrix. In Jin Moyu's hand, the 100,000-year-old blue silver emperor right leg bone trembled continuously, exuding a pure breath of life. The ability of the core of the Herrscher of Reason to analyze all things acted on the blue silver emperor spirit bone, and in order to achieve the most perfect effect, Jin Moyu chose to completely decompose the entire spirit bone, deeply dissecting its life essence from a microscopic perspective. The next moment, the incomparably precious 100,000-year-old blue silver emperor right leg bone faded at a speed visible to the naked eye, as if an eraser tool was used by a painter to wipe it away bit by bit, finally turning into a cluster of translucent white particles that dissipated in the air. I see, this is biotechnology. Jin Moyu murmured in a low voice, a trace of comprehension flashing across the bottom of his eyes. Immediately, he called the Dark Plane permission, and took out equivalent exchange technology. However, this time he did not intend to extract dark matter from the Dark Plane, but used gold from the storage spirit tool as the price of exchange. Under the perspective recorded in the diary, a touch of translucent blue shimmer quietly emerged, and a blue silver emperor right leg bone with perfect quality, silver blue throughout, and exuding the breath of life condensed and formed out of thin air. The appearance of this spirit bone was impeccable, and the coercion of the 100,000-year-old blue silver emperor spirit bone was identical to the original version, enough to deceive the perception of everyone on the Douluo continent. But if one looked through the illusion of the surface, one could discover the strange aspects within. It seemed to exude the power of a 100,000-year-old spirit bone, but the power origin inside it was negligible, lacking the foundation of a 100,000-year-old spirit bone entirely. The true age of this spirit bone was merely a mere 2.5 years. Finally done, a blue silver emperor spirit bone violently manufactured by biotechnology. Although on the surface this is an orthodox 100,000-year-old blue silver emperor right leg bone, in reality it is severely watered down. This is just a blue silver emperor right leg bone with a grade of only 2.5 years. Thinking about how Tang Hao will anxiously carry Tang San later on, impatiently letting him absorb this fake blue silver emperor right leg bone, I can't help wanting to laugh. No, strictly speaking, this is not a fake spirit bone. The blue silver emperor right leg bone is the real deal, it's just that the age is slightly lower. How is this spirit bone fake? This is definitely the most unprecedented and weakest spirit bone on the Douluo continent. Tang San, you should just laugh secretly. Picking up such a huge bargain, I'm even a bit reluctant to give it away. Shu Tianjun of Douluo too. Damn, as expected of brother Mo Yu, not only did he scam Tang San's immortal herb, but even when the guy was almost dying he didn't plan to let him go, directly arranging the spirit bone so clearly. Du Guyan of Douluo I, to correct you, this is not a scam, this is Tang San getting what he deserves. Shui Yor of Douluo I, Tilda I say Tang San is also enjoying a blessing, does anyone understand? Qian Run Shui of Douluo I, a spirit bone of less than 10 years, this is indeed unique throughout the ages, Tang San really has great fortune. Support brother Mo Yu. Shu Juju of Douluo too, thinking of all those bad things Tang San did, that tiny bit of extra conscience in my heart instantly settled down. Brother Mo Yu did a great job, support. At the same time, having completely settled the matter of swapping the spirit bone, Jin Moyu once again mobilized the Dark Plane Authority. Using Ayin's own blue silver emperor genes as a template, he replicated an identical, vibrant blue silver grass seed, perfectly inheriting Ayin's aura and everything was ready. However, before taking Ayin away, Jin Moyu suppressed the smile at the corners of his mouth and spoke with pretended seriousness. Ayin, let me ask you this first, do you want to come with me? If you don't speak, I'll just assume you defaulted it. As he expected, the blue silver grass in front of him remained motionless, as if tacitly approving Jin Moyu's action. Oh my, how embarrassing is this? Jin Moyu couldn't help smiling. Picking up Ayin, folks, this is too cute, she wants to go home with me. Jin Moyu hesitated no longer, completely pulling out Ayin's roots deeply buried underground, avoiding harm to Ayin's tender branches as much as possible. Afterwards, he placed the fake blue silver grass into it. This brand new blue silver grass looked like it had Ayin's life aura, but in reality it was just a fake blue silver grass draped in the skin of the blue silver emperor. Enjoy your cheat well, Tang San. As for next, go find the blue silver king. After Jin Moyu finished speaking, he gently smoothed the most tender newborn roots at the tip of the blue silver grass on Ayin's body. As everyone knew, plants continuously extended deep into the soil, and these newborn branches were undoubtedly the most sensitive parts. Under Jin Moyu's gentle touch, Ayin finally couldn't hold back her body's instinctive reaction. On the golden patterned blue silver grass leaves, drop by drop of crystal clear dew quietly slid down. This was a normal plant physiological reaction caused by the overflow of Ayin's source of life. Chapter 77. Ning Rong Rong, the inherently evil Tang San, everything is Tang San's fault. Diary comment section. Douluo I Ayin, HMPH tilde. Douluo I Ning Rong Rong, and Ayin, what is wrong with you? Douluo I do Guyan, right, could it be that big brother Mo Yu hurt you while cleaning away the mud? Douluo to Shu Tianjun, ah, do plants even have a sense of pain? Douluo to Meng Hongchen, what kind of thing to say is that? Any living creature has a sense of pain, and besides, and Yin is a spirit beast, not just grass. Douluo to Shu Tianjun, but, wasn't big brother Mo Yu just normally helping the blue silver grass clear away the mud? It looked quite gentle. From the diary heroine's perspective, Chin Moyu was patiently cleaning the mud off the roots of the blue silver grass. Meanwhile, the culprit, Chin Moyu, was completely oblivious to this and didn't notice that Yin in his hands, the blue silver grass was gradually turning into a touch shy mimosa plant. Speaking of which, regarding the awakening of twin spirits, there's more than just the theory of parental genes. Seeing the new explosive content, the heroines of the Douluo plane instantly switched their attention away from the previous topic. Regarding the secret of twin spirits, no one throughout the entire Douluo continent had ever truly thoroughly researched it. And for Chin Moyu standing from the narrative level perspective, even just a single viewpoint was an invaluable wealth of knowledge to the heroines of the Douluo plane. There is a second method for the awakening of twin spirits. To put it simply and straightforwardly, it is like using cheats. For example, my girlfriend Shui Kei accidentally awakened the twin spirits, Herrscher of Sentience Divine Core. Take Douluo 2 protagonist Huo Yuhao for another example. His body spirit is Spirit Eyes, and later, with the help of the Ice Heavenly Dream, he directly abducted the vicious beast, Ice Emperor, from the far north. Because of this, Huo Yuhao awakened his second Ice Emperor Scorpion spirit, which possesses the ultimate ice attribute. Douluo 2 Snow Emperor. Very well, Bing Bing, you fellow, you actually secretly ran off to enjoy yourself and didn't call me along. Douluo 2 Snow Emperor. What a rotten sisterhood, this is so unloyal. Douluo 2 Ice Emperor. No, can you speak normally? I was kidnapped, I was brutally coerced, I didn't go to enjoy yourself. Douluo 2 Ice Emperor. You have no idea how miserable I am. That maggot, the Ice Heavenly Dream, stays nestled inside Huo Yuhao's sea of consciousness going crazy every day. If it weren't for being plotted against by the Ice Heavenly Dream, who would be willing to stay with this disgusting maggot every day? Douluo 2 Meng Hongchen. So there is actually such an acquired method to awaken twin spirits, and it is even a top-tier spirit with the ultimate ice attribute. Douluo 2 Meng Hongchen. Is this the cheat of a destined protagonist? How enviable tilde. Douluo 2 Xiao Xiao. Is this the cheat of a destined protagonist? How enviable tilde. Douluo 2 Shu Tianjun. The two of you are quite something, showing off just because you have some talent. Douluo I Ning Rong Rong. Ultimate ice. Body spirit. Didn't Grandmaster say that the spirit system only has the distinction of beast spirit and tool spirit? Douluo 2 Ning Tian. Ancestor, you said it yourself, this is Grandmaster's theory. Douluo I Ning Rong Rong. Douluo I Ning Rong Rong. Fine, it was me failing to react and subconsciously believing you Xiaoqing's fake Grandmaster theory. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. It doesn't matter. 10,000 years ago on the Douluo continent, the theory of spirit master spirits was inherently barren. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. The times are progressing, yet only our 9 treasure glazed tile school without the 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda has been regressing all along. Douluo I Ning Rong Rong. Shrek Academy. Looking at the diary comment section, Ning Rong Rong's lips twitched slightly. She always felt that this descendant named Ning Tian was insinuatingly targeting her, wondering why she didn't leave behind the spirit legacy for the 9 treasure glazed tile school, which led to the sect's gradual decline. But could this be blamed on her? But then again, who should this be blamed on, right? Everything is Tang San's fault. Ning Rong Rong's eyes instantly lit up, and she patted her barren chest with her small hand, speaking with an expression of righteous confidence. Regardless of whether the speculation in the diary content is true or not, anyway, throwing the blame onto the inherently evil Tang San can never go wrong. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. Body spirits belong to a relatively small category within the spirit system. Spirits originate from a part of a spirit master's body, such as hands, feet, hair, eyes, the brain. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. The probability of a body spirit appearing is extremely small. Every spirit ring blessing will comprehensively strengthen a spirit master's physical fitness, and their strength far surpasses spirit masters of the same rank, which is why spirit masters with body spirits are highly valued. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. As for spirits with ultimate attributes, they possess an innate suppression over elements of the same attribute. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. There are currently 6 known ultimate attributes: ultimate ice, ultimate fire, ultimate light, ultimate water, ultimate earth, and ultimate gold. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. Speaking of your era, ancestor, Qian Runshui's angel spirit possesses the ultimate light attribute, which has an innate restraining effect on evil spirit masters. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. As for the ultimate water attribute, the high priest of the legendary sea god island has a spirit that possesses the ultimate attribute, granting innate water control. Wherever there's water, she is the invincible ruler wielding the 4 seas. Douluo 2 Ning Tian. It's just that for some unknown reason, long before 10,000 years ago, Sea God Island completely vanished without a trace. Douluo I Qian Runshui. What else could it be? I could guess it even with my jade feet. The disappearance of Sea God Island is definitely Tang San's doing. Douluo I Shui Kei. Sister, doesn't this statement seem a bit unreasonable? Isn't the existence of Sea God Island able to help the future Sea God Tang San absorb faith? Tang San has no reason to do this, right? Douluo I Qian Runshui. Then what if I say Sea God Island doesn't just benefit Tang San, but can also benefit other spirit masters? Douluo I Qian Runshui. The Sea God 9 trials are legacy trials bestowed by the Sea God. Their essence is to utilize the divine force of the Sea God position to help the inheritors rapidly enhance their strength, yet this trial is not something that only Tang San alone can undertake. Douluo I Du Guyan. I see. If it were anyone else I might still question it, but if it is Tang San, then it is completely reasonable. Furthermore, in the Douluo 2 era, not only did Huo Yuhao use cheats alone, even Wang Dong'er used them too. First spirit goddess of light butterfly, second spirit clear sky hammer, third spirit sea god. A top-tier triple spirit configuration. This is truly not even pretending anymore. Theoretically, the goddess of light butterfly spirit has a chance to be born naturally, but Wang Dong'er's goddess of light butterfly was bestowed by the divinity butterfly god of the god realm. As for the sea god spirit, it was also a cheat personally sent by that old bastard Tang San. From beginning to end, this was all a scheme. Douluo 2 Wang Dong'er. Douluo 2 Wang Dong'er. What does this mean? My entire life was arranged by Tang San. How is that possible? Douluo 2 Wang Dong'er. That kind of person Tang San, how could he possibly do such a good deed for no reason? Douluo 2 Wang Dong'er. Why me? Why of all people was I chosen? Why? The entire diary comment section gradually quieted down, turning into a dead silence as if in deep stillness. No one responded to Wang Dong'er's doubts, nor could anyone provide an answer. The only thing that could do so would be the disclosure of the diary's contents on some day in the future. But when the day of truth's disclosure arrived, what awaited Wang Dong'er would only be a cruel and cold reality. Chapter 78 Blue Silver King, leave now, and no one will be hurt. Not only that, Tang San also intentionally meddled, forcibly binding Wang Dong'er's spirit and Huo Yuhao's spirit, artificially creating a fusion of spirit power and spirit resonance, which is the spirit fusion skill that everyone envied. That's really like an old lady crawling into a grandpa's bed, it cracked me up. A tiger's eyes, the spirit eyes, can actually perform a spirit fusion skill with both of the two top-tier spirits, Goddess of Light Butterfly and Clear Sky Hammer, at the same time. Does the Goddess of Light Butterfly lack a pair of eyes, or is the Clear Sky Hammer blind? What's even more ironic is that Wang Dong'er, from beginning to end, was just the first dog chain Tang San used to shackle Huo Yuhao, and there are even more obedience tests to come. As soon as the diary content revelation dropped, the comment section instantly erupted in an uproar. Douluo to Meng Hongchen, hiss, is this the scheme of a god king? Wang Dong'er, are you okay? Douluo to Wang Dong'er. Douluo to Wang Dong'er, it feels like 1.4 people are dead, what else can I do, just smile in the face of suffering. Douluo to Shu Juju, a dignified god king, yet his vision is so pathetically narrow. Even after ascension to the god realm, he's still fixated on this tiny patch of land in Douluo continent. Douluo 3 Shu Xiaoyan, I get what you mean. Douluo 3 Dai Yunner, +1. Douluo 2 Xiao Xiao, speaking of which, are your spirits really the Goddess of Light Butterfly and the Clear Sky Hammer? At Douluo to Wang Dong'er. Douluo to Wang Dong'er. Douluo to Wang Dong'er, right, now that you mention it, I just remembered that I actually turned out to be a genius spirit master with 3 spirits tilde ha ha tilde. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, I see. Douluo to Xiao Xiao, however, Wang Dong's spirit is also the Goddess of Light Butterfly and the Clear Sky Hammer, exactly the same as yours, you know. Douluo to Wang Dong'er. Douluo to Wang Dong'er, maybe, that's because we are biological siblings, isn't it normal for our spirits to be similar? Douluo to Xiao Xiao, but sister, Wang Dong can also perform a spirit fusion skill with Huo Yuhao. Do you have any clues about this? Douluo to Wang Dong'er. Douluo to Wang Dong'er, I get it now, all of this is that Lord's scheme, both my younger brother and I have been plotted against by Tang San. Douluo to Wang Dong'er, detestable Tang San, actually using me and my younger brother as dog chains to shackle Huo Yuhao. I am irreconcilable with Tang San. In fact, aside from cheating, there's a third awakening method for twin spirits. Waiting to go find the Blue Silver King, I'll just be able to come in handy. Douluo Aijian Runshui, damn, there are still experts. At this moment, Qin Moyu stopped teasing Ayin and sealed Ayin, who had turned into a blue silver grass seed, within the gene engine. With the development of the authority of the core of the Herrscher of Reason, Qin Moyu also noticed that his spirit had unlocked new functions. Today's fourth spirit ability, the gene engine, can not only record biological genes and build a gene database, but also incorporate organic life forms into the core. And this was merely the tip of the iceberg. Today's core of the Herrscher of Reason had gained many unexpected functions. The location of the Blue Silver King is probably in this direction. Qin Moyu muttered to himself, looking towards the boundless depths of the Blue Silver Forest. With a thought from him, the Dark Plane Information Database searched, instantly locking onto a place deep within the Blue Silver Forest where the aura of life was exceptionally rich. Found you. Qin Moyu's pitch black eyes turned into gear shapes, and his figure directly passed through the vine-covered area of blue silver grass, walking towards the depths of the Blue Silver Forest. The deeper they proceeded, the heavier the surrounding aura of life became, and at the same time, an inexplicable coercion permeated the air. The entire Blue Silver Forest was like an ancient giant beast dormant and awakening, and the countless fluorescent blue silver grass on the ground trembled quietly, as if guarding against this intruding foreign human. The area of the Blue Silver Forest was not large, and the closer it was to the core area, the older the surrounding plants looked, seeming to have experienced a long period of time. Towering ancient trees reaching into the sky could be seen everywhere, shielding the sky and blocking the sun, making it difficult even for sunlight to shine in. When Qin Moyu stepped into the deepest part of this place, an ancient, dull voice, accompanied by the terrifying coercion of a 10,000-year-old spirit beast, suddenly resounded through the forest. Human, stop right there. The moment the voice fell, the dense blue silver grass vines slowly wriggled, countless rhizomes intertwined and wrapped around each other, condensing into a huge and blurry phantom. It was dark blue overall, and its surface exuded a special aura of life. With it as the center, the blue silver grass within a radius grew exceptionally lush. Human, this is not a place you should come to. The Blue Silver King looked down from above and warned in a deep voice, leave now, and no one will be hurt. As the king of the Blue Silver Grass clan across the entire Douluo continent, the Blue Silver King looked down at the abruptly intruding Qin Moyu, attempting to use absolute coercion to persuade this unidentified human spirit master to retreat. Blue Silver King, how bold. A cold glint flashed in Qin Moyu's gear-shaped eyes, and a cold shout suddenly resounded, you are merely a servant of the Blue Silver clan, yet you don't even recognize me. Are you planning to rebel? After saying that, his aura was no longer concealed and was revealed. Blue Silver Emperor. The aura belonging to the Supreme Orthodox Blue Silver Emperor instantly swept through the entire depths of the Blue Silver Forest. With a wave of Qin Moyu's hand, a Blue Silver Emperor aura originating from deep within the genes drifted out. A Blue Silver Emperor, dark blue all over and covered with golden patterns, hovered in his palm, noble and sacred. Immediately following, 5 blazing spirit rings rose from beneath Qin Moyu's feet. 5 spirit rings of purple, black, red, and red circled in turn, illuminating the entire Blue Silver Forest brilliantly. This was precisely the Blue Silver Emperor spirit with a pure bloodline, and also the third method of awakening twin spirits mentioned in Qin Moyu's diary content. And this was also the biotechnology derived from the fourth spirit ability, the gene engine, of Qin Moyu's spirit. Relying on the characteristics of the fifth spirit ability Omnitrix, the core of the Herrscher of Reason spirit can perfectly transform into the Blue Silver Emperor spirit. And this was merely the tip of the iceberg of the gene engine. Currently, he had only recorded the complete gene sequence of the Blue Silver Emperor. If he collected the gene sequences of more top-tier spirits, the core of the Herrscher of Reason could similarly perfectly transform into other top-tier spirits. Not only that, the Blue Silver Emperor spirit in Qin Moyu's hand perfectly inherited the 5 top-grade spirit rings originating from the core of the Herrscher of Reason. And due to the adaptability of the god-bestowed spirit rings, the spirit abilities corresponding to these 5 spirit rings, through the deduction of the gene engine, would perfectly adapt every ability to the Blue Silver Emperor spirit. The subordinate relationship between the core of the Herrscher of Reason spirit and the Blue Silver Emperor spirit was similar to the relationship between Yuan and his puppet. However, the strength of the Blue Silver Emperor spirit transformed by the core of the Herrscher of Reason would not decrease, instead, it retained the full power of the Blue Silver Emperor spirit. Just as Chin Muiyu said, the core of the Herrscher of Reason itself did not possess offensive means, but its authority to analyze all things could borrow all methods in the world for its own use, easily bursting forth with terrifying combat power far surpassing the Spirit Master system.